Greetings, this is yours truly, Lord Karo, welcome to my domain. Super Deku Part 4 Color Change. Beerus and Whis were a few minutes away from arriving in the Demon Realm. Whis, how's the Saiyan doing? Beerus asked. Whis looked through his staff. It's hard to tell. The Demon Realm gives off a strange energy which makes it difficult for me. Look. Let's just hope the kid hasn't gotten himself killed otherwise. Before he finished his sentence, a wave of energy hit them, sending chills down Beerus's spine. What is this? Whis smiled. This feeling, I've felt it before. It seems there is nothing to fear, Lord Beerus. Something tells me Izuku is going to win this fight. With Izuku and Mira fought in the sky, each moving so fast that they looked as if they teleported around. Only the sound of their fists hitting each other indicated that the fight was still going on. Explosions rattled the air, shaking the Demon Realm itself. Then a dead silence fell across the battlefield. What just happened? Toa looked everywhere but found nothing. That is until a blinding light of golden and red energy shot across the sky. There, Toa saw two orbs, a red glow that belonged to Izuku and another black in color which was Mira's. Both fighters landed on the ground, each with bleeding wounds. It seems that we are evenly matched, Saiyan, Mira said, his breath heavy. Evenly matched? Ha, don't make me laugh. I'm still warming up, Izuku said, his cuts burning. Mira smiled. Alright, let's see what you do about this. He charged him by throwing a punch targeted at Izuku's face. Izuku ducked underneath the punch. Seeing his chance, he pulled back his fist and delivered a hard hit to Mira's torso. This caused Mira to spit out blood, however it wasn't strong enough to bring him to his knees. Staggering back, Mira did a backflip, kicking Izuku under the jaw, sending him up into the air. Mira followed. You are growing weak, Saiyan. Before he could recover, Izuku was hit with a ball of black energy. He did his best to defend himself, but the blast engulfed him, burning his uniform. After the explosion, his smoking body was seen crashing towards the ground. Izuku landed on his feet, but the second he relaxed for a second, he fell to his knees, grabbing onto his ribs. Damn it, I need to think of something fast. Mira then appeared in front of him. You know something, Saiyan? You had the disadvantage from the start. Oh, and why is that? Izuku asked, standing up. I battled many versions of you, thousands. I know your weaknesses and fighting style. I know it all. Mira raised his hand towards the sky. And now with this power, you no longer stand a chance. From his hand, multiple blasts of dark energy rocketed towards Izuku. He dodged some of them but was quickly overwhelmed. Each blast that hit knocked him back further and further. Unknown to both fighters, a ball of white landed near the destroyed castle. Whis, are you sure this is the place? Beerus asked as dust was lifted from them landing. Yes, Lord Beerus, this is the Demon Realm, Whis said, dusting off the dirt from his clothes. Beerus then sensed the fight going on. It looks like our Saiyan is in a bit of trouble. Whis, what's that? He said as a light shined through the dust. It seems like some sort of barrier. Oh, what's this? There is someone inside? Whis said, walked towards the barrier. It's a woman, this must be his wife. Whis, get her out of there and heal her, there's something we need to discuss, Beerus said. Whis nodded and tapped the barrier with his staff. Instantly the barrier broke. He then tapped Uraraka on the head. This instantly healed her. Uraraka slowly began to wake up. What? Where am I? She sat up and saw Beerus and Whis in front of her. Why, you here, Lord Beerus? I see Izuku has told you about me, said Beerus. Why, yes he has, Uraraka said, shaking as she stood up. There's no need to be so nervous, child. We are here to help. So tell me, where is Izuku? Beerus said, looking around. Actually, Lord Beerus, I don't know. I passed out just as they were about to fight, Uraraka said, trying to pinpoint Izuku's energy. And I can't get a good lock on Deku's energy thanks to this place. The Demon Realm always did have a way of messing with energy, Whis said. Just a moment, I should be able to locate them. Whis then looked into his staff and saw an image of Mira and Izuku. Well, they are still in the Demon Realm, that's good at least, Beerus said. Whis and Beerus then stopped and looked towards the sky. Ochako, was it? Uraraka nodded. I suggest you come a little closer? Uraraka didn't know what was going on but did what she was told. Alright. Suddenly a red ball of energy fell right where they were, creating a crater so deep that lava began to spew from it. What the? Uraraka yelled from inside a shield bubble created by Whis. As the ground beneath then began to sink under a stream of lava, Uraraka could see two figures from within the ash clouds. Deku. As the dust settled, Izuku was seen with half of his uniform burned off and bruises all around his body. Looking back, he noticed Uraraka awake. Ochako, he yelled out, running towards her and giving her a hug. Thank goodness you're alright. Yeah, I'm alright, Deku, thanks to them, Uraraka said, hugging him back. Looking up, Izuku saw who she was talking about. Hey kid, it's been a while. I see you now have better control of your god power, Beerus said. Izuku's eyes went wide when he saw him. Izuku broke away from the hug. Lord Beerus, what are you doing here? He asked. We saw that you were having some trouble beating this guy. Usually we wouldn't interfere, but you, my friend, are a special case, Whis explained. You mean you're here to help? Uraraka said excitedly. In short, yes, but just this once, said Beerus. Now where is this guy so I can take care of him? Izuku smiled. Thanks, Lord Beerus, for coming all this way to help me, but I would like it if you didn't help me. Everyone couldn't believe what he just said. What are you saying, Deku? You are barely holding your own as it is. Why not let Lord Beerus help you? Uraraka said in disbelief. I have to agree with your wife Izuku. Why not let me help you? Could it be that you regard yourself higher than the gods? Beerus said, his face turning serious. Izuku waved his hands around, and no Lord Beerus, of course not. Tell you what, if I don't defeat him in the next 30 minutes then you are free to do as you please. All I ask is for 30 minutes. You do know he could kill you in that time frame, right? Beerus said. That could happen, or I could kill him before that happens, Izuku said, his eyes almost gleaming with anticipation. Those are some bold words, Saiyan, Mira said, appearing floating in the air. He too had taken quite a bit of battle damage. What do you have you planned, Izuku? Asked Beerus. You'll see, Lord Beerus, just sit back and enjoy the show. Oh, if you don't mind, make sure nothing happens to my wife please, Izuku said, turning to Mira. Very well, 30 minutes no more, no less, said Beerus. Deku, be careful, alright, Uraraka said, worried for her husband's safety. Izuku began to fly up to meet Mira. Don't worry, I don't have any plans on dying anytime soon. So this is it, huh? One final dance before you die? Fine, I'll play along, Mira said, letting his aura flare out. Yeah, let's dance, but I'm getting a bit tired of this color, why don't I change it up? Izuku said as his red hair flapped in the wind. What are you talking about? Mira asked, confused. You'll see, Izuku then let out his aura, but something was different. It wasn't the crimson red like before, but rather it was yellow like when he was a Super Saiyan. Uraraka took notice of this. What is he doing? Is he doing to power down to a Super Saiyan? Whis shook his head. No, it seems he's ascending once again. Whis. Do you feel that? His aura. His power, it's growing, Beerus said as he looked on with awe. He's doing it, isn't he? Whis nodded. Yes, he is. Uraraka looked back at the two. What is he doing? But before they could answer, Izuku's yell was heard. GGRRRRRRRRRRRRRR. The golden aura surrounding him began to flicker, burning bright and sharper with every second. Ah! The yellow aura around him suddenly became a green color. Izuku's voice strained from the sheer power he was forcing out of himself. His hair flickered blue as he yelled. What's happening to him? Uraraka asked, scared at what she was seeing. It sounds like he's in pain. Freak, not woman, something remarkable is about to happen, Whis said, smiling. Ha! Gra ahh. Izuku could feel his rage within his heart growing. Time itself began to slow down. His eyes began to change color from crimson red to cyan blue in color. Between the bright green color, Uraraka swore she saw Izuku smirk. Ha! In one massive explosion of energy, Izuku erupted in a blue flame. Uraraka couldn't believe it. His hair, his eyes, he changed again. This power, it's so fierce but calming at the same time. I'm surprised you can tell, Ochako. This is what we call a Super Saiyan Blue. This is a transformation achieved by adding Super Saiyan to his God Ki, Whis explained. Beerus on the other hand felt a shiver run down his spine. Whis. You feel it, don't you? His power, he said, his eyes wide, pupils dilated. Yes, Beerus. He may be just as strong as you are, if not stronger, Whis said, smiling. This Saiyan, it may be time for him to decide if he will take up the title of God of Destruction, Beerus thought as he watched Izuku's blue aura consume the area around him. I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but thankfully it did, Izuku said, looking at his hands. But with this power I know I can defeat you. Mira began to laugh. No matter what power-up you've gotten, it still means nothing. Mira began to fly at Izuku, ready to end this. Pulling his arm back, he managed to hit Izuku straight in the face. Izuku's face moved to the side. How do you like that? Deku, Uraraka yelled. Izuku didn't even try to move, then he began to laugh. Mira backed away. Izuku then turned his head. You were saying? I am possible. I have the ultimate power. Mira began to bombard Izuku with a flurry of ki blasts. Die, you bastard. The blast seemed to hit their target, but after a minute of constant blasts the area around Izuku was filled with smoke. Mira stopped his attack, catching his breath. There, now he's just a pile of. But as Mira gloated, Izuku emerged from the smoke, his blue aura pushing away the smoke as he flew closer and closer to Mira ever so slowly. I am possible. Mira went in to punch Izuku, but this time he wouldn't just stand there. Izuku ducked under the punch, much to Mira's surprise. Izuku countered with a hard hit to Mira's stomach, sending him flying back. Mira stopped himself and grabbed his stomach. Why, you bastard? As he looked up, Izuku was nowhere to be seen. Where did he? Mira! Behind you! Toa yelled out. Mira turned around and was greeted by Izuku's foot to his face. This sent him crashing towards the ground, breaking it. I don't understand, I should have the ultimate power, Mira said as he fell to his knees. Izuku then appeared in front of Mira and pointed his hand at him. Any last words before you die? Mira smiled. No, but you can have this instead. Suddenly a black mist began to surround Mira and Izuku. What is this? Izuku asked as he looked around, the mist now completely engulfing them both. Whis, is that? Beerus said, looking at the mist. Yes, it's the void, Whis said, closing his eyes. If I can't kill you, then we'll both die together in the world full of nothingness, Mira said as the mist began to shrink. Izuku fired out a blast trying to disrupt the mist, but found that his blast was simply absorbed. Then he began to feel his body to get pulled in. He tried to fly out, but as he just about out, Mira grabbed him by his leg and didn't let go. This time I'll make sure you come with me. Deku. Uraraka flew towards Izuku trying to help him but was stopped by Beerus. What are you doing? Let me go, we had to help him. It's too late, once the void has him it's too late, if you go now you'll only get trapped as well, Whis said. Stay back. Listen Ochoako, make sure you get back to Earth no matter what. Lord Beerus promised me she would get back safe, please, Izuku said as his legs were now in the void. I promise you kid, we'll make sure to get her back to Earth, Beerus said as he held Uraraka back. Deku, hold on, I'll find a way to save you I swear, Uraraka said as she watched him slowly disappear. Now that the mist was gone Beerus let go of Uraraka. Is there really nothing you can do to help him? I'm sorry but no, the void is a place where even the gods can't go. It exists in a reality beyond this one. Once you are in you can never escape, Whis explained. Well that was very anticlimactic wasn't it? A voice said high above them. Looking up the group found Toa floating in the air. All things considered things couldn't have gone better for us. Mira got his way and Izuku is as good as dead. Uraraka narrowed her eyes. Deku will make it out of there, her face turned serious. Toa scoffed, there's no chance in hell. Oh well I think it's time I move on from this timeline. I'll just find another Toa and start this process over again. Just as she was about to open a portal Uraraka appeared in front of Toa and hit her with an uppercut and followed it up by spin kicking her to the ground. You be *TCH. How dare you do that to me? Toa said as blood poured down her nose. Allowing herself to fall Uraraka cupped her hands together. This is for Deku. Kamehameha. Toa looked up to find a blast of pink energy heading her way. Curse you, I swear to you. This will not be the last time you see me, Toa yelled out as the pink energy blast disintegrated Toa leaving nothing behind. Uraraka then landed back down next to Whis and Beerus, who had their jaws wide open. So, she turned around with a smile on her face. Shall we go back to Earth? I have a friend that I think could help us. Yeah, Whis, said Beerus. Whis nodded as he tapped the ground twice. A bright white light began to surround them and in the blink of an eye they took off into the sky and headed to Earth. These Saiyans really do pick strong women don't they? She reminds me of Vegeta's and Goku's wives Beerus thought as sweat dropped from his forehead. On Earth Island was shaking, the buildings began to collapse and the cause of this was coming from the main tower. I was going to save this for my rematch with Izuku but you'll do just fine, Himari said, clenching her fist. Zeno Izuku's eyes began to widen, this power. What's going on there's no way, it's rising higher. The clouds in the sky began to pull towards where Himari was. Melissa was helping Bakugo up when they noticed Himari's hair began to glow brighter. Oh shit, we had to get out of here, Bakugo said, grabbing Melissa. What's going on? Melissa asked as they took off into the sky, flying away from Himari. What about her? You aren't just going to leave her are you? She'll be fine, trust me. It's the other Izuku I'm worried about, he said flying away as fast as he could without hurting Melissa. Back with Himari, the sparks around her began to appear more frequently. I hope you're ready, cause this will be the last thing you'll see before you die, Himari said as she erupted into a golden energy sphere leveling the building and the whole island. Lucky for her, everyone was already evacuated. This included both Eri and both Izuku's and Uraraka's parents. Zeno Izuku jumped in front of Kranoa just as the blast hit her. Izuku what's going on? She asked, shielding her eyes. She's transforming but her power is monstrous, Zeno Izuku said as the yellow light engulfed him. Ha! With one final powerful yell Himari engulfed the entire island and about 10 miles worth of ocean in her energy. Bakugo shielded Melissa but her energy smashed into him, almost knocking him out of the air. Looking back Bakugo couldn't believe it but it was Melissa who spoke first, the island. It's gone and the ocean it's been vaporized. In front of them where the island once floated was nothing, no water, no island, just the ocean floor. Eventually the water rushed back and filling up the hole, and in the center of it all floating in the air was Himari. You're kidding. How are you this strong? Zeno Izuku said falling back in fear. Himari floated there with her serious face, the air around her crackled, her hair was spiker, and her muscle mass grew. It's all thanks to Izuku. Killing Ved was supposed to be reserved for me. Yet I could do nothing against him, I had to rely on Izuku to finish him off. Once I left the earth I began to doubt my own power, it felt as if Izuku was looking down on me. I know he wouldn't do that but as a Saiyan warrior it hurt my pride to have him fight my battle. I was on a remote planet when it happened. The gravity there was strong 600x normal Earth's gravity. Even as a Super Saiyan I felt that my body was going to give out. I trained there for 2 whole years but my power didn't increase at all, but then something happened. Himari closed her eyes and let the energy inside. The force was so great that Zeno Izuku and Kranoa were pushed back. I laid on that hunk of rock beaten and bleeding thanks to my training that was one of the few times I felt that I was going to die. However that's when it happened. I thought back to my father and mother, how they died to protect me. That's when I promised to never be weak again. At that very moment it seemed as if God had answered my prayers. I ascended. I see so you are the Saiyan of myth then, the legendary Super Saiyan, Zeno Izuku said transforming into SSJ4. That's a cool name I think I'll call myself that, thanks. But now it's time for you to die, Himari said, rushing at Zeno Izuku. Zeno Izuku blinked and in that split second she disappeared. Where did she go? He said. He saw nothing but felt it when her foot kicked him in the side. Gah! The impact was strong enough to push some of the sea away. Zeno Izuku spit out blood as he crashed into the ocean. Izuku! Kranoa yelled out but was quickly silenced when Himari appeared in front her, the lighting coming off of her sparkled. Himari just stared her down, and with an open palm strike she sent her flying towards the sea as well. Ha! Zeno Izuku emerged from the ocean with blood dripping down his lip and breathing heavily. You think you can just do this to me? Himari smirked, which just pissed off Zeno Izuku more. Cocky brat. I'll show you. His body glowing as he cupped his hand together. Kamehameha. Bakugo watched as the blast hit Himari, engulfing her in a massive fireball. Himari, he yelled out. Zeno Izuku's breathing was heavy. How do you like that, you second-rate Saiyan? Is that all you got? A voice said through the smoke. That better not be all, because I would be very disappointed. As the smoke cleared, Zeno Izuku was seen falling back in fear. Himari was still standing. No, you. This can't be happening. I was supposed to be the strongest, Zeno Izuku said in defeat. If you're done, then I think it's time to end this. In a split second, Himari appeared in front of Zeno Izuku and punched him in the stomach, causing him to fall forward. She then followed it up by doing a backflip which kicked him into the air. Blood poured out of his mouth as he stopped himself in midair. Any last words? Himari asked as he pointed an energy blast at Zeno Izuku. The fight was over. Zeno Izuku didn't stand a chance. Yeah, I'll see you in hell. Surprised that he would say that, Himari let down her guard and Zeno Izuku took full advantage and grabbed Himari from behind, wrapping his legs around hers and locking his arms in place. What the? Let me go. Himari tried breaking free from his grasp but found that she couldn't. Zeno Izuku laughed. If this is really it, then I'll make sure to take you down with me. I appreciate the hug, but I'm engaged now, so can you let me go? Himari asked, flailing around. That's when Bakugo understood what he was doing. Himari, get out of there, he's going to blow himself up. Himari's eyes went wide. Why you wouldn't I? Small blue particles began to appear around them. What's wrong? Not much fun now, huh? And to make sure you die, I'll add something else. Kaioken. The red aura of Kaioken flared up, adding to the explosive yield. Melissa, can you swim? He asked. Melissa nodded. Yes, go drop me, I'll be fine, go save her. Bakugo made sure to fly down to a safe height and let her go. Hold on, Himari, I am coming. In the water, Melissa pushed a button on her watch, creating a small boat. Himari kept on trying to break free. The particles around them began to get pulled towards them, surrounding them both in a bluish glow. I'm sorry, Kranoa, but I won't be able to hold up my end of the deal, Zeno Izuku said, closing his eyes, and the blue light began to glow brighter and brighter. This much energy will destroy the earth. The least I can do is make sure you don't hurt anyone else. With everything she had, Himari managed to fly upwards, fighting against Zeno Izuku all the way. Himari, hold on, I'm coming. Bakugo yelled out as a tear fell down his face. He was fast but not fast enough to catch up to her. I'm sorry, Bakugo, but this is the only way. Before I met you I thought there was nothing left to love, but you proved me wrong. Managing to bring her left hand up, she looked at the diamond ring on her finger. You showed me that I could love again. Say goodbye. The golden light engulfed as it expanded outward. No, Bakugo yelled as Zeno Izuku erupted in the sky. The energy he expelled was so intense that the very earth shook from the sheer power. Bakugo, while still miles away, was caught up in the shockwave. Himari, he said, closing his eyes as he fell to the ocean. But just as he was about to hit the water, something stopped him. Opening his eyes, he noticed Uraraka shaking him. Bakugo, get a hold of yourself. Ochako, is that you? He said, grabbing onto his head. Bakugo, what happened? Here, she said. Looking around, he noticed Whis and Beerus. What? Who are you? He asked, but then he had a much pressing matter. Himari, where is she? He reminds me of Vegeta, said Beerus. Bakugo, I don't know where Himari is. Tell me what happened, Uraraka said, trying to calm her friend. Himari, she transformed and was beating the other Izuku. She was about to end it, when he grabbed her and blew himself up along with her. Bakugo looking to the sky. No, please, not her too, Uraraka said as she focused, trying to lock onto her energy. I don't feel her energy. It's gone. She's gone, Bakugo said, falling to his knees. I'm sorry to interrupt, but is that who you are looking for? Everyone turned to Whis, who was pointing at something falling from the sky. Bakugo's eyes went wide. It's her, Himari, he said, rocking out towards her. The closer he got, the more worried he got, until he finally caught her out of the air. There in her arms was Himari, her arms limp, her body covered in cuts and bleeding. Her back was in shreds. Bakugo checked for a pulse. He checked nothing. He couldn't even see her chest rising. She's not breathing. He flew back down to where Uraraka. Their Whis created a small platform to where he could put her down. Thanks. Is she? Uraraka couldn't finish the sentence. She's gone, he said as tears fell from his face. If I may, there might be a way for you to help her, Whis said, looking at Bakugo. Bakugo whipped away his tears. Please tell me, I'll do anything. You have to transfer your life key to her, however this will lower your life expectancy, Whis said. Are you still willing to do it? If it means saving her, then I'll gladly do it. Bakugo had determination in his eyes. Whis smiled. Very well, place a hand on her. Bakugo did as he was told. Now focus, allow your key to flow into her. Feel her heart call out for it. Closing his eyes, Bakugo began to focus. Suddenly his body began to emit a strange green glow that slowly made its way to his hands and then onto Himari. Come on, let this work. That's when Bakugo felt a sharp pain coming from his heart. He then started to cough out blood. Bakugo! Uraraka yelled out in concern. I am fine, so this is what it feels like to give up your life for someone, he said, smiling. After a minute of this, Himari suddenly let out a loud gasp. She was alive. Himari. Be Bakugo? She said, her eyes struggling to stay open. Bakugo grabbed her injured hand. I'm here. Good, that's good, she said, falling unconscious, succumbing to her injuries. This scared Bakugo. It's fine for now, she's out of any mortal danger, but she still needs to heal, said Whis. This Saiyan woman has a lot of potential, Beerus said, looking at Himari. Now, we got you here safely just as I promised. Now it's time for us to leave. Uraraka looked at Beerus, surprised. Wait, are you not going to help us get Deku back? No, there's nothing we can do now that he's in the void, Beerus said, yawning. But there has to be a way, Uraraka said with a sad look on her face. Beerus put his hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry for you, Luz, but it's time to face reality. He isn't coming back. Uraraka refused to believe that. She wouldn't believe that. I won't give up. I know Deku will get out of that place, I know it. You are free to believe what you like, just don't get your hopes up, Beerus said. He then turned to Whis. Find us an island where we can drop them off, then we'll leave. Very well, Lord Beerus. Whis was about to tap his staff when he sensed something. Oh, what's this? Someone is breaking through space and time. Uraraka was in tears when she felt an all too familiar key. There's no way. Looking to the sky, she noticed something opening up in the sky. What is that? A large area of the sky turned black in color. What the heck is that? Bakugo yelled out. Suddenly it began to crack, exposing a blue light coming from within it. Beerus's eyes went wide and his mouth almost hit the floor. Whis, that's a portal to the void, is it not? Whis nodded. Yes, and it appears something, or rather someone is breaking out of it. It can't be. Just how strong is he? Beerus said as the blue shine began to glow brighter. He truly is the son of that man, Whis said, smiling. What followed was an explosion of blue energy that shook the sky, and two objects were seen flying out of it. Uraraka's eyes went wide. She immediately knew who they were. Deku. I knew that place couldn't hold you back, she said, smiling. What the hell? Since when does Deku have blue hair? Bakugo asked as he saw his friend floating in the air. Izuku's breathing was heavy. Man, that took a lot more out of me than I thought, he said, looking around. Wait, am I back on Earth? That means, the other me is here? Deku. Izuku looked down to find Uraraka with Bakugo, Whis, Beerus, and a badly injured Himari. Ochako, he yelled out with a smile on his face. Finish him off, she yelled out. What? Oh right. Izuku turned his attention to Mira, who also made it through the portal as well, but he looked like he was about to drop dead. Enough, kill me, you won, Mira said in defeat. His suit was torn, his body bleeding from the cuts and bruises, and worst of all, he was missing an arm. Izuku smirked. Glad we came to the same conclusion. Izuku raised his hand and began to charge a ki blast. Goodbye, he then fired. Mira closed his eyes as the blast got closer, but as it was about to hit, a hand pierced his back. What? Followed by another hand. Izuku watched as Mira was getting split in two. He then watched the two halves fell to the ocean. Looking up at who did it, he was surprised to see Zeno Izuku. Bakugo couldn't believe it. That bastard is still alive. Take that, you son of a b*tch. That was for my wife. Zeno Izuku had injuries all over his body. You, he said, looking at Izuku. We meet again, another me, Izuku said, narrowing his eyes. So do you still want to fight? Cause I'm ready if you still feel like fighting. Blood dripped from Zeno Izuku's arm. He was in no shape to fight. Zeno Izuku scoffed. As much as I want to, I think I'll have to postpone our little fight. A wise choice, but if you ever come back I will kill you. Remember that, Izuku said, staring down Zeno Izuku. I'll take that under consideration. Let's go, Chronoa, we are leaving, Zeno Izuku said as Chronoa appeared out of thin air behind Izuku. Very well, now that Mira is gone our objective is complete for the most part, but be warned, Izuku. You will be the reason this world falls. Chronoa made her way towards Zeno Izuku. Snapping her fingers she created a portal and the two walked through it. Zeno Izuku went through it, but Chronoa stopped. I hope the future I saw doesn't come to pass, Izuku. I swear that it won't, he said. Chronoa smiled as she went through the portal. Izuku let out a sigh of relief. Deku. A voice called out to him, but before he could turn around something hit him on the side. Looking down he saw Uraraka hugging him. He smiled. Hey Ochako, sorry I made you worry again. Uraraka whipped away a tear. Yeah, you sure did. You made us both worried. The important thing is that we are safe. By the way, I'm liking the blue. You like it? I don't know, I think it's too blue if you ask me, Izuku said, chuckling. Well, it seems you've ascended once again, Izuku, said Beerus, appearing in front of them. I know, right? I can feel so much power building inside of me, it's amazing, said Izuku. Beerus smiled. Yes, while it is quite impressive, I've made my decision. Lord Beerus? I've decided, Izuku Midoriya. You will be the next god of destruction, said Beerus. Izuku's eyes went wide. I'm sorry, Lord Beerus, but I will have to decline. I like my life as it is now. I wasn't asking, Beerus said, his voice turning serious. Izuku narrowed his eyes. No, I refuse, Beerus sighed. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, he said, raising his hand at Izuku. You're going to be the next god of destruction whether you like it or not. A purple and black energy sphere appeared in the palm of Biru's hand. Alright everyone, I am going to be 100%. I am thinking of ending this story soon, not because I'm getting bored. It's that I feel like the quality of writing has gone way down and I don't want to put out trash. Take this chapter for example. I feel this was terrible, but after 2 weeks of brainstorming I still think it's bad. And I'll give it myself 2 chapters to bounce back and then I'll see what I'll do. Thank you all for all the support. Destroyer. Izuku stared down the ball of destruction. You don't want to do this, Lord Beerus. Was that a threat? Beerus asks as the ball of destruction glows purple. Izuku clenched his fists ready for a fight. There has to be another way we can solve this without fighting, Uraraka said, stepping in between the two. Stay out of this, woman, this doesn't concern you, unless you want to get whipped out of existence, he said, pointing the ball of energy at Uraraka. Izuku's eyes went wide. You won't touch her, he yelled, rushing at the god of destruction, his blue aura flaring out as he punched Beerus across the face. The ball of energy disappeared as Beerus was pushed back. Beerus recovered and slowly began to look up at Izuku with blood on his lip. So that is your answer? Beerus whipped the blood from his lip. Then we'll decide this with a fight then. A battle to the death. Suddenly a ominous-looking purple aura began to surround Beerus. Izuku's blue aura crashed into Biru's purple aura. The power they were given off was enough to push Uraraka, Bakugo and Himari away. Bakugo managed to hold onto Himari as she was still out thanks to the explosion. Both fighters flew at each other. Both readied their punches. As the two fists met in the middle, an explosion rattled the earth itself. Uraraka and Bakugo both felt this ripple and began to fall towards the ocean. They are going to destroy the planet if they keep going, Uraraka asked, regaining her balance. Both fighters smiled before exchanging blows, each strike causing mini explosions as their fists hit each other. Izuku ducked under one of Biru's punches, leaning back and kicking Beerus away. Beerus held onto his stomach in pain. It's been thousands of years since I've had some to fight at full power. Seeing Izuku rushing him, Beerus raised his hand. Hakai, he launched the ball of energy at Izuku. Izuku's eyes went wide as the ball of energy surrounded him, causing him to yell out in pain. Ga hhhh. Beerus then appeared in front of the trapped Izuku. Well, it seems you still can't stand up to a god, Izuku. So have you changed your mind about being the next god of destruction? Hurry up and answer me, the destruction energy is going to consume you soon. Izuku gritted his teeth. I refuse. I will not be a puppet of the gods, he yelled as he clenched his hands. Then you can die a free man. Beerus turned away to allow the energy of destruction to do its job. However, as he was flying away he heard a yell. Ha! Turning around he noticed Izuku was powering up. Give it up, you won't be able to escape. Accept your fate and disappear, Beerus said, surprised that he would even try to escape. From within the purple ball of energy Izuku smiled. You think me powerless, Lord Beerus? As Izuku began to power up, blue streaks of blue light began to pierce the ball of energy. Biru's eyes went wide. I am possible, ha! In one powerful yell Izuku emerged from the ball of destruction. The top part of his uniform was completely gone. His body glowed blue as he tried to catch his breath. He cancelled out my destruction energy. Only someone at the same or greater power level can do that, Beerus said, retreating in fear. Now where were we? Oh, that's right. Izuku disappeared from Beerus's sight and reappeared in front of him. If I remember correctly, you said a battle to the death, no? Not waiting for his response, Izuku kneed Beerus in the stomach, causing him to spit out blood. Don't get cocky, kid. Beerus yelled out, punching Izuku in the stomach. This is far from over. In all the fighting, one person stood around doing nothing. Whis watched as the two fighters pummeling themselves to death. If this continues on, they one or both of them are going to die. What shall I do? Suddenly Whis' staff began to bip and glow. Oh, who might this be? Hello. Suddenly a projection of the Grand Priest was shown. Whis, how is going with the Saiyan? Ah, Grand Priest, the situation is handled. It seemed our presence was not needed. However, something else has come up, Whis said, looking at the sky. What is it, Whis? The projection of the Grand Priest asked with concern. Well, it seems Lord Beerus is trying to force young Izuku to become the next god of destruction, Whis said, embarrassed. And well, they're kind of having a deathmatch right now. The Grand Priest sighed. What is it with your universe always looking to fight? Stop them. Zeno wants to meet the Saiyan. Whis was surprised at this. He does. Very well, we shall be there in a few minutes. Let's see if these two will listen. Before he could say anything else, the sky began to glow blue and purple. Oh. Looking up, Izuku cupped his hands together, preparing to fire a Kamehameha at Beerus. Let's end this, he said as a ball of blue energy began to form in his hands. Beerus followed suit and created two small balls of destruction, then merging them together into one giant ball of energy. This would have been a lot easier if you just accepted. Now die along with this world. Kamehameha, Hakai. The two energy blasts began to rocket across the sky. Uraraka and Bakugo braced for the impact. Both Izuku and Beerus smiled as the two energy blasts grew ever closer to each other. That's enough. Appearing in between the two blasts, Whis raised his hands. As soon as the blasts hit his hands, they disappeared. If this goes any future, I fear that this planet will not be able to take it, so please power down, both of you. I have a message from the Grand Priest. Izuku was surprised but complied. Fine, he said, powering down his hair reverting to its natural color. After a moment the aura surrounding Beerus disappeared. What's this about Whis? It appears that Zeno would like to meet our Saiyan friend, Whis explained. Beerus's jaw hit the floor. Zeno wants to meet him, why? The Grand Priest did not say, but we shall head there at once. Twirling his staff, Whis pointed it at Izuku and instantly his injuries were healed and his uniform was repaired. There, now you look more presentable. Just then Uraraka, Bakugo with Himari in his arms, flew next to them. Deku, she yelled out, hugging him. Is it over? I don't know, is it? He asked, giving Beerus a death stare. Beerus turned away. For now yes, but this is not over. Well then, shall we get going? Asked Whis. Where are you guys going? Asked Uraraka. It appears someone named Zeno wants to speak to me, Izuku said, holding Uraraka by the waist. If you're going then, so am I, Uraraka said firmly. Izuku smiled. Well, you heard her, she goes too or I don't go at all. Whis looked surprised but relented. Very well. He then waved his staff towards Uraraka and changed her ribbed clothes for her hero costume minus the helmet. Izuku, if you would be so kind and take us to the Supreme Kai, he could take us to where Zeno is instantly. Izuku nodded. Alright then, everyone grab on. Whis and Beerus held onto his shoulder as he placed 2 fingers on his forehead and focused. Got it. Bakugo, take Himari to a hospital, they can save her. Oh, and don't forget about Melissa, she's still down there somewhere. Later. Hey, wait up. But it was too late. Izuku and everyone else was already gone. Of course. Well, no time to waste, I need to get Himari to a hospital. Sacred world of the Kais. It seems that all is well once again on Earth, Supreme Kai said, standing at the edge of a cliff looking up to the sky. Suddenly everyone appeared behind him. Hey Supreme Kai, it's been a while. The Supreme Kai jumped from the sudden noise. My god Izuku, you can't do that. You're going to end up killing someone. Sorry about that, Izuku said, rubbing the back of his head. It's fine, so what can I do for you all today? He asked. We would like you to take us to Zeno's palace. Apparently he would like to meet Izuku, Beerus spoke up. Zeno. Sweat began to pour down Supreme Kai's face. Izuku. Ochako, listen to me well, do not do anything that might offend Lord Zeno. Why is he so strong that he even scares Lord Beerus? Asked Uraraka. Whis nodded. Yes, if he so chose it, Lord Zeno can whip this whole universe out of existence with a wave of his hand. Izuku's eyes went wide. Whoa, alright, this turned more serious. Alright, I won't do anything that might offend him. Good, shall we go? It's not wise to keep Lord Zeno waiting, Whis said. Supreme Kai nodded. Yes. He walked to Beerus and Izuku. Now please grab onto them, we shall get there instantly. Whis grabbed Beerus by the shoulder, while Uraraka grabbed Izuku's hand. Kai. They were suddenly teleported away in a flash of white light. They reappeared in front of a building in the shape of the kanji symbol. Izuku and Uraraka were in awe of this place. Whoa, this place is amazing, he said looking around. You can say that again, this has to be the most beautiful place I've ever seen, Uraraka said looking around as well. Suddenly a voice was heard. I'm glad the two of you think so. The door to the palace began to open up, slowly revealing a small man. He looked like a mini version of Whis. Welcome guests to Zeno's palace, he said, addressing Izuku and Uraraka. They bowed respectfully. Thank you for having us. The Grand Priest smiled. Well, it seems like this Saiyan has more manners than the other one. Whis laughed. He does. Well, let me introduce them. This is Izuku Midoriya and his wife Ochako Midoriya. Ah yes, the half Saiyan. I've heard a lot about you, the Grand Priest said looking at Izuku. He then turned his attention to Uraraka. Oh, what's this? It seems you are pregnant, my dear. Congratulations, he said smiling. Could it be? Never mind, congratulations. Uraraka blushed. Thank you, sir. Well, shall we go? Lord Zeno is waiting. The Grand Priest turned around and began to fly towards the open door. Everyone quickly followed suit. As the doors closed behind them, Izuku was shocked to see the long pathway lit up from the ground and large pillars lighting the pathway. His aura, it's so calm, but I can tell he's strong, Izuku said, staring at the Grand Priest. Just like Goku. Please Izuku, I know you have Saiyan blood and itch for a challenge, but don't go and ask him to fight. He will kill you faster than you can blink, was said, warning Izuku. He nodded. I know, plus Ochako is here, so if I do something stupid she's going punch me. Izuku whispered the last past, hoping that she didn't hear it. I heard that, you know, she said, pouting. As they were walking, they were pulled by a strange light. They then appeared in a giant room. The roof, if you can call it that, had planets and other celestial bodies. The room also had pillars that faded as they reached towards the sky. From the ceiling down came 2 tall, slim-looking individuals that wore purple jackets with golden lining. Then came down a golden throne, and sitting on the throne a small child. He had an oval-shaped head. His skin was mostly blue but had the sections where his ears are purple in color. He wore a magenta and yellow-lined coat, with yellow pants and magenta shoes, and his face was plain-looking. Instantly Beerus and Supreme Kai fell to their knees and bowed their heads. Izuku and Uraraka saw this and fell to one knee, paying their respects. Lord Zeno, this is the Saiyan and his wife. He looks a lot different from Goku, Zeno said looking at the Grand Priest. Of course he does, my lord. This one is a half-breed, however he possesses the same powers as Goku, the Grand Priest explained. Really? Zeno said with delight. Show me, show me. Yes, of course. The Grand Priest then turned to Izuku. Izuku, if you would be so kind, can you please show Lord Zeno your Saiyan powers? Izuku looked up and nodded. Yes, of course. He then stood up. Before we begin, is it alright if my wife steps back? I don't want her to get hurt in any shape. It's fine, Izuku. No harm shall come to her as long as I am around, Whis said, reassuring him. Izuku smiled. Thank you, Whis. He then turned back to Lord Zeno. Well, first we start off as a Super Saiyan. His hair and aura around him turned golden. Then we kick it to Super Saiyan 2 inches, then lightning sparks appeared around his body. Now Super Saiyan 3. Ha! In a burst of golden energy, Izuku's hair grew in length. Woo, I remember that Goku did the same thing, Zeno said, happy at what he was seeing. Keep going. Yes, sir. Reverting back to his base form, Izuku closed his eyes and focused. The air around him began to shift. Opening his eyes, Zeno noticed they were red in color. Then the crimson red of Super Saiyan God covered Izuku, changing his hair. This is a Super Saiyan God, and now for my final transformation. Clenching his hands, Izuku's aura began to flare out. Ha! A blue light covered Izuku's body, and after a few seconds it began to crack. Slowly but surely the light shell exposed Izuku's eyes and hair blue in color. This what I call Super Saiyan Blue. Whoa! It's been so long since I've seen these transformations, Zeno said, clapping. The Grand Priest smiled. Well, it seems this Saiyan may be stronger than Goku in this form. I would dare say even stronger than a destroyer god. Good work, Izuku, you pleased Lord Zeno with your power. Izuku bowed. It was my honor showing him, he said, powering down. Seeing these transformations made me think back to the Tournament of Power. Maybe it's time to have another one, but with different rules, Zeno said, thinking about it. Oh, it has been a while since we've had one. We would have to discuss this on a later date, said the Grand Priest. Suddenly someone teleported in, interrupting the Grand Priest. Lord Zeno. Turning around, Izuku saw a tall humanoid alien who had tan skin and huge white mustache. He wore attire similar to that of Beerus. He was also accompanied by a female version of Whis. Margarita had twin tails. Toppo, this is rather rude, don't you think? The Grand Priest said, giving Toppo a glare. He immediately fell to his knees. Please forgive my rudeness, but the matter is urgent. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. The Grand Priest kept giving Toppo a stare, but then turned his attention to Izuku. It seems we have to cut our time short, Izuku, and for that I am sorry, he said, slightly bowing. Izuku smiled. Please don't worry about it. Meeting Lord Zeno was more than enough. Oh wait, Izuku, before you go. Zeno himself floated towards Izuku and stopped in front of him. Goku gave me a nickname last time he was here, so I want you to call me Zeni. A nickname? Are you sure it's appropriate? He said, turning to her for help. Zeno nodded. Yup, I want you to call me Zeni. Well, alright then, Zeni. I'll see you real soon, alright. Hey, maybe by then the baby will be born and you can play with them, Izuku said with a smile. Yay, I can't wait, Zeno said, flying around excited. Well, bye-bye for now, he said, waving goodbye. Just as Izuku turned to leave, Toppo stood up and walked towards Izuku. Hold it, I can allow you to leave after speaking to Lord Zeno in that casual manner. His giant hand blocked Izuku's path. You humans are all the same. Izuku raised an eyebrow at this statement and pushed Toppo's hand away. I don't know what you think you know about humans, but you are sorely mistaken. Also, I'm half Saiyan and half human. Let's go, Ochako. Thanks again for inviting us, Zeni. Such insolence, Toppo's giant hand began to glow purple, glowing with destruction energy. With Izuku's back turned, Toppo fired an energy blast at him. Sensing something, Izuku turned around just in time to see the blast heading his way. Ochako, look out! Pushing her out of the way, Izuku grabbed the blast. His hand began to glow blue as the energy of a Super Saiyan Blue coursed through his body. You just made the biggest mistake of your life, Izuku said, crushing the blast. Toppo stood shocked. A mere mortal destroyed my blast. Izuku suddenly appeared in front of him. His hair had turned blue. What? Flipping in the air, Izuku brought down his leg, hitting Toppo on his shoulder with enough force to bring him to his knees. Zeno's guards quickly moved in front of them to protect him, and the Grand Priest did as well, putting up a force field. Izuku retreated, letting out his blue aura, ready for whatever came next. Why you dare strike a god of destruction? That will be your last mistake. This time Toppo's entire body began to glow purple. Before either of them could move, the Grand Priest spoke up. That's enough, you two. Both fighters powered down. You are not fight in front of Lord Zeno. Do I make myself clear? Izuku felt a shiver run down his spine. Yes, sir, they both responded. Good, now you may leave, Izuku. We shall contact you at a later date, the Grand Priest said, waving them off. Izuku bowed and began to leave, but not before giving Toppo a death glare. With Uraraka by this side, they teleported outside of Lord Zeno's palace. Well, that was eventful, Uraraka said. It sure was. I wonder what was his problem, Izuku said, thinking if he did anything that might have offended him. That's just how Toppo is. He tolerates nothing when it comes to the gods. Especially Lord Zeno. He once destroyed someone for bowing too slowly, was said as they stood outside Zeno's palace. Whoa, that guy reminds me of Iida, Uraraka said, holding back a laugh. A stickler for the rules? Izuku snickered. Oh well, shall we head back? Yes, let's. Supreme Kai placed a hand on Whis and Izuku. Kai. In a white light they disappeared. They reappeared on the world of the Kais. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, Izuku, about what we're talking about. Beerus turned his attention to Izuku. I said you are going to be the next god of destruction. Sorry, but the answer is still no. Izuku then felt Uraraka's hand intertwined with his. Turning to her, he smiled. I already have everything I need right here. A beautiful wife and a child on the way. What more can a guy ask for? But you would get to fight strong opponents all the time. I know your Saiyan side is itching to get a piece of that, Beerus said. Well, I guess that's true. There is something inside me that just wants to fight, but my human side just wants to keep the life I have now, Izuku said, turning to Uraraka. If that means making an enemy of the gods, then so be it. But I'll warn you only once, come after my family or friends and not even Zeno would be able to stop me. Whis was surprised as his words and Beerus could only stare at the young Saiyan, his wife by his side. You will soon find out that the power you possess now will not be enough, and when that time comes you will come to me begging for my power. Let's go, Whis, there is nothing left for us here. Beerus turned and went to Whis' side. We shall meet again, Izuku Midoriya, you can count on that. Oh, and congratulations on being a father soon, Beerus said. They rocketed into the air as Whis waved goodbye. Izuku and Uraraka watched them leave. Do you think it was wise to turn Lord Beerus down like that? Asked the Supreme Kai. Izuku nodded. Yes, I won't regret this decision. If danger does come my way I'll face it just like everything else in my life. Head first with no real plan, Uraraka finished his sentence. Hey, Izuku pouted. Uraraka laughed, but this time you'll have me with you and our little plus one. He smiled. You're right. Well, shall we head to the hospital? We had to see if Amari is alright, Izuku said, holding out his hand. Uraraka looked at it and smiled. Yeah, let's go, taking his hand. Izuku put 2 fingers on his forehead. We'll see each other later, Supreme Kai, later. And with a thwip he was gone. Hospital. After saving Melissa, Bakugo headed to the hospital to get Amari the help she needed. Even Recovery Girl showed up to heal her. He was now waiting outside the waiting room when Izuku and Uraraka teleported in, causing him to jump. Jesus, don't do that, he said, holding his chest. Sorry, bad habit. So how is she? Izuku asked. From what I heard, the explosion ruptured most of her internal organs. She would be dead right now if it weren't for the fact she was a Saiyan. You bastards are as durable as they come, Bakugo said, looking at Izuku. Yeah, they are hard-headed, aren't they? Uraraka said, playfully hitting Izuku on the side. So what happened after you guys left? You gave no warning, Bakugo asked, sitting down. The couple looked at each other. You aren't going to believe us even if we told you. Bakugo laughed. With all I've seen you do, I'll believe just about anything now. Izuku and Uraraka then told Bakugo all about the Grand Priest, Lord Zeno, and even the other god of destruction. Whoa, alright, this is just crazy. But whatever. It's a good thing you turned down his offer, but if you ask me, he's not one to give up easy. You'll need to watch yourself from now on. Izuku nodded in agreement. Yeah, I know, but right now the most important thing is my family. Bakugo smiled. Don't get all sappy with me, Deku. Just then Recovery Girl showed up, taking over her medical mask. Oh, you're all here, good. Recovery Girl. How's Amari? Bakugo said, running up to the short woman. She smiled. She's fine, sweetie. She's out of any real danger and is actually awake somehow. Would you like to see her? Bakugo nodded. Yes. Please, she nodded, letting him pass, but not the other two, only one visitor at a time. Izuku and Uraraka sat on the chairs in silence, but suddenly Izuku remembered something. Ochako, the baby. Is the baby okay? She blinked. The baby is fine, and it's all thanks to Whis. He healed me, so don't worry. Plus, if the baby is anything like you, it only made them stronger. Why, yeah, you're probably right, but let's get you checked out just to be safe, he said, giving her puppy eyes. She relented. Alright, let's go. They went to the maternity wing of the hospital to have Uraraka checked out. Just as Uraraka said there was nothing wrong with the baby, great news for them. After thanking the doctor, they went back to check on Amari, but found All Might and Aizawa standing outside the room. Oh, thank God you two are safe, All Might said, going to hug them. We saw your fight with the help of one of Hatsume's satellites. We also felt your fighting with that weird cat thing. Your fight almost destroyed the world, you know. Again, Aizawa said. Yeah, sorry about that. On the bright side, I unlocked another power-up, said Izuku. Another one? How many can one person have? When will you be satisfied? Asked All Might in surprise. That's the thing, All Might, the more I fight the stronger I become. Honestly, I don't know if I have a limit, Izuku explained. Saiyans really are something else, said Aizawa. Oh, we have your parents and Eri at UA safe and sound, so you don't have to worry about them. Thank you, Aizawa, Izuku said, bowing slightly. For what? We still owe you for saving all of us once again, All Might said. Now let's go check on Amari. They all went to Amari's room against Recovery Girl's wishes, but eventually she relented and just let themselves enjoy each other's company. With Beerus, Whis and Beerus flew through the void of space. That half-Saiyan is something else, isn't he? Whis said, breaking the silence. He really is. Who would be crazy enough to turn down that much power? Beerus said, yawning. That's not what I meant, my lord. I was referring to when you were fighting him. You were giving it your all in that, but I sense he wasn't. If Izuku was fully healed and really wanted to, he could have killed you. Whis' voice turned serious. Beerus thought about it. Well, I suppose you were right. It appears now there are two people in the no universes that even a god of destruction can't destroy. Beerus smiled, but it quickly disappeared when he thought to a time when Goku and Vegeta were still alive. They got on my nerves, but those two never failed to entertain me. Maybe I should go visit them. Beerus sighed, I still have to find a successor, but I'm confident that he will come around and accept my proposal. He won't have choice. 9 months later. The girls decided to throw Uraraka a baby shower. They decided to have it at Izuku's and Uraraka's house since it was the biggest. The women were outside in the backyard, while the men were inside in the workout room. Bakugo wanted to see how strong Izuku was now. Are you sure you want to do this, Bakugo? Kirishima asked, looking at his friend stretching. Of course. I'm not scared of him, Bakugo said. Kirishima said, that's not why I'm worried. What if you get hurt? Bakugo stood up straight and looked at Izuku. Then I get hurt, so what? Come on, Deku, I'm ready, he yelled out. Izuku was talking to Iida when he heard Bakugo yell. Are you sure you want to do this? He asked, walking towards Bakugo. He nodded, yes, now come on, I'm ready. Izuku sighed, if I don't kill you, Himari will. Alright, let's get this over with. He let out his aura but didn't transform. Bakugo smiled, alright, he then followed suit with his aura pushing against Izuku's. Iida put his hand in the air, are both fighters ready? They nodded, ready, go. Bakugo rushed Izuku, but to his surprise he was stopped when Izuku appeared in front of him. Checkmate. Faster than Bakugo could react, Izuku punched him hard in the stomach, sending him flying towards a wall, breaking it on impact. The guys blinked and missed everything. The only they heard was Bakugo hitting the wall and then him breaking it, causing a hole. Jesus, couldn't you hold back, Izuku? Kaminari said as the dust cloud settled. Izuku rubbed the back of his head. Maybe. Let's see if he's alright. The guys walked towards the broken wall. Since they were on the second floor, they looked down to see Bakugo flat on his back, sprawled out in the middle of the girls. Oh. Looking at him was a very angry Himari. Izuku, she yelled out. Got to go, guys. Izuku quickly shot into the sky, trying to run away from Himari. Get back over here, you coward, Himari yelled out, chasing after him. The guys made their way downstairs and onto the backyard. So there they go again. Ribbit, Sue said, looking into the sky. They couldn't see them, but they heard the booms in the sky. Should she really be moving like that? Asked Momo. The girls looked at each other and shrugged. She'll be fine. Yeah, she's pregnant, but she's also a lot tougher than most, Uraraka said, rubbing her belly. I guess you're right, but still. Moving around in that, and at that speed, Zero said, grabbing a drink. That's when Bakugo woke up from his little nap. OWW, looks like I'm still no match for him. Also, don't worry about it, guys, the baby will be fine. She is a Saiyan after all. Hey, look who's awake, Todoroki said, helping Bakugo to his feet. We told you fighting him was a bad idea. Yeah, I know, but still I wanted to see how strong he's gotten. Still, he's gotten just a bit weaker in these last couple of months, he commented. Well, he has been taking care of me most of the time, but I promised him once the baby is born he could go back to training. Until then, no training, just desk work. I know I'm not being fair, but he agreed too, Uraraka said. So when do we find out if it is a boy or a girl? Toru asked excitedly. Uraraka smiled, soon Toru, All Might and Inko are going to arrive soon. Sensing something, Uraraka looked into the sky. Suddenly the two Saiyans came crashing down into the pool, causing a massive pillar of water. Eri was nearby and went to check on the two. Mom, Dad and Aunt Himari fought again, she yelled out. Who won, dear? Uraraka asked. Eri looked back into the pool to find Izuku as a Super Saiyan Blue had put Himari, who was in her SSJ2 form, in an arm lock. Dad won again. Thought so, thanks dear. Tell them to get out and dry off, Uraraka said. Eri nodded. Well, I think that's 150 wins for Deku and 0 for Himari. Deku hasn't trained in a few weeks, but he's still strong. The two Saiyans jumped out of the pool and landed on the grass, both powering down as they did. Man still can't beat you, Himari said, holding her arm. Izuku smiled. You'll get there eventually. Now come on, let's get out of these clothes. The two quickly went inside and changed Izuku. They finally came out and walked towards Uraraka. So it seems you're not out of practice, she said, looking at Izuku. Me? I'm never out of practice, Izuku said, transforming into a Super Saiyan and punching the air. Uraraka chuckled. Yeah, now power down, our parents should be here any moment now. Suddenly a voice was heard. Oh Izuku, how many times do I have to tell you to take it easy? Everyone turned to see Inko and All Might walking towards them. Izuku smiled as he powered down to his base form. Hey everyone, sorry we are late, we had to pick this up. But it wasn't ready, so we had to wait a bit for this, All Might said, holding a white frosted cake with a giant question mark in the middle. This boy never rests, does he? Mr. Uraraka laughed. Just wait until the kid is born, you will be begging for a good night's sleep. I remember when Ochako was born we didn't get a wink of sleep. Mrs. Uraraka stabbed into her husband's side. That's enough dear, don't scare them. Thanks mom. Oh, and don't worry, I know things are going to be tough, but I think we are ready for anything, Uraraka said, holding Izuku's hand. Inko went over to hug Uraraka. Are you excited to find out if you are having a boy or a girl? They pulled away from the hug. Of course, come on, I can't wait anymore. Everyone gathered around a table and All Might set down the cake. Alright, before you cut, what is everyone's final call, boy or girl? Boy, no girl, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, I have $20 on it. Well Izuku, what are you hoping for, boy or girl? Asked All Might. Izuku thought about it. Honestly I will love them no matter what, but if I had to say I would want a boy. All Might nodded before turning to Uraraka. What about you Ochako? I have to agree with Deku with this one. I would like a boy but I'd still love to have a girl, she said looking at her belly. All Might smiled. Well shall we find out? Alright you two, on the count of 3 cut the cake. 1, 2, 3. As soon as they heard Izuku and Uraraka both grab a knife and began to cut, they slowly began to lift the slice revealing the color blue. It's a boy, Mina yelled out in excitement. Izuku's eyes went wide as he saw the color. Uraraka yelled out in excitement. Well it looks like there is going to be a little mini Izuku running around soon, Inko said, wiping away a tear. Izuku hugged Uraraka, spinning her around in a circle. I'm so happy Deku, she said hugging him back. Me too, he's not even born yet and there's already nothing I wouldn't do for him, he said, putting Uraraka back on solid ground. Suddenly all their friends began to crowd them and congratulate them. They smiled enjoying this moment. After a few tears and congratulations everyone back to celebrate, playing some games and then came the gifts. Since the group didn't know what the gender was going to be they each bought something for each. It was about the tail end of the party when Izuku and Uraraka pulled Todoroki and Momo aside to talk. So we have something we like to discuss with the two of you, Izuku said with Uraraka by his side. Todoroki and Momo looked at each other. Is everything alright? Momo asked with concern. Uraraka smiled. Oh everything is fine, don't worry. We have a request, Izuku said. Both of them looked confused. We would like the two of you to be the godparents of our child, Izuku said putting his arm around Uraraka's shoulder. Todoroki's eyes went wide. Why you want us? Izuku nodded. Yeah, we'd think you two would be the perfect godparents. If anything were to happen to us, we'd feel you two would be able to take over for us. I would be honored, Todoroki said. What do you think Momo? A look of worry fell across Momo's face. I'm not so sure. Izuku and Uraraka looked at each other. Why not? What's wrong Momo? Asked Uraraka. I still haven't forgiven myself for what I did to you too, she said looking at the ground in shame. Momo, Uraraka gave her a look of sadness. We already forgave you years ago and so did Eri. I'm sorry I still can't, Momo said. That's when Izuku spoke up. Alright then how about this? Earn your forgiveness by becoming our child's godmother. That way you can forgive yourself. Momo lifted her head. Do you think I can forgive myself by doing that? Uraraka smiled. That will be up to you but I do know this you will be an amazing godmother. A tear began to form. Alright I'll do it, she said smiling. Awesome. Now let's get back to the party before the others notice we left, Izuku said leading the way. They went back and the party went on as usual. It was about time for everyone to leave but everyone had one final surprise for the parents-to-be. They told them to cover their eyes and lead them towards the house. Alright we are going to take the blindfolds off now. 1, 2, 3. Removing the blindfolds Izuku and Uraraka the mountain of postcards and letters that their fans had sent congratulating them. The letters came from the USA, China, United Kingdom, France, Egypt, Mexico, Brazil. Someone from every country had written at least one letter. What the? Uraraka said, looking at her living room filled with letters. How many are there? Asked Izuku admiring the pile. Our estimates have it at least 25 million letters, so what you are seeing is less than half. The rest is back at UA. It was the only place big enough to store them, Iida said fixing his glasses. 25 million. They both yelled out in complete shock. That's right, you won't believe Aizawa's face when he saw how many letters you received, All Might said snickering. Izuku grabbed one of the letters. Look Ochako, this one is from someone in the USA. He opened the card and began to read it out loud. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Midoriya, thank you for inspiring me and my brothers in becoming heroes. I am currently aiming for the prestigious Avengers Academy. Wish me luck. P.S. Congratulations on the baby. Well you look at that, you two are inspiring people across the ocean. All Might said proud that his students were achieving greatness. Yeah it's amazing isn't it Ochako? He said, turning to her but to his surprise she was looking facing away from him. Ochako, everything alright? She turned around with a look of worry on her face. Izuku. Izuku did a double take. The only time she calls him by his first name is when it's something serious. I think it's time. Time for what? He asked, tilting his head. Turning around everyone in the room eyes went wide. My water broke. Izuku began to panic. What do I do? We got to get you to the hospital. I can carry you but would that be safe? What do I do? What do I do? That's when Uraraka began to have contractions. Izuku, pull yourself together. Get her to the hospital, your parents won't be far behind, Bakugo said, grabbing Izuku and shaking him. That's when Izuku snapped out of his little panic. Alright. He quickly went to Uraraka's side and gently picked her up. He then turned to his mom and Uraraka's parents. Meet us at the hospital. He then addressed everyone else. You guys are more than welcome to stay here. We'll call you all when everything is over. Izuku rushed the door and quickly flew off into the air with Uraraka in his arms. The hospital was far away but not for Izuku. He wanted to get there fast but not too fast that he would hurt Uraraka. After a 2-minute flight they landed right at the door. Landing Izuku was holding Uraraka's hand as they walked into the hospital. Hey a little help here please, my wife is going into labor, he announced. Seeing the situation, the nurses quickly rolled over a bed for her. How long has been since she started having contractions? Asked one of the nurses as they pushed Uraraka through the hospital. A few minutes now, Izuku said, running beside the bed holding Uraraka's hand. One of the female nurses checked Uraraka. The baby is crowning, we need to get her to the maternity ward now. Lucky you, it looks like this is going to be a quick birthing process, she said to Uraraka. Lucky me, Uraraka said as the contractions began to happen more frequently and painfully. How are you holding up, Deku? Me? What about you, are the one who's going into labor, Izuku said, smiling. Remember when Mirid tortured me? Yeah, this is worse, she said, giving him a smile. Just hold on, Ochako, you are doing great. They soon arrived at the maternity room where they had a room ready for her. Izuku was about to walk in, but one of the nurses pushed scrubs at him. Put this on. Without a second thought, Izuku cut them on and quickly followed the nurse inside. There he found Uraraka in a gown, yelling and grunting in pain. I'm here, Ochako, he said, running to her side holding her hand. Izuku could feel her grip. Wow, you're stronger than I thought. Ow, ow, Uraraka was crushing his hand, but the pain he felt was nothing compared to her pain. Just then the doctor walked in. All right, Mrs. Midoriya, how are you this fine evening? Could be better, doc, she said, wincing in pain. All right, let's see how you are coming along. It looks like this little guy wants out already. It usually takes hours for birth to happen. This little kid must really want out. All right, Mrs. Midoriya, I'm going to need you to push for me, the doctor said. Uraraka began to push. Izuku could feel her grip tightening. All right, one more push should do it. On the count of 3, ready. 1, 2, 3, push. Izuku could only confront his wife. Then suddenly the sound of a baby crying was heard. Congratulations, you two. It looks like you have a nice healthy baby boy, the doctor said, smiling under his mask. Would you like to cut the cord, Mr. Midoriya? Why, yes. Izuku was given a pair of surgical scissors and cut the umbilical cord. Uraraka was in tears when she heard the baby cry. Here you are, Mrs. Midoriya. One of the nurses had placed the baby on Uraraka's chest. As soon as she did, the baby stopped crying. Deku, look. He's, Uraraka couldn't get the words out. He's so beautiful, Izuku said as tears ran down his face. Look, he has your eyes emerald green, Uraraka said as one of the nurses covered them in a warm blanket. He also has your messy hair, for better or worse, she said, giving a small chuckle. Izuku smiled. Yeah, but it's brown like yours and hey, no tail. Wow, you did an amazing job, Ochako. You deserve some credit too, Deku. I couldn't have done it without you, she said as Izuku leaned in and kissed her on the forehead. The doctor's job was done, so he went away, but not before congratulating the new parents. The baby suddenly began to cry. Oh, what's wrong, little guy? Uraraka asked. He's probably hungry. Here, let me help you, one of the nurses said, helping Uraraka sit up straight to allow the baby to breastfeed. There you go, you can rest now. We'll be back in a bit to check on you three, the nurses smiled, leaving the happy family. He's got quite the appetite, doesn't he? Uraraka said, looking at the baby. Well, all Saiyans eat a lot, so it makes sense, Izuku said, caressing the baby's head gently. So what are we going to name him? Uraraka smiled. I got the perfect name. Isamu. Isamu Midoriya. Isamu. Like courage. I like it. Isamu Midoriya. Izuku smiled, looking at his son. My son Isamu. Just then the nurses returned. Mrs. Midoriya, we have to check the baby now to make sure everything is alright. She nodded. Deku, go tell the others I can sense them outside, Uraraka said, motioning toward her stuff. Izuku nodded as he left the room. He removed the scrubs and went to the waiting room. There he found his mother, All Might, Eri and Uraraka's parents all waiting for them. Her father in particular was pacing back and forth in the lobby, that is until he saw Izuku. He ran to Izuku and grabbed him from the arms. My baby girl, how is she? What about the baby? The two women and Eric quickly walked up to Izuku to hear his response. Izuku smiled. They are both fine, no complication, no nothing. A few minutes ago Ochako gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. The nurses are in there right now checking on the baby. So when can we see our grandson? Asked Inko. Yeah, when can I see my new little brother? Eri said, jumping with anticipation. Soon, they will call you in after they give us the all clear, Izuku said, patting Eri on the head. So have you two decided on a name? Asked Uraraka's mom. Izuku nodded. Yeah, we did. Isamu. Isamu Midoriya. Isamu, I like it, sounds like courage. A fitting name, Uraraka's father said excitedly. I'm going to call the rest of the guys. Wait here until the nurse calls you. Izuku turned around and pulled out his phone. The first person he wanted to tell was Bakugo. Izuku began to dial the number. After only one ring, Bakugo picked up. Deku. He smiled. Hey Kachan, so how is she? Everyone wants to know if everything went well, Bakugo asked. Is everyone still there? He had such good friends. Yeah, they're here, and they're pushing me, he said, yelling. Izuku laughed. Put me on speaker. As soon as Bakugo did, the questions started to herd. How's Ochako? How's the baby? What's the baby's name? Did you come up with a name already? Guys, relax. Ochako is fine, she gave birth a bit ago. The baby came out fine. I was just about to go check up on them now. As for a name, we decided on Isamu, he said. The ahs could be heard from the girl and the boys could be heard celebrating. So how does it feel, Izuku, having a baby? Himari said through the celebrations. It feels like a dream. I now have another thing I have to protect, Izuku said, smiling. Well, you better do a good job at it, said Bakugo. My kid is going to need someone to train with. We'll talk about that later anyway. I call you guys later. Oh, feel free to drop by. We will, they all said. After finishing his call, he went back to Uraraka's room. Opening the door, he saw something he's been waiting his whole life to see. There was Uraraka on the hospital bed with baby Isamu in her arms wrapped in a blanket sleeping. Hey Deku, come here. Uraraka motioned him to come over. Izuku walked to her side. Hey Isamu, this is your dad. Here, hold him. He was nervous, he had never held a baby before. I don't know, how do I hold him? Uraraka chuckled. It'll come to you once you hold him. For now, support his head and put him up against your chest. Izuku picked up little Isamu and began to cradle him. There you go, you got it. Hey there little guy, it's me, your dad Izuku, he said, rocking the baby gently. Little Isamu yawned. Aw, aren't you just the cutest? Can you look after him while I get some rest, Deku? Uraraka asked, her eyes half open. Yeah, of course, you get some rest. Good job, Ochako, she nodded as closed her eyes. About 2 hours passed and Uraraka began to wake up. Looking around the room, she noticed her parents, Inko and Eri, standing around her. Hey everyone. Mom, you're awake, how are you feeling? Eri asked. I'm fine, Eri, just a bit tired. She then looked at her mother who was holding Isamu. Hey mom, hey dad. You did a good job, Ochako, her father said, holding Isamu. We couldn't be more proud, her mother said, kissing Uraraka on the forehead. Thank you, I love you too, said Uraraka. That's when Uraraka's mom saw Eri looking at baby Isamu. Would you like to hold him, dear? Eri looked up at her before turning to Uraraka. Can I, mom? Of course you can, Eri, she said as little Isamu was placed into her arms. Wow, he's so tiny, Eri said as she watched his sleeping face. I can't wait to have my own baby, she said jokingly. Izuku's head nearly twisted off when he heard that. Excuse me, what? Oh, you gonna wait? You gonna wait at least 12 more years, he said, protective of Eri. He's been like this since he found Eri and Koda kissing while on a date. Uraraka laughed. Relax Deku, she knows, make sure to support his head, Eri. Since their parents were already there for a while, they felt it was time to let some of their friends in to visit the four of them. First up was Bakugo and Himari. As soon as Himari walked into the room, she immediately went over to little Isamu. Eri was sitting down holding him in her arms. Ah, he's so cute, he's got your eyes, Izuku. Bakugo went over to Izuku and slapped him on the back. Well, he's the spitting image of the both you. Congrats. Thanks Kachan, said Izuku. Want to hold him, Himari? Eri asked. Himari's eyes gleamed. Can I? She looked over to Uraraka who nodded. Eri handed over Isamu and as soon as he was safe in her arms, Isamu began to cry. What did I do? Maybe you're scaring him. That face is kind of scary, Izuku said, laughing at Himari. Himari's face filled with despair. No, that couldn't be, right? Bakugo then walked over to her. Here, hand him over. She reluctantly handed him over to him. As soon as Bakugo grabbed him, Isamu stopped crying. Bakugo turned to her and gave her a smirk. Looks like he likes me more. Himari felt so defeated. Why? He doesn't like me, even though I'm going to be a mom soon too. Izuku placed a hand on Himari's shoulder. It's fine, babies don't know anything right now. I'm sure as he grows up he will like you. Himari looked at him with a tear in her eyes. Really? I know so, he gave her a big smile. Alright, good, she said, standing back up. 2 by 2 their friends came in to congratulate them and hold little Isamu. Towards the night the doctor came in and told them they would be going home in the morning. They wanted to keep Ochako overnight for observation, standard procedure. Izuku was allowed to stay, but Eri was not, still being a minor and everything. Inko told her to stay over at her place and that first thing in the morning they would meet their parents and her new little brother at home. Izuku, being the number 1 hero, got Uraraka a bigger room, one where he could at least have a seat and sleep. Kissing them both good night, Izuku went over to the chair and went to sleep. Isamu woke up a couple of times, but he was only hungry, so Uraraka took care of that. Izuku now had everything he could have ever wanted: a wife, amazing friends, 2 beautiful children, and most importantly a family of his own. He dreamt of the good times to come, but as of all dreams it must come to an end. Secret underground base location unknown. A shadowy figure walked along a long hallway full of giant tubes with something inside them. Each tube has a green liquid, and in that liquid the figure of deformed human was seen, each so disfaced they didn't even look human. Doctor, how is the procedure coming along? Asked someone coming from the darkness. His body was covered in a black mist. The doctor smiled. Come. Let me show you. The 2 figures walked in the lab, and at the end of it a tube similar to the other was seen. It was difficult, but after months of trying I finally was able to reverse engineer the blood sample I collected from that weird looking cat. That's when I found out what type of power it had, a power very similar to his. So did it work? Asked the mist. As far as I can tell, yes, but the process is slow. My best estimate has full completion in 7 days. The doctor said, looking at the person in the tube. His hair white in color, his skin broken and dry. With these new powers not even the number 1 hero would be able to stand a chance, the mist said, stepping out of the light, revealing to be Kurogiri. He then placed a hand on the glass tube. Soon the whole world will see what you've become. Slowly the person in the tube moved his fingers, then from out of nowhere he snapped open his eyes, revealing them to be red in color. Shigaraki had reawakened. His eyes gleamed red, but to Kurogiri's surprise a hint of purple energy surrounded his eyes. AN. Boom. Another chapter done. Izuku has a baby now and everything is perfect, right? I honestly thought I was going to end the story here, but no, I got an idea and I'm going to write about it in one final hurrah. This time no holds barred match. Anything goes. People will live, others will die. Stay to find out who. Also take your guesses on what new powers Shigaraki has. Relevance. High above the earth, Den stood on the edge of the lookout. He stayed up all night looking down. What is the presence I'm sensing? It's human, but there is something else. But what? Den went back to the main building. It was early too, so he was still tired, but as he was going back to his bed he sensed something. His eyes widened. As he turned around, the halls were covered in a black mist. I thought you'd come, but not this soon. The sounds of footsteps was heard through the mist, getting closer and closer. You aren't to run? The mystery person asked. As guardian of this planet I can't run. Den sighed, gripping his staff. I'm not much of a fighter either, but even if I was, fighting you would be pointless. True, so hand over the Dragon Ball. I know you have at least one, the mystery person said, holding out his hand. Sorry, but that isn't going to happen. I'd rather die than give you the Dragon Ball, Den said, glaring at this person. Den heard a sigh. Very well then, I'll just have to take it from you. Tapping his staff on the floor twice, Den created a force field around the lookout. I never said it was going to be easy now, did I? Now you're stuck in here with me? Den put his hand together in front of him and began to charge up. Ha! A golden light began to appear in his hands. His aura surrounded him as the light began to glow brighter. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. The mystery person didn't move as the light from the attack shined. All Den saw was a smirk coming from the mystery person's face. Den gritted his teeth, like grenade. Thrusting his hands forwards, the ball of energy escaped his hands. As it made contact with the person, a massive explosion rocked the lookout. The main building was almost completely destroyed. The outside was no better. The ground outside looked like it was on fire. Pieces of the main building had created craters all around the lookout. But since Den had put up the force field, the blast was contained to just the lookout. Den was still standing, his breathing heavy from the blast, his clothes in taters, and his body covered in injuries. I did it. I finally acted like the guardian of this planet, Den said, smiling. Just then from the smoke a laugh was heard. Ha ha ha. That was some attack. Good at picking up dust, that is. Through the smoke a purple aura was seen surrounding the mystery person. Den's eyes went wide. This is energy. How do you have day? Before Den could say anything else, the mystery person appeared in front of him and covered his mouth with his hand. Shush, don't say another word. I heard talking only makes it worse. Den noticed his eyes. Looking at him, a pair of purple eyes looked back at him. Den had a look of horror as he knew what this was. No, this impossible. How does he have that? I didn't want the Dragon Ball, but I've just realized I don't need them for what I'm going to do, so instead I'll take something much more valuable, the mystery person said. Just then Den could feel his mind. No, rather his memories, his knowledge being pulled from him. What did you just do? Den said in a muffled voice. The mystery person smirked. I've taken all that you know, Guardian, this world's history past and present. Now I know everything. Now you have no use for me. A purple began to shine from Den's mouth. His eyes widened as he knew what this meant. Den's body began to slowly disappear. He felt a burning sensation throughout his body. It started as his legs and moved its way up. As Den felt it in his head, his eyes relaxed almost as if he accepted his fate. Izuku will stop you, he said before finally disappearing into thin air. He's welcome to try, but things are different now. No, I am different now. As the moonlight pierced through the dust cloud, the face of Shigaraki was seen. No one can stop me now, not even the gods themselves. I will tear down this world. And from the destruction I will build a new one, he yelled out, letting out his aura again, but this time without Den's barrier. Everyone around the world could feel it. His aura was black and had a bit of red swirling within it. It ripped through the sky as he laughed maliciously. Finally calming down, he looked around him. I need to get out of here. I may be able to kill Izuku Midoriya now, but not yet soon. First I'm going to rip his world apart piece by piece, starting with his little friends. Moments ago, it was now 1 week since little Isamu was born. It was about 4 a.m. when Isamu began to cry. Izuku and Uraraka both woke up. Deku, she said, still asleep, it's your turn. Yeah, I know, the milk is in the fridge, right? He asked, getting out of bed. Is all Uraraka could say before falling back asleep. Izuku walked over to the crib and began to rock little Isamu as he went to the kitchen to grab the bottle of milk. Shush, it's alright, I know you're hungry, give me a second. After heating up the bottle to just the right temperature, Isamu began to drink everything up. Wow, you finished that bottle so fast, softly hitting Isamu on the back. Izuku had sure that he heard a burp. Once he did, he went to put little Isamu back in his crib and climbed back into bed. When he turned over, he saw Uraraka was awake and looking at him smiling. Oh sorry, did I wake you? He said, stroking her hair. Yeah, but seeing you holding Isamu made me happy, so it's fine, Uraraka said, smiling. Izuku leaned in and kissed Uraraka on the forehead. I'm happy too, Ochako. I never thought I would ever be with someone as beautiful as you. As the two went back to sleep, they were suddenly woken up by a powerful energy appearing out of nowhere. Everyone on the planet was suddenly hit by immense pressure. What is that? Isamu began to cry as he too felt the energy coming from somewhere. Uraraka ran over to him and hugged him close. Izuku was only ever scared a few times in his life, once when he was fighting E23, another time is when he fought Vent, and lastly when he met Lord Beerus. However, this was something entirely different. Just as Izuku was going to instant transmission to the person's location, the energy disappeared. Izuku relaxed and went over to check on Uraraka and Isamu. "You two alright?" he said, hugging them. Uraraka nodded. "Yeah, we are fine." Isamu just got a bit scared, that's all. Suddenly Eri came bursting through the door. "Eri, come here." Eri ran over to them in tears. They had taught Eri how to sense power levels. Izuku always made sure not to power up too much so Eri wouldn't be overwhelmed, or if the situation called for it he'd go into God mode since she couldn't sense God Ki yet. What was that? It was so deadly, I felt its killing intent from here. I don't know, but whoever it was, they were strong, Izuku said. As they all began to relax, Izuku's phone began to ring. Walking over to the phone he saw it was Himari. "Hello? You felt that, didn't you?" she asked. Izuku noticed her voice was serious. This wasn't Himari but rather the Saiyan side talking. "Yeah, I did," Izuku said, his face turning serious. "Who was that? The only thing that's strong on this planet is you. But it wasn't you, the aura was completely. There's another thing. The direction it was coming from, it wasn't near the surface. The source came from high above the planet," said Himari. "High above the planet, but what's in that direction?" That's when it hit Izuku. "The lookout." "The lookout? What the heck is that? Izuku? Izuku? Hello? You still there? Izuku?" Himari yelled out, but Izuku had dropped his phone. Izuku ran to the window. "Deku, where are you going?" Uraraka asked as he was about to take off from the window. "Stay here and don't leave the house," Izuku said, transforming into a Super Saiyan. "Wait, Deku." But before she could say anything else, Izuku took off into the sky towards the lookout. As he was flying, Izuku tried to focus on the den's energy but he couldn't find it. "Damn it, something is wrong," he said, making it to the tower and flying straight up. Izuku could see the lookout, but as he feared something was wrong, it looked like the whole place was covered in a blue flame. Izuku landed, and to his horror the place was destroyed. The floor had craters and the main building was almost completely destroyed. What happened here? He asked himself as he walked towards the main building. There was a fight, that's for sure, a voice said behind Izuku. On guard, Izuku turned around and went to punch whoever was behind him. A loud boom was heard, followed by a shockwave as his fist was blocked. "Izuku, it's me, Himari," she said, holding back his punch. Izuku relaxed as he saw who it was. "Himari, don't sneak up on me." Letting go of his fist, Himari began to shake it. "Sorry. Man, you didn't hold back on that hit, did you?" Looking at her hand, it began to turn red. "I'm not playing games now, Himari. That punch was meant to kill," Izuku said, powering down. Himari's eyes went wide. "Come on, we need to find Den. But keep your guard up," Izuku said, turning around and walking towards the main building. The two Saiyans walked through the halls of the destroyed building. "Wow, this is some damage. Who could have done this?" Himari asked. "I don't know, only a few people know this place exists. No one else should be able to find this." That's when Izuku kicked something. Looking down, he noticed it was Den's staff. Izuku knew Den would never let this go. Looking over to his left, there was a door. "This is the hyperbolic time chamber." Opening it, Izuku stepped in. "Den, you in here?" No response. "What the heck is this room?" Himari asked as she appeared behind Izuku. He turned around to leave. "I'll explain it later, come follow me." The two Saiyans exited the room. Izuku had one more place to check. "Izuku, where are we going?" Himari asked. "The storage room. Den told me once he found one of the Dragon Balls. If it's active, that means he's alive, but if they're deactivated, that means he's dead." Izuku opened the door to the storage room. Walking to the end of the room, a pedestal was found with a pillow and small all-white ball. Izuku's eyes went wide. "So, what does it mean?" "It means Den is dead and we just lost the Dragon Balls, *T. Himari, go back to Kachan and have him meet us at UA in the morning," Izuku said, grabbing the one Dragon Ball. "Izuku, what's going on? Why is this place important?" Himari asked, but Izuku ignored her and placed 2 fingers on his forehead. With a thwip he was gone, leaving Himari to go warn Bakugo. "No, that's fine, just leave without explaining anything." Uraraka was making hot chocolate for Eri to calm her down. Little Isamu was in his crib asleep. That's when she heard a thwip. Turning around, she found Izuku. "Deku, what happened?" That's when Uraraka saw the white ball in his hand. "Is that what I think it is?" Izuku looked away. "Yeah, it was a Dragon Ball." "Does that mean he's gone?" Uraraka knew the answer to that question, but she had to hear it. He nodded. "Yeah, Den's gone." Uraraka went over to Izuku and gave him a hug. "Deku, I'm so sorry. Who did this?" "I don't know, only a few of us knew about the lookout, 2 of which are you and me. The fact that they attacked Den makes me think this is a preventive attack. Whoever this is, they will strike again," Izuku said, putting the white ball down on the table. "I told Himari to call Kachan and have them go to UA. I can't sense the energy anymore, so it's safe to assume they won't attack until later. Try to get some sleep, Ochako, I'll be up, keeping guard," he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. Uraraka nodded. "Alright, but if anything happens, call me," and with that she grabbed little Isamu and went back upstairs. Eri stayed behind for a bit to finish her hot chocolate. Izuku stayed up for 4 more hours. It was 8 a.m. when he got a call from Bakugo. Hello. Himari tells me you want us to meet up at UA, said Bakugo. Yeah, Dend is gone. Kachan and so are the Dragon Balls, Izuku said with sadness in his voice. On the other side of them line Bakugo's eyes went wide. I am sorry Izuku. I know how much he meant to you. Thanks. But the other thing is that energy we all felt last night, it wasn't normal, Izuku said, turning to the TV. The news mentioned that everyone across Japan felt the energy wave, even people in the USA and Europe felt it. Yeah, that energy was off the charts. I'd even go as far in saying they were just or stronger than you. Izuku swallowed a lump in his throat. Why yeah, but the way they hid their power so fast. That's not normal. Even when I'm relaxed both you and Himari can still detect me if you focus. But with this guy, nothing, not even a trace, Izuku said thinking back. So what do you think, another alien? Bakugo asked. No, not this time. This person was human. I'm thinking quirk augmentations or something like that. But can someone really have that much power with only quirks? Izuku said as he began to get nervous. There is one person that comes to mind, Bakugo said. That's when it hit Izuku. No, he's supposed to be dead, he died in prison Kachan. I know, but think about it, with the amount of quirks he had, do you honestly believe he didn't have one that could bring him back to life? Bakugo said. Izuku thought about it, it's not impossible, but still. Just then Uraraka came running down the stairs. Deku, change the channel, the news you need to look. Izuku raised an eyebrow. What? Alright. Grabbing the remote, Izuku switched to the news channel. His eyes widened as he saw the headline. Number 4 Hero Hellfrost. Shoto Todoroki is in critical condition after being attacked by an unknown villain early this morning. His wife, Pro Hero Krieta, was also involved in this attack but appears to have a few minor cuts and bruises. I didn't even sense this attack, Izuku said, shocked that this had passed him. Izuku, get to the hospital, you can help him, Uraraka said, shaking him. Izuku snapped out of it. Alright. Kachan, head over UA now, and have Class 1A go as well. This confirms what I was thinking. I'm getting targeted. On it, Deku, be careful, alright? Bakugo said with concern. I will, just make sure you get there safe, Izuku smiled. Same goes for you, I don't want any more of my friend getting hurt. Izuku hung up and looked back at Uraraka. Grab what you need for Isamu and head over to UA. Eri, Izuku went down on one knee. Take care of mother, once I help Uncle Todoroki I'll head back with you three. Eri nodded, you can count on me dad, I know I can, well I'll be right back. Izuku placed 2 fingers on his forehead and with a thwip he was gone. Eri and Uraraka quickly got what they needed for little Isamu, stuffed into 2 backpacks and flew towards UA at top speed. With Momo sat beside the hospital bed holding Todoroki's hand, he was in bad shape. Come on Shoto, you can get through this, she said as a tear fell from her eyes. Don't worry Momo, he will be just fine, a voice said behind her. Turning around she found Izuku standing behind her. Izuku, sorry you had to see me like this, she said standing up whipping away the tears. He smiled, don't worry about it, showing this side of you is refreshing. Enough of that. Izuku walked over to the unconscious Todoroki. He was hooked up to every tube the hospital had. We had to put him on life support. With recovery girl in another country it will be a few hours before she gets back. The doctors told me he might not last that long, said Momo. Izuku clenched his fist. Who did this to him? He said, his voice turning stern. We don't know, the person was too fast for me to see but Shoto saw them if barely. He pushed me out of the way. Shoto tried to create a wall of ice but the villain broke through it. No, rather he destroyed it. The wall of ice was like tissue paper in water. It was destroyed so easily. The only thing I saw was a giant fist then. Then I saw Shoto on the floor bleeding, Momo said thinking back to this morning. I promise you Momo, I will find who did this to him. In the meantime, Izuku placed a hand on Todoroki's chest. A golden light began to appear on his hand. Izuku focused and transferred some of his energy into Todoroki. Izuku. What did you just do, Momo Aked? It's fine Momo, I just gave him some of my energy. It won't heal him completely but at the very least he won't be in any life-threatening danger anymore, Izuku said smiling. Momo broke down. Thank you so much Izuku. I don't know what I would have done if he died. It's fine Momo, he's my friend too. Listen Momo, once recovery girl gets here and heals him make sure to call me. I'm taking you two to UA for security reasons, Izuku said. What, why? Izuku, do you know who did this? Momo asked. Izuku shook his head. No, but I might know the reason why. I'm sorry. Izuku, why are you apologizing? She said getting up from her seat. Whoever is doing this is targeting me. They already killed a really close friend of mine, Izuku gritted his teeth. I am sorry Izuku, but you had to know this is not your fault, she said reaching out to him but Izuku walked away. It's fine Momo, just stay by his side. Remember what I told you, make sure to call me when recovery girl heals him. Without saying another word Izuku teleported out. So remind me why you are all here again? Aizawa asked. Looking tired as ever. In front of him was Uraraka with little Isamu in her arms, Eri, Bakugo, Himari, and most of Class 1A. Because I told them to all come here, said Izuku, appearing behind Aizawa. Jesus Izuku, don't do that, I'm getting old, you could kill me, Aizawa said holding his heart. Sorry, bad habit. Anyway, I told them to come. I have reason to believe they might be targeted by a villain, Izuku said, making his way towards Uraraka. A villain, you say? Who? Aizawa asked. No idea, but they already targeted Dend and Todoroki. That's when Izuku noticed 2 people were missing. Wait, where's Denki and Jiro? Everyone looked around. How they should have been here by now? Hold on, I'll call her, Mina said, pulling out her phone. All Might then came out of the main building. I've heard about the situation and we will allow you all to stay here on campus as long as you need to. Izuku smiled. Thanks All Might, this means a lot to me. Think nothing of it, son. You saved the world more than not, so this is the least I can do, he said, taking Izuku's hand and shaking it. So Izuku, what's the plan? Himari asked. The plan is that we keep everyone safe until I find out who is behind this. Himari, I'd like you to stay behind while I go back to the lookout, Izuku said. You want me to stay behind while there is a super-powered villain who, if I may add, seems to be just as or if not stronger than you? Yeah, no chance I'm going with you, Himari said, crossing her arms. This isn't up for discussion, Himari, Izuku said, glaring at her. Himari narrowed her eyes. What was that? Are you threatening me, Izuku? No, I'm just not playing around, said Izuku. Neither am I. Izuku sighed. Fine, I'll tell you why you can't. It's because of him, he said, pointing at Bakugo. You guys are going to have a kid soon, so I don't want you to get hurt. Himari stood there with a blank expression on her face before bursting into tears. Ah, how sweet, someone is concerned for me. Izuku blushed slightly. Shut up. No, really. Thank you for the concern, but you don't have to worry about me. You know full well how strong as Saiyans are, said Himari. Yeah, I know, but still, you're like a sister to me, Himari, and if you got hurt because of me. Izuku looked at Isamu. Especially now that you're going to have kid, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. Izuku, nothing is going to happen to me. Himari could still see how uneasy Izuku was. Fine, how about this? I'll stay behind and act as bodyguard to everyone here. That way I can do something and you can have peace of mind. Izuku thought about it for a second. Fine, you got yourself a deal. Good, now I can actually have a chance to fight someone, Himari said, smiling. Guys, they aren't picking up. Everyone turned to see Mina still trying to contact them. This is strange. Jiro is never 2 feet away from her phone and Kaminari is always watching his stupid videos on his phone. Izuku started to fear the worst. He turned towards Uraraka, who had the same face of worry. Just then Bakugo, Himari, Uraraka, Izuku and Eri all sensed something. Everyone get down, Himari, Izuku yelled out. Both Izuku and Himari put up their hands towards the sky and put up a shield. Not a second later a massive bolt of lightning struck the shield with enough power to crack the shield. Both Saiyans fell to one knee as they felt the impact of the lightning strike. This is Kaminari's power. Why would he be attacking us? Mina asked. He isn't. This is not Kaminari. This power is too strong, Izuku said, straining to hold the shield. After a few seconds it disappeared. Both Saiyans were breathing hard as they dropped the shield. Deku, Uraraka yelled, running towards him with Isamu in her arms. Get back, he is here, Izuku said, standing up. Who is here? Uraraka asked as she helped him up. I am, a voice said above them. Everyone looked up to see Tamura Shigaraki. Shigaraki, they all yelled out. It's been far too long, Izuku Midoriya. I believe the last time we met you dropped a building on me and then blew it up, Shigaraki said, landing just a few meters away from the group. Not long enough, I suppose. As soon as Shigaraki landed, a strong gust of wind hit the group, knocking some of them over. You're a lot strong now, Shigaraki. What did you do? Shigaraki smeed. Nothing much, I just borrowed some power, that's all. I'd say about hundreds of years worth of power. It's all thanks to that cat creature that came to Earth not long ago. Izuku's eyes widened. No, as you all saw just moments ago, your friend has a pretty nice quirk, Shigaraki said, looking the lightning cracking around his hand. What did you do to Denki and Jiro? Izuku said, creating a fist. I simply borrowed their quirk, that's all. Oh, I can tell you were all scared. I can hear your heartbeats increasing, Shigaraki said, taking a step forward. Izuku and Himari both immediately transformed into a Super Saiyan when they saw Shigaraki take that step. Oh, showing your power? Well, I guess I should do the same? The ground around Shigaraki began to break apart from the sheer pressure he was giving off. Shigaraki yelled out as he powered out. The air around him began to swirl like a tornado. Izuku and Himari were put on guard as they felt his power growing. This power. There's no way. Shigaraki smirked. Hhhhhh. His black aura with red swirl appeared around him, shooting straight into the air. Izuku turned around to his friends. Take cover. Everyone jumped back once they hear Izuku yell. Uraraka tucked Isamu into her chest, shielding him. Eri jumped in front of them with her arms in an X formation. The resulting explosion shook all of Japan. Once everything settled down, Izuku and Himari picked themselves up. Everyone alright? Izuku asked. Yeah, we are good, Uraraka yelled back. As the dust settled, Izuku and Himari were in shock. Behind Shigaraki, where the city once stood, was nothing. Not a single building, no cars, just nothing but a giant crater. Shigaraki had destroyed more than half of the city just by powering up. All Might fell to his knees when he saw this, and no, so many people gone. A laugh was heard. Well, it seems like I still need some practice with this form. Well, no matter, you are all as good as dead. Shigaraki had changed, his hair was now pure white. He even grew a couple of inches taller, but what had Izuku worried was his eyes. The normal red glow of his eyes was gone, replaced by a purple color. Izuku didn't want to believe, but he now could sense the power. The power of destruction. Izuku, is that what I think it is? Himari asked. A single drop of sweat fell from Izuku. Why yeah. That's energy of destruction. He somehow found a way to fuse it with his quirks. But that's not the only thing he has. He also has All for One. Now which one of you is going to be the first to die? Shigaraki looked behind Izuku. You? Raising his hand, he pointed his finger at someone. Suddenly a red glow began to appear from the tip of his finger. Without warning, Shigaraki fired the death beam. Insurgent. He never saw it coming. Not even Izuku or Himari were able to track the beam. They noticed it when it was too late. Looking back, a look of horror filled Izuku's face. The beam had pierced his heart and came out his back. Falling to his knees, All Might hovered his hand over the open wound in disbelief. All Might! Izuku yelled out, catching him before he hit the floor. Shigaraki smiled as he watched the former number 1 hero coughing out blood. My aim has never been better. Izuku tried to put pressure on the wound, but it was pointless. The beam destroyed his heart. Izuku, my boy, there is something you have to know, All Might said weakly as blood poured down the chest wound. Not now, All Might, save your breath. We are going to get you help. Izuku held him in his arms as he could feel his energy fading. Listen to me, boy, it's going to be alright. Do you know why? All Might smiled. Because you're here. Tears ran down Izuku's face. All Might shut his eyes for the last time. Hey, All Might? All Might? Izuku shook him a bit, but he got no response. Eri, come here, use your quirk on All Might, he yelled out. Eri rushed over and put her hands on All Might's chest, activating her quirk, but as her horn grew and her hands glowed, she could feel his breathing stop. Her eyes widened as she turned to her dad. He's gone, Dad. And no, he can't be. Come on, use your quirk again, he said, turning to her. Eri looked away with tears running down her face. And no, please God, no. 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 Blood stained his hands as he pulled All Might close. Uraraka came over with tears in her eyes and placed her hand on Izuku's shoulder. Deku. Izuku quietly put All Might's head on the floor. Standing up, he looked at All Might's body. Ochako. Get out of here. I don't want you or Isamu to see what I'm about to do to Shigaraki. Uraraka looked at Izuku. His eyes were wide and his stare was cold. Izuku? Go. Get everyone out of here, he said, yelling towards everyone. Himari, protect them, I'm counting on you. Izuku turned towards Shigaraki, his yellow aura turning green as he began to power up straight to his blue form. He stopped a few feet away from Shigaraki. You are going to pay for what you did. Oh, looks like someone grew more cocky these last few years? Shigaraki motioned to Izuku. Well, come on, I don't got all day. With his hands still stained with blood, Izuku clenched his fists. The ground around him began to crack as his anger began to rise. Ha! His blue aura exploded outward with such force that the buildings behind him began to crack and break. Izuku's hair and eyes turned blue as he yelled, powering up. His friends looked at him in awe. Oh God. Ichi's pissed, Himari said, shielding herself from Izuku's fierce aura. I have never seen him like this. His power just keeps rising, but will it be enough to take down Shigaraki? Izuku was ready. He was going to beat Shigaraki to the ground. No, I'm going to kill you, Shigaraki. He yelled out, flying towards Shigaraki. His fist pulled back as he got closer. Shigaraki smiled as he watched him get closer. Throwing a punch, the impact was so hard that the ground beneath them caved in, creating a giant crater. Knocking his friends down, they finally got smart and began to evacuate the area. Smiling back at him was Shigaraki holding back Izuku's fist. Come now, is that all you got? I thought the number 1 hero was supposed to be stronger than that. Izuku gritted his teeth. Without saying a word, he punched Shigaraki hard in the stomach, so hard that he sent him flying into the sky and away from the city. Uraraka watched as Izuku sent Shigaraki flying. With little Isamu in her arms, she looked at the baby and thought of her husband. Please, Izuku. Please come back to us safe. I need you. Your kids need you. Shigaraki tried to regain his composure, but as soon as he did, Izuku was there with another hit that sent him flying farther away. Now above the ocean, Shigaraki, with the help of one of his stolen quirks, stopped himself over the ocean. Enough? I know you are trying to get me away from the mainland. An ocean burial will suffice for you. Izuku stopped and faced Shigaraki. Around them, small uninhabited islands were seen. How many people's quirks did you steal? He asked. Enough. I only took the good ones. You've already seen one of them. Destruction, was it? It's incredible. It amplified the other quirks I stole by 100 inches, said Shigaraki. Too bad you won't get to use them. Charging in, Izuku tried to kick Shigaraki only to have him duck under. What? With a smile, Shigaraki did the same move Izuku did moments ago, down to the smallest detail. While surprised, Izuku managed to duck under the kick. That was my move. How? He said, backing away. Shigaraki laughed. Easy, I took the quirk that enables me to copy any and all physical movements that I see. If I remember right, he called it Taskmaster. A useful quirk, wouldn't you say? Izuku's eyes went wide. Interesting, very interesting, but it won't do you any good if I take you down faster than you can see. Izuku quickly placed 2 fingers on his forehead and teleported away. Shigaraki didn't even flinch when he saw Izuku disappear. He simply closed his eyes. You really take me for a fool, don't you? Izuku then appeared behind Shigaraki ready to punch him, just as his fist was about to hit Shigaraki. Izuku felt something hit his chest. Looking down, he noticed Shigaraki had a finger on his chest. Game over. I win. He fired off a blast from his fingers, the same kind that killed All Might minutes ago. Izuku managed to move out of the way just in time, but the blast caught him in the arm, cutting him. Oh, you're fast enough to dodge something that close up, impressive. The cut was small, but blood still ran down his arm. Izuku glared at Shigaraki. If I didn't react in time, that blast would have killed me. Are you finally understanding the futility of your situation? Shigaraki said. You think a scratch is enough to take me down? You are sorely mistaken. Izuku's aura flared out as he flew at Shigaraki once again. Shigaraki sighed, idiot, raising his hand. Izuku didn't sense a blast coming, so he continued forward, only to have the cut on his arm open up, causing blood to spill out. Izuku felt his whole arm go numb. What did you do to me? He asked, grabbing his now bleeding arm. Another quirk I stole. This one allows me to open up wounds. I also have another quirk that amplifies the pain receptors of anyone that I choose, and guess who I picked? Shigaraki said, smiling. Izuku grunted, so that's why it hurts so much. Alright, I'm done playing games. His blue aura flared as Izuku charged at Shigaraki, landing punches to his face. Izuku continued punching him, not giving him any chance to recover. With every punch, the ocean beneath them would be pushed aside. Each kick, Izuku would slice the water. Izuku was not playing around. Hitting Shigaraki hard in the stomach, Izuku spun around and drop-kicked Shigaraki towards an island. Crashing into the island, Izuku then appeared over the island. Cupping his hands together, a blue energy ball began to form. Kamehameha. The blast rocketed towards the island. The air rumbled. The ocean boiled as the blast got closer. Shigaraki was getting to his feet when the blast hit the island, destroying it and displacing a large amount of water. The blast hit with so much force that the very earth shook. Everyone across Japan could feel it. Class 1A were taking shelter at the mountain base when the earth began to shake. Holding baby Isamu tight, Uraraka shielded him from falling debris. Hatsume, how much more until you get the satellite working? Asked Bakugo. I'm working on it. I haven't used this system in years, Hatsume said, wearing the lab coat. She was in her lab when Bakugo and Himari grabbed her. Just then the central monitor came on. Got it. Looks like he's somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. A live feed then came on. Everyone saw what Izuku had done. My god, he made a hole into the earth, Iida said in disbelief. All that from one blast. There's no way Shigaraki survived that, Mina said. Just then Bakugo, Himari, and Uraraka all flinched when they sensed Shigaraki's energy. Oh no. A pillar of black and red energy rose from the giant crater. The ocean around began to swirl. Izuku won't be able to defeat him alone, Bakugo said, looking at Himari. Himari looked at him and then to Uraraka. Himari, please. Don't worry, I'll go help him, Himari said, reassuring Uraraka. Just then gasps filled the room. Looking back at the monitor, Uraraka was horrified when she saw what happened. Izuku floated in midair, but as the camera zoomed in, she saw black spikes all over his body had pierced his skin. Himari, Uraraka yelled out. On it, transforming into a Super Saiyan, Himari looked at Bakugo and smiled. He nodded. Wasting no time, Himari flew straight through the mountain and out of the base. Come on Izuku, hold on, she said, flying towards him. Back with Izuku spitting out blood, Izuku could feel every single one of the spikes in his body. I didn't even see it coming, he said as blood dripped down his body. Ha! Letting his aura flare out, Izuku destroyed the spikes around his body. Where is he? Izuku couldn't even feel his energy. Here, a voice said behind him. Turning around, Izuku had no time to react when he was hit hard in the stomach. Spitting out blood, Izuku hunched over in pain. Shigaraki flipped in the air and kicked Izuku across the face. This sent Izuku flying towards another island miles away. Crashing onto the island, blood began to drip from his mouth as he grunted in pain. As he laid there in pain, Izuku smiled. He actually smiled. With only 2 hits. Man, he really is strong. Izuku coughed out blood as Shigaraki appeared. How disappointing, you the number 1 hero proved to be no match against me. How utterly disappointing. Oh well, with your death nothing will stand in my way. I will rule this world and build a better one. One where the strong rule over the weak, Shigaraki said, walking towards Izuku. Even if you defeat me, someone stronger will take my place and defeat you, Izuku said, trying to stand up. Shigaraki then appeared beside Izuku and stomped on Izuku's face. That's what I'm hoping for. Unfortunately, you won't be around to see any of it. Opening his palm, Shigaraki created a purple sphere of destruction. Izuku's eyes went wide. Goodbye, Izuku Midoriya. Just as he was about to let the sphere go, Shigaraki sensed something. Looking to his left, he dodged out of the way of a yellow blast. Oh, it seems we have another challenger. Touching down in front of Izuku was Himari. Look at you, Izuku, on your back and in the dirt. I thought I told you to stay with the others, Izuku grunted in pain. Yeah, well, there was a change of plans. I came to save your ass and kick his ass, Himari said, kicking it up to Super Saiyan 2. Himari don't, but it was too late. Himari had charged at Shigaraki. Throwing a punch, Shigaraki dodged out of the way. Is this the best you Saiyans have to offer? Come now, give me a challenge? This made Himari pissed. She continued with a flurry of punches and kicks but nothing landed. Damn it, she yelled out in frustration. Just then Shigaraki waved his hand. Himari fell to the ground. What did you do to me? She asked as she fell to her knees. This is the other quirk I was talking about, the person called as steal. As the name implies it takes, but it's what it takes that made it worth stealing. You see this quirk has the power to steal bioenergy, Shigaraki said smiling. Himari and Izuku knew what this meant. Why you've been stealing my power all this time? Izuku said as blood dripped down his lip. That's right, but that's not the only thing I can do. Opening his palm, a ball of black energy appeared. I also have a quirk that amplifies energy 3 folds. I'm sure you know what that means. Izuku's eyes went wide. Raising his palm he fired off a blast towards Shigaraki, but it was too slow. Nice try, but now you die. Thrusting his hand forward, the blast rocketed towards Izuku and Himari. Looking up, Himari watched as the ball of energy approached her. Just as the ball was about to hit, she felt someone touch her back. Looking back, she found Izuku with 2 fingers on his forehead and the other on her. Izuku? He said nothing, and with a thwip they disappeared just as the blast hit the island, disintegrating it. Using the blast he fired at Shigaraki. Both Saiyans teleported to a faraway island. Hitting the ground hard, the 2 Saiyans had a bit of time to catch their breath. How you holding up, Himari? She smiled, picking herself off the ground. I am fine, but he stole a lot of my energy. What about you? How are you holding up? Izuku got up, cracked his neck and whipped the blood off his bruised lip. I've been worse. Man, he's a lot stronger. Thanks to Lord Beerus's energy, his quirks are supercharged to the max. Also, he hasn't even used the Hakai yet. So do we have a shot at winning this? Himari asked. Honestly, I have no idea. If we work together we may have a shot, Izuku said, looking at the horizon. Worth a shot. If he gets past us, then there is no one on this planet that can beat him. Himari once again transformed into a Super Saiyan 2. Lightning crackled around her as she cracked her knuckles. Besides, I've been itching for a good fight. Izuku smirked. Well, you've lost to me multiple times, so I don't have high hopes for you. Shifting his foot, Izuku's hair began to spike up and turn blue, his aura pushing against Himari's. Izuku and Himari watched as Shigaraki appeared from the horizon, his black aura surrounding him as he got closer. Ready? Go! Both Saiyans rocketed towards Shigaraki. Spinning in the air, they both kicked him so hard that he flew towards the ocean but stopped just short of hitting the water. Raw HHHHHHH, both Saiyans yelled out as they pulled their fists back. You're mine, yelled out Himari as they threw their punches, only to have Shigaraki disappear. Both stopped just above the water as they hit nothing. Where did he go? Himari yelled, scanning the skies but found nothing. Just then they felt something grab them by one leg. What? Suddenly the two were pulled under the ocean. Caught off guard, Izuku and Himari were thrown to the bottom of the ocean. Slamming against the seafloor, they looked around for Shigaraki but still couldn't find him. Just then Izuku felt the water shift. Not even giving him a chance, Shigaraki grabbed Izuku's face and began to drag him along the seafloor. Izuku tried to fight against Shigaraki's grasp, but he was too strong. For hundreds of meters he continued to crash into volcanic boulders, smashing them into pieces as he was dragged. Picking him up by his face, Shigaraki slammed Izuku into the earth's crust. The ground around the area began to rumble. Izuku? Himari pushed through the water as she watched Izuku get thrown into the earth. Cupping her hands together, she began to gather energy. Take this! She yelled out, firing off a powerful blast that evaporated the water around her. The water turned to steam as it flew towards Shigaraki, who simply slapped it upward with little effort. The blast shot out of the water and exploded just above the water. Take this! Himari came in with a hard hit to Shigaraki's stomach. A sonic boom rippled through the water, as he hunched over and appeared to be in pain. The attack was fast, too fast for even Himari to see. All she could remember was seeing the blue of the sky. Huh? She thought, staring at the sun. You are good. But I'm better, Shigaraki said above her. Teleporting right in front of her, Shigaraki delivered a fury of rapid punches across her body that cracked the armor she was wearing. Finishing it off, he raised his hand and spikes began to fly at her, piercing her body. Himari screamed out in pain as the blood dripped from her body, her hair reverting back to its natural color. Die! Shigaraki created a sphere of destruction energy and pointed it directly at Himari as she fell towards the ocean. Haka, just as he was about to fire, two blasts rocketed out of the ocean. One missed but the other hit his hand, causing his aim to falter. The Hakai was launched into the air where it exploded in a massive fireball in the Earth's atmosphere. From the water, Izuku rose, rocketing up to meet Shigaraki. His top half of the costume burned off due to his trip in the lava. Why, you won't hurt her again. Your fight is with me now, Shigaraki, he said, his body covered in burns and blood dripped behind his head. Fine by me, I lost interest in her anyway. Fight me if you're ready to die, Shigaraki said, readying himself. I need to get him away from the surface. If he fires another blast like that he will destroy the earth, Izuku said, crossing his arms in front of him. Izuku began to power up. Rocketing towards Shigaraki, he managed to grab him by the waist, pushing hard. Slowly Izuku began to push him into the sky. Higher and higher they got and soon they were in the outer stratosphere. Fed up of being pushed, Shigaraki slammed Izuku on the back, getting him off. You must know all this is futile, right? Izuku recovered and whipped the blood off his face. Be that as it may. I will not quit ever. I will fight until my heart stops beating. He rushed in with a kick, but Shigaraki simply dodged out of the way. Now behind Izuku, he gave a fast strike to his ribs, breaking a few. Izuku screamed as he held his ribs. Pushing through it, he went to punch Shigaraki, but again he dodged. Fine, let's try something else. Placing 2 fingers on his forehead, Izuku used instant transmission to teleport around Shigaraki over and over again. Shigaraki followed Izuku, but every time he fired a blast where he was, Izuku would teleport away. Stop playing games, Shigaraki yelled, stretching out his arms and legs. Suddenly razor-sharp spikes began to fire in every direction. Izuku's eyes widened as he tried to teleport in between them, but some hit their target. Soon his legs were covered in spikes, then his stomach, and finally his chest. However, Izuku wouldn't stop. He kept using instant transmission. Finally, Izuku stopped several meters below Shigaraki and out of his view. Cupping his hands together, Izuku began to charge up a Kamehameha. The spikes kept coming, but this was no time to stop. He had to do this. Kamehameha. The golden beam of energy screamed through the vacuum of space. At the last second, Shigaraki looked down to see the Kamehameha flying towards him. The spikes he was firing were being evaporated as they came in contact with the blast. Interesting, it seems driving you into a corner has made your power increase. The blast completely engulfed Shigaraki in a blinding golden light. More power? Izuku gritted his teeth and poured more power into the Kamehameha. On the earth below, Uraraka and Class 1A watched through the monitor as the blast hit Shigaraki. Alright, he got him, Kirishima said. The first clean shot. Mina said excitedly that Izuku finally landed a hit in him. However, not everyone was celebrating. Bakugo and Uraraka knew. They knew the second the blast left Izuku's hand. This isn't even a fight. Shigaraki has been playing with them since the start. If he wanted them dead, he could have done it a dozen times by now. Uraraka looked over at Bakugo. His face was filled with despair. She knew that looked well. It was the same kind she had when Izuku died years ago. Slowly Uraraka began to shake her head. Bakugo looked like he was fighting back the tears. Back in space, Izuku poured everything he had into that blast. His arms began to hurt from the strain of the blast. Suddenly the beam of energy began to crack. What? Before long the blast completely shattered. The feedback caused Izuku to be pushed back. Looking up, he watched as Shigaraki's body glowed purple with the power of destruction. That was a close one. My clothes almost got dirty, he said, smiling. Izuku gritted his teeth. I'm going to kill you, he yelled, rushing in and throwing punches at Shigaraki. However, once again his punches did not hit its target. Shigaraki was done playing. Faster than Izuku could react, he managed to duck under one of his attacks and countered and kicked his arm, breaking it. Screaming out in pain, Izuku grabbed his broken arm, only to be silenced by Shigaraki grabbing his face. You've already died, so you know how death feels like, but do you know how it tastes like? He said as his hand began to glow black. He then fired a blast that engulfed Izuku completely. As the blast disappeared, Izuku's hair had reverted back to its normal color, his body covered in cuts and bruises. Shigaraki smiled at what he just did, getting close and flicking Izuku on the forehead, which caused him to fall to earth. As he entered the atmosphere, Izuku's body began to burst into flame. Unable to control himself, Izuku slammed into an island with such force that he caved in half of the island. His broken and bloody body laid there unable to move. His consciousness was quickly fading. His vision blurry, Izuku could see someone coming down from the sky. Ochako? He said, his voice weak and broken. He couldn't be more wrong. Shigaraki was the one floating down towards him. Look at you, broken and bleeding with no one coming to help you, how sad, he said, landing on the island. You were supposed to be the #1 hero and yet here you are on your back, defeated, humiliated. Shigaraki began to walk towards Izuku. In order to rule over this world, I need to show everyone how their hero has failed. He raised his hand towards the sky. With Uraraka looked on in horror as she saw Izuku bleeding. I need to go help him, she said in a panic. Eri, take care of your little brother, she said, handing Isamu to Eri. Just as she was about to leave, someone grabbed her arm, stopping her from leaving. You can't. Like hell I can't. Looking back, she saw who was holding her back. It was Bakugo. Why are you stopping me, Bakugo? Don't you want to go help Amari? She said, yelling. She continued to struggle. Uraraka even went as far to slap Bakugo. The impact was so hard that it caused Bakugo to look the other way. Turning back, a trail of blood was seen running down his lip. I want to go just as much as you, but we both know that if we go, we will only get killed. Uraraka stopped struggling and fell to her knees. I can't lose him. Not again, she said, crying. Guys, we have a problem. Someone hacked into my satellite feed, Hatsume said, trying to get her system back. Suddenly everyone in the room got a ping on their phones. Taking out their phones, they noticed it was a link to the satellite feed. Damn it, he took over the feed and is broadcasting it across the world, Hatsume said. Everyone on Earth was now watching the live stream. Everyone watched as their #1 hero was on the floor beaten. Attention citizens of the world, Shigaraki said as the camera zoomed in on his face. Today the one you all called the #1 has fallen, defeated by none other than me, Shigaraki. Many of you thought me dead, but I have returned stronger than ever. Now I'm here to deliver you all a simple message. You are all now under my rule. Anyone who dares try to stop me will meet the same fate as him, he said, pointing at Izuku. And just to show you that I'm not messing around, Shigaraki pointed his hand towards Izuku. Suddenly Izuku felt his body rise up. Shigaraki was using some sort of levitation quirk to lift him off the ground and restrict his movements. I will now demonstrate what happens to those who dare oppose me. Pointing a finger at Izuku, Shigaraki prepared to fire a death beam at him. Uraraka and Eri looked on with horror as his finger began to glow red just like before. Izuku braced himself for the beam but was surprised to see Himari approaching. Just as Shigaraki was going to fire, he was hit in the head with a powerful kick delivered by Himari. The impact caught him off guard, causing him to lose his grip on Izuku. Stumbling back, he glared at Himari. Look who decided to come back. Himari stopped just short of Izuku. Her open wounds burned as the seawater hit her. I won't let get away with this, she said, coughing out blood. And no. Himari, get out of here. You have to leave, Izuku said, seeing the state Himari was in. Shigaraki then smiled. Looks like I'm going to have to teach her a lesson first. Watch closely everyone while I deliver proper punishment. Teleporting in front of her, Shigaraki smacked her across the face. Flying back, she hit a boulder, causing her to scream out in pain. Pinned against the boulder, Himari took punch after punch. All she could do was try to block, but the two proved useless against him. Himari tried to counter, but her fist was stopped by Shigaraki, who pulled her arm, stretching it. With his other arm he brought down his elbow, shattering her forearm. Himari yelled out in pain as the bone fragment pierced her skin. You know, now that I think about it, you can prove a real pain if I let you live, so I think I'll just kill you right here, right now. And no, Izuku said, grunting in pain. Himari was barely able to stand as she felt Shigaraki grab her with his quirk, pulling his arm back, and his hand changed into one resembling the old Nomu with razor-sharp claws. He readied himself to impale her through the chest. As she faded, all she could think of was Bakugo and their unborn baby. I'm so sorry, Bakugo, for being so weak, she said, closing her eyes. Shigaraki thrusted his hand forward. Bakugo could feel his heart drop to the floor, and the whole world watched as blood splattered across Shigaraki and Himari's face. Opening her eyes, Himari saw Shigaraki's hand dripping with blood, but not hers. Looking up, she saw Izuku had jumped in the way and was now impaled through the chest. Shigaraki had impaled Izuku through the left side of his chest, his hand inches away from hitting Himari. Izuku, she yelled out, horrified at what just happened. Pulling his hand free, Shigaraki watched as Izuku's blood splattered on the floor. The color from Izuku's eyes began to fade as he took one step forward before collapsing into Himari's arms. Back in the cave, Eri began to cry as she saw what happened to her papa. Uraraka fell to her knees as she watched the blood splatter on the floor. And no, please God, not again, she said, trembling. What made it worse was that both of them could feel Izuku's life energy slipping. Izuku, you idiot, why did you jump in front of it? She said, holding him up, his blood staining her clothes, but she didn't care. Izuku coughed out more blood as he struggled to take a breath. Bebek cause why your FF family? Besides, Kachan W would kill me if something happened to you. Strange, I swore I pierced a lung. How is he still talking? Shigaraki said, puzzled. Himari began to cry as she heard those words. Idiot, stay with me, come on, stay with me. He had the strength to jump in the way. Impressive. One final act of heroism before he dies, how noble. Yet in the end it's not like it mattered, Shigaraki said, staring down at the fallen hero. Himari gently put Izuku on the ground. Sorry Izuku, but I'm going to go down fighting. He could break every bone in my body, but I won't stop fighting. Not now. Not ever. I am a Saiyan warrior. We do not give up. Her green aura suddenly reappeared. Ha. She was going to launch one final attack at Shigaraki, but before she could even raise a finger, a loud crack was heard. The world watched as Shigaraki appeared, punching Himari in the face, breaking her neck on impact. As she laid on the ground motionless, Bakugo fell to his knees, his eyes wide. Did you honestly believe I would give you the chance to charge up an attack? How stupid do you think I am? He said, walking over to her. Only to be grabbed by his legs. Looking down, he noticed Izuku had crawled towards him, leaving a trail of blood as he did. Uraraka covered her mouth as the tears ran down her face. Even after all this, he's still trying to protect her. Stop, he said as blood continued to pour from his wound. Still alive, you Saiyans sure are durable, but nothing is unbreakable, he said, kicking Izuku away. This time Izuku no longer had the strength to even move. You know what, instead of killing you one by one, I should kill you both at the same time. It would save me a lot of trouble. Shigaraki began to rise. Now high above the island, he created another sphere of destruction. With this, no one will be able to stop me. Hakai. The purple ball of energy fell towards the island. Izuku closed his eyes as he knew this was his end. With a smile, he looked up to the heavens, thinking of the four most important people in his life. Well, Ochako. This is goodbye again, and this time it's for good. Eri, I'm sorry I'm leaving you like this. Take care of your mother and brother for me. Isamu. I wish I could have seen you grow up, but I know that someday you will be the one to take down Shigaraki. Izuku didn't know this, but as he lay there waiting for his death, for a split second Izuku's body pulsed a silver color. Shigaraki watched as the Hakai was just meters away from the island. Goodbye heroes, let your deaths be a warning to the world. Suddenly the sound of a sword slicing through something was heard. What? Shigaraki watched as the Hakai was split into two pieces, both pieces of which missed the island, saving both Izuku and Himari. Not today, a voice said, landing on the island. It's not their time yet, the voice said, seething his sword. There stood a tall man with brown messy hair. His green eyes gleamed as the sun hit his pupils. He wore a version of Izuku's costume, but on the back it read, Warrior. Who are you? Asked Shigaraki. But the man didn't reply, he simply pointed his hand at Shigaraki. Suddenly Shigaraki felt the gravity around him getting stronger. What is this? Some kind of quirk? It feels as if the gravity around me is holding me in place. He fought against the increasing gravity, but every time he did, the mystery man would increase his power, further increasing the gravity. Before long Shigaraki began to fall towards the ocean slowly but surely. This is when the mystery man transformed, his hair turning golden yellow. Shigaraki's eyes went wide. There's another. The mystery man then created a fist. This caused Shigaraki to fall into the ocean. However, he didn't stop there. The mystery man kept on pushing him deeper and deeper. Before long he had pushed Shigaraki into the earth's core. Turning around, the man ran over to Izuku. Don't worry dad, we'll get you the help you need, he said, placing a hand on Izuku. Take her too, Izuku said, his voice weak and fading. The man looked over and went to pick Himari up, throwing her over his shoulder. He then grabbed Izuku by the arm. Let's get out of here, that won't keep him down forever, the man said, taking off into the sky. Uraraka's eyes went wide as she saw who it was. It couldn't be Isamu. Deep in the earth's core, Shigaraki finally broke out of whatever was restraining him. Rocketing to the surface, he broke through the crust, causing an eruption. Ash and lava spewed out of the ocean as he resurfaced. Looking around, he didn't find anybody. He couldn't even feel their energy. Looks like they ran. No matter, those two were mortally wounded. They will die before they could get help. That guy had the same colored eyes as Izuku. Who was he? Shigaraki said. Doesn't matter. They're probably heading over where Eri is, but if she gets any ideas of rewinding their time, it won't end well for her. Absolute beatdown from Shigaraki. The two strongest have been defeated. What will Izuku and the gang do? Find out next time. Presents. With the fall of Izuku and Himari, the whole world's militaries were put in full alert, as well as all the top heroes in their respective countries. As of that moment, the world feared Shigaraki. Uraraka and Bakugo sat in the bunker with a look of despair on their faces. They were tracking their energy signatures, but once Isamu grabbed them, they disappeared. The girls tried to console Uraraka, while the guys tried to talk to Bakugo. It's going to be fine, Ochako. Izuku has gone through worse. He's always come through and you won't stop now, Sue said, holding baby Isamu as Uraraka was too shaken up. Just then the steel-reinforced door to the bunker was kicked in. Everyone feared the worst. They feared Shigaraki found them. Everyone activated their quirks. Kirishima jumped in front of everyone, ready to use himself as a human shield. Eri, take your brother to the back of the bunker, Sue said, handing her little Isamu. Eri grabbed Isamu, but just as she was going to run, Uraraka's voice cut through. Wait, it's fine, she said. As the dust settled, Isamu was seen carrying both Izuku and Himari. They need help, now. Bakugo pushed everyone aside and ran towards Himari. Give her here. Bakugo grabbed Himari. As he carried her, blood stained his clothes. His eyes widened as he made his way to the medical bay. Uraraka started to cry as she saw the state Izuku was in. Blood poured down his open chest wound. Mina. We need some gauze pads now, she yelled out. Take him to the medical bay, she said, turning to Isamu. He nodded and followed Uraraka into the medical bay. There they cleared a surgical table. Isamu put him on the table, and once he did, Uraraka went straight to work. Mina handed her the gauze pads and put them in the wound, but as soon as she did, the pads would fill with blood almost instantly. Mina, we need more, and get some for Himari too, Uraraka said, still stuffing Izuku's wound with pads. Kirishima, there's a fridge behind you. Open it and you should find blood bags. They should be marked with I and H. Bring the bags marked I here and then bring the others to Himari, Uraraka ordered Kirishima. Kirishima took off. I thought they couldn't take regular blood, Mina asked while opening another pack of gauze pads. It's not regular blood. A few months ago we gave some of Izuku's blood to a university. They made synthetic blood for him in case he ever needed it, but there were some problems. Izuku's blood was complicated, so they could only make a few bags, so it might not be enough, Uraraka said. Just then Kirishima came back with the blood bags, here, but there was only 2 bags for each. Uraraka gritted her teeth. It's fine, we just have to stabilize him so Eri can heal him. If we don't, he'll bleed out before she could heal him. Mina quickly inserted a needle into Izuku's vein. Uraraka hooked up the bag and the blood started to flow. Good, get Eri in here, she needs to heal him before it's too late. Mina rushed off to go find Eri. Come on Izuku, don't die on me, she said, holding his hand. Mom, a voice said from the door. Uraraka looked to find Eri in a full scrubs and mask. Eri, come here and heal your dad, Uraraka said. Eri ran to her father's side but froze up when she saw the amount of blood and wound in his chest. Eri, I know it's tough to see all this, but your dad needs you, please, Uraraka said, almost in tears. Eri steeled herself. Alright, I can do this. For dad I have to do this, she said, her eyes burning with determination. Eri held out her hands over Izuku's body. Her horn grew and her hands began to glow. As soon as she put a hand on Izuku, her eyes widened. Something is wrong," she said in fear. Suddenly black lightning coursed through Eri's body. She screamed out in pain. "Eri!" Uraraka yelled out. After a few seconds the lightning stopped. However, Eri was knocked out. She fell back unconscious. Uraraka ran over and caught her before she hit the ground. "Eri, are you okay? Come on, say something," she said panicked. "She's just unconscious. It looks like Shigaraki used one of his quirks on him to stop Eri from turning back his time. I think it's safe to assume he did the same to Himari," Isamu said, checking on Eri. "Shigaraki, you bastard. I'm going to make you pay for what you did," Uraraka said. Isamu then picked up Eri and placed her on a chair. Just then the EKG machine hooked on Izuku began to beep faster. "Uraraka, the blood bags are done. We don't have any more blood. He's going into shock," Mina said, calling her over again. No, there has to be something we can do," Uraraka said thinking. Just then Isamu placed a hand on Izuku. Closing his eyes he focused his energy and began to supply Izuku with his own energy. As he did the EKG machine began to improve. This should keep him alive until we can find someone who can heal him. "Thank you, Isamu. You think you can do that for Himari as well?" Uraraka asked. Isamu nodded. "Yeah, I think so. You need to bring her over here." Uraraka nodded and went to go talk to Bakugo. A few moments later they wheeled Himari in on a stretcher and put her beside Izuku so Isamu could do his thing. Bakugo watched as Isamu's hand began to glow. "Who are you?" he asked, sensing a familiar energy. Isamu smiled. "Guess the secret's out. Mom, you want to explain?" Uraraka nodded. "Bakugo, this is Isamu." Bakugo blinked in disbelief. "No. Isamu is in the other room with Sue." "Yes, but this is Isamu from the future. Another parallel Earth, another timeline," Uraraka said. His energy is almost identical to Deku's, but still, all doubt in Bakugo's mind was quickly erased when Isamu transformed into a Super Saiyan. The familiar golden glow hit Bakugo. "Alright, I believe you now." Uraraka chuckled. "Good, so what are you doing back?" "In my timeline today is the day my father was meant to die. I came back just in case something happened. I wasn't going to show myself, but when I sensed father's energy draining, I had to do something," Isamu said looking at his father. Then will Izuku actually die?" Uraraka said with worry. Isamu shook his head. "For now, no. As long as I keep giving them energy they should be fine. However, my ki is limited and the amount of ki they need to stay alive is enormous. If we don't find someone who can heal him, I'm afraid he will die. That's if Shigaraki doesn't find them before then." Bakugo looked at his wife. Compared to Izuku she got off easy. "How long do we have before you run out of ki?" asked Bakugo. "At this rate, I'd say about 5 hours. After that." Isamu looked away. "He dies," Uraraka said as a tear fell from her face. Just then Sue bursted through the door. "You guys need to see this," she said panicked. They looked at Isamu. "Go, I'll look after them." None of them wanted to go, but Sue sounded desperate. Walking into the other room they saw everyone crowded around the monitor. "Hey, what's going on?" asked Uraraka. "Look," said Mina. Looking up at the monitor, to her shock there flying in the air was Shigaraki. He was above the Japanese Parliament building. "Hear me, citizens of Japan, as you all saw I've defeated your so-called #1 hero and his little friend. Now no one can get in my way. So this message is for the world. You have 3 days to surrender to me," Shigaraki said. He then pointed his hand down towards the Parliament building. "Or else this happens to your entire country." Shigaraki fired a Hakai disintegrating the building and everyone inside. "However, bring me Izuku Midoriya and the one called Himari. I might just spare everyone or at least the civilians. The choice is yours. You have 3 days." And with that the broadcast ended. Uraraka stood stunned. Shigaraki, he's turning everyone against Deku. Bastard. Does he really think people would just turn on them, after everything they've done for them? Bakugo said pissed off. "That's right, both Himari and Izuku have done so much for this country, no way they would turn them over," Mina said. The others all agreed. Just then the alarm to the mountain base began to sound. "What's going on?" Kirishima said looking around. "Someone just broke through the outer perimeter," Hatsume said typing on the control panel. "Whoever they are moving fast," she said, bringing up a screen with a map of the area. On the screen was a flashing red dot. "They're close, 500 meters. Everyone get ready for a fight," Uraraka yelled out. The entire class readied themselves. 200 meters. Hatsume yelled out. "Who is this? It feels as if their power is popping in and out," Bakugo said, as an explosion erupted in his palm. Uraraka's eyes went wide. "And no, please not him. They are right on top of us," Hatsume said. Everyone looked around. Suddenly the ground beneath them exploded, sending pieces of the mountain and dirt hurling in every direction. Uraraka placed a key barrier in front of her friends. "I didn't think you would show up. So are you here to fight or help?" Uraraka said as the dust settled. "I came in order to save millions." The class looked on in awe as they saw who it was standing in front of them, Lemillion, their former upperclassman. "By handing over Izuku and Himari," Uraraka said glaring at Lemillion. "Look, it wasn't my choice, the government and the Hero Council made the choice. All I'm doing is following orders," Lemillion said looking around the room. "Yeah, That sounds really heroic of you, Bakugo said. All I need is Izuku and Himari. Don't make me hurt you, Lemelon said, activating one for all. We aren't the ones you should be worried about, Bakugo said, rushing Lemillion. However, before anyone else could move, black whips appeared from his hand, and began to capture them. All except Sue, who was still holding little Isamu. What is this? Uraraka yelled out, trying to free herself but to little success. Sorry, but you forced my hand. I'm taking them both with me whether you like it or not, said Lemillion, walking towards the medical bay. Uraraka and Bakugo both let out their auras, trying to break free, but every time they looked as if they were going to get free, Lemillion would just strengthen the whips. Lemelon reached for the door handle to the medical bay. As he did, the door was suddenly blown open by an energy blast. Using his permutation quirk, the blast went straight through him. Looking in, he saw Isamu pointing his palm at him. Who the hell are you? He asked. A distraction, confused Lemelon looked back only to have one of Bakugo's explosions hit his face. Isamu controlled the blast and managed to free the rest of the class. Take that, you plain-faced F*******, Bakugo said as he sent Lemillion flying. However, his achievement was short-lived when from the smoke Lemillion appeared. With no time to react, Bakugo was hit hard in the stomach, sending him flying through the mountain. Lemillion appeared, his body surrounded by red lightning. Let that be a warning to the rest of you. Get in my way again and I won't hold back. Just then Eri began to wake up in the medical bay. What? What happened? She asked. That's when she noticed Isamu standing beside her father. Who are you? It's a long story. Listen, there isn't much time, but all you need to know is that I'm a friend and right now there is someone here looking for these two, said Isamu. Eri didn't really understand why, but for some reason she just trusted this person. Outside, the others all looked as Bakugo was thrown out of the mountain base. Think all of us can take him? Asked Sue, as she handed Isamu to Uraraka. Not sure, but just in case we can't. Izuku was a Super Saiyan 3 years ago when he defeated him, but that was back in Ua. There's no telling how strong Tagata has gotten, said Iida. Just then Bakugo rocketed back into the mountain, his head bleeding from the cut. Why, you won't do that again. Bakugo rushed in once again, but before he could get any closer, ice began to form around Lemillion, followed by a wall of fire that reached the top. Looking towards the entrance was Todoroki being held up by Momo. Todoroki, they all yelled out. No time, Bakugo, Uraraka. Go to them and get out of here. We'll buy you the time you need, he said as cracks began to appear from the ice. But we can't just run. What about you guys? Uraraka said. We'll be fine, or do you have so little faith in us? Momo said with a smile. The whole class all smiled at Uraraka. You guys. Alright, but once we get out you'd better find us. Come on, Bakugo, she said, running into the medical bay with Bakugo right behind her. Bakugo walked in to find Eri had woken up. Good, you're awake. Get ready, we are leaving. Going where? She asked. No time to explain. Isamu, can you keep the key flowing while flying? Uraraka asked. Isamu, Eri couldn't believe what she just heard. I can, he said, encasing the two in a key shield and levitating it. Let's go. Bakugo nodded, pointing his hand towards the wall. He blew a hole into the wall. One by one they took into the air at top speed. The class all fought bravely, but alas, they couldn't beat Lemillion. If it wasn't for Izuku taking the #1 spot, it would be Lemillion who would be the #1 hero. 1 minute is all the time they could hold him off for, but it wasn't enough. Lemillion walked into the medical bay to see a giant hole in the wall. Where are they? He asked someone through his earpiece. South, it looks like they are heading towards the coast. The voice of Nejire Hado was heard. She was outside the base the entire time. Got it. Call someone to pick them up. I'll go after them, Lemillion said as he began to levitate in the air. Wait, Tagata, do you really think this is the right choice? To hand over Izuku and Himari just like that, after all they done for us? It's just not fair, Nejire asked. Toga closed his eyes. I don't know, but if we can save millions by handing them over, then it will be worth it. We are heroes. We do whatever it takes to save people. Nejire didn't respond. With that, Tagata took after them, at lightning speed. With one for all and float, he would catch up to them quickly. As they were flying, Bakugo turned to Isamu. Can you tell if the baby inside of Himari is alright? Isamu smiled. Don't worry, the baby is fine. She doesn't have any injuries near her belly. I think while she was fighting she focused most of her energy around the baby. That's a relief. Now how is she? He asked with concern. The injuries are severe. Her arm is the most messed up. We need to find someone to heal her fast. It's my father that doesn't have much time left. Even with my key he's still slowly dying, he said, looking at Izuku. That's when Uraraka and Bakugo sensed something. Damn it, they did the best they could, but it looks like we're going to fight, Bakugo said, looking back. Uraraka gritted her teeth. No, Eri, take your brother and keep going. We will try and slow him down. But before she could say anything else, Uraraka cut her off. No, Bakugo said, surprising Uraraka. You go on ahead, stay with Himari for me. As for Lemillion, I'll fight him alone. Bakugo, Uraraka was left speechless. It's fine, now go, he said, taking off towards Lemillion. Let's go. Once we get over the ocean we can hide out on an island, Uraraka said, flying out to sea. As Bakugo got closer, the silhouette of Tagata was seen from the horizon. He decided to stop and wait for him. I don't have to beat him, only slow him down. Now a few meters away, Bakugo cupped his hands together and fired off a blast towards Lemillion, which he dodged with ease. Stopping, Lemillion saw Bakugo with his hand out. "What's your game? You know you can't beat me. After I defeat you, I'll just simply go after the others." "You think defeating me will be that easy?" Bakugo said, raising an eyebrow. Sensing something coming, Bakugo tilted his head to the right. That's when Bakugo saw it. A black whip had passed just by his face, cutting him across the face in the process. "If you barely dodged that attack, then it's clear to me that you have no chance in winning." Bakugo's face turned to one of rage. "Is that what you think? Fine, then let's see you take this." Bringing out his hands in front of him, Bakugo created a ball of energy, but it looked different from the rest. Normally you wouldn't be able to see inside the ball of energy, but with this attack you could see a sort of liquid inside. Bakugo's veins began to bulge as he poured everything he had into this attack. Lightning began to crackle around Bakugo as the air began to heat up. "Come on, endure it. Even if he has that stupid quirk, there's no way he can escape this." Tagata watched as the energy began to shine brighter and brighter. "What are you up to? You know my quirk makes me immune to attacks?" With a smile and sweat dripping down his face, Bakugo began to laugh. "Let's test that theory, shall we? Take this, planetary destruction." An attack similar to his wife's burned the air as it left his hands. Tagata's eyes widened as the attack approached him. He could tell this was different from all the rest. However, he noticed it too late. *T. I can't activate permeation in time. One for all 100%. The explosion was massive. Bakugo had infused his nitroglycerin sweat with ki, making it several hundred times more explosive. The explosion was at least 5 times more powerful than that of the Tsar Bomba, the largest hydrogen bomb to be tested. The earth rattled as the sheer power of his attack, but lucky for everyone, Bakugo managed to contain it within a ki shield around Tagata, preventing the explosion from hitting the earth. However, it came at a cost. The amount of recoil for that kind of explosion was too much for his arms, even when he reinforced it with his own ki. As Bakugo's breath became heavy, his arms were purple and broken. With trembling arms, he created a fist. Take that." As the fireball dissipated, Bakugo could see the outline of Lemillion. His arms were crossed in front of him. Now with a clear picture, Bakugo smiled at his achievement. Lemillion was hurt. Blood dripped from his forearms. The left side of his costume was burned off as his skin showed signs of second-degree burns. "Will you look at that? Looks like you can be hurt," Bakugo said. This was the first time in years since Lemillion had felt pain. He was always fast enough to activate his quirk, but this time was different. He thought himself untouchable. His own arrogance was his downfall. On this day, 2 people learned a valuable lesson. Tagata learned never to let down his guard no matter the opponent. Bakugo, on the other hand, learned that in a fight it's never truly over. Bakugo blinked as it was over. With one for all at 100%, there was no way Bakugo could stand up to Lemillion, and he just learned that the hard way. 1 second, Lemillion was several meters away, and the next he was right in front of him. Bakugo was hit in the stomach with a 100% punch. Spitting out blood, he reeled in pain. Lemillion quickly followed it up with a kick to his shoulder, dislocating it. Down towards the ocean, Bakugo fell. As he fell, he could hear Lemillion mumble something, but he didn't care. He just managed to slow down the number 3 hero and on top of that damage him. Lemillion would not stick around. After regaining himself, he took off after the rest. As they flew away, Izumo, Uraraka, Eri and little Isamu were all hit by a powerful gust of wind. Looking back, they saw a mushroom cloud rise into the atmosphere. "I never knew Bakugo could make such a large explosion," Eri said, admiring the mushroom cloud. "The blast was strong, but it won't stop Lemillion. We need to go," Uraraka said. They were now a few hundred kilometers from the mainland, when suddenly Uraraka could feel him coming closer. "Pick up the pace, he's right behind us." Looking back, Eri saw Lemillion flying after them. To her surprise, she also saw him raise his hand towards them. "What is he doing?" Eri asked. Uraraka looked back to see Lemillion firing off energy blasts from his fingers. "What, another quirk? How many does he have?" she asked as the blasts got closer. But they weren't targeting her. Instead, the blasts were directed at Isamu, not the baby. "Isamu, look out!" Uraraka yelled out. Turning around, Isamu stopped. With speed and precision, he pulled out the sword from his back and sliced the blasts before they hit. Lemillion let out a tisk as he pushed himself faster. "It looks like Bakugo wasn't enough to stop him," Eri said as they continued to fly. "Seems like it. We won't be able to lose him at this speed," Uraraka said. "Then let's kick it up a gear," Isamu said, transforming into a Super Saiyan. Eri nodded as she let out her aura, pushing her speed to the max. Lemillion saw what they were doing. A Super Saiyan? Who is that guy? Doesn't matter. I learned from that fight with Izuku so many years ago. Things won't turn out the same, he said, disappearing. Uraraka looked back and noticed he wasn't there. She couldn't even feel his energy anymore. "Wait, he's gone?" she asked, stopping. "You're right, he's gone," Isamu said. "It looks like we can finally find someone who can heal these two." "I'm surprised, Eri, you kept up with us." "That would be difficult even for..." Before Isamu could say anything else, a fist hit him across the face, sending him crashing into the seawater below. The key barriers around Izuku and Himari began to fade away. "No!" Uraraka yelled out, rushing to their side to keep up the barriers around them. "Without these barriers, Izuku is going to die." She began to pour her own energy, and that's when she felt the amount of ki that was required to keep this going was massive. So much energy is being used up. I don't think I can keep this up for long. Hand them over to me, Ochako, Lemillion said, floating beside her. I won't ask again. Eri saw what Lemillion did and she was furious. You? To Uraraka's surprise, Eri had jumped at Lemillion, throwing punches. Lemillion easily dodged out of the way of the punches. I'm sorry, Eri, but you guys left me no choice. We always have a choice, you should know. You taught me that, Eri said, continuing her punches. Izuku and Himari chose to fight Shigaraki even though they didn't have to. No, they had to, it's what heroes do, Lemillion said. Then where were you when it all happened? Why didn't you join them in fighting Shigaraki? Eri said. Lemillion thought back. He was at a meeting with the Prime Minister going over a new deal they made. Go ahead, make an excuse. My father and Aunt Himari have saved us more times than we can count. That includes you. Finally, after trying so hard, Eri landed a hit on Lemillion. However, it wasn't the punch that hurt, it was her words. Just then Isamu erupted from the water as a Super Saiyan 2. Man, his punches are heavy, he said, wiping the blood from his lip. Looking up, he noticed him beside Eri and feared that he would do the same to her. Eri, get away from her, he yelled, tackling Lemillion away. Mom, get out of here. Taken off guard, Lemillion regained his thoughts and managed to punch Isamu away. As he was pushed back, Isamu managed to kick Lemillion in the chest. Both fighters looked at each other. Lemillion looked down at the spot he was just kicked. You're strong. I actually felt the kick, he said, impressed that someone managed to hurt him with just a kick. You're not that half bad yourself. It was a cheap shot, but that punch hurt as well, Isamu said, rubbing his jaw. Uraraka wasted no time and began to carry both Saiyans away, but she was losing power fast. Lemillion saw them leave and turned to face them, but as he did, Isamu fired a blast that prevented him from doing so. You aren't going anywhere. You want to get to them? Then get through me first, but I warn you I'm no pushover, Isamu said, letting out his aura. Very well, I'll fight you, then I'll go after them, Lemillion said, rocketing towards Isamu. Lifting his arm, he pointed straight at Lemillion. Suddenly he felt as if he was teleported to another planet. The gravity around Lemillion increased so much that he began to fall, but before he could hit the water, Isamu came up from under him and delivered a hard uppercut to the jaw. Regaining his composure, Lemillion fell back. A gravity quirk and you're a Super Saiyan? Who are you? He asked once again. I am the son of the two greatest heroes of all time. Son of the Golden Warrior Izuku Midoriya and gravity hero Ochako Midoriya, Isamu said, sending his aura crashing into Lemillion. Shielding his eyes, Lemillion stood stunned. Their son? But he's only a child. You're almost the same age as them, so unless you're from the future, you can just. Lemillion stopped as he saw Isamu smile. And no way, you're from the future. Isamu responded by firing a blast, to which Lemillion slapped away with ease. Are you going to fight or talk? I'm getting bored over here. The two flew at each other with so much speed and force that they caused an explosion over the ocean. Back and forth the two went, punching at each other with everything they had. Isamu kept on firing blasts, but all they did was pass right through Lemillion. That's when Lemillion noticed he was taking damage. With a quick strike he hit Isamu in the stomach, causing him to hunch over in pain. Seeing a chance, Lemillion pulled his fist back. One for all, 100% Detroit smash. The ocean split apart as the punch landed square in the middle of Isamu's chest. The impact was so hard that it caused an explosion. As the fireball died down, Lemillion saw blood pour down Isamu's chest. Thinking he got him, Lemillion dropped his guard. That's when from the smoke a voice was heard. Got you. What? Isamu brought down his hands. Lemillion didn't know it, but he was now surrounded. Looking around, Lemillion saw all the blasts that he dodged. This still won't hit me, he said, trying to use his permeation quirk but found it wasn't activating. Wondering why you can't use it? It's all about your mass. You lose it when you activate it, so all I had to do was get a bit of my energy into you and voila, you now have mass. This makes your quirk impossible to use, Isamu said as the blasts got closer. So this was your plan all along? Lemillion said, eyes wide. Guess there's only one thing to do. I'm going to have to block them all. Channeling one for all to his head, Lemillion headbutted Isamu in the face, causing him to be pushed towards the ocean. It's no use. With this many blasts you can't dodge them all, Isamu yelled out, holding his nose. Lemillion at first looked like he was doing well. One for all increased his speed, but overwhelming numbers eventually won out. Blasts began to hit his body. He started to get frustrated as each attack would burn his costume off. Come on. One blast in particular headed towards Lemillion, but he slapped it away with full force. He didn't know it, but that blast was heading straight to where Uraraka and Eri were. Seeing the blast stray away, Isamu's eyes went wide. No, he yelled out, chasing after it. As he flew after it, Lemillion managed to escape the barrage and catch up Isamu. Where do you think you're going? He said, slamming his fists to Isamu's back, causing him to crash into the water. As Isamu flew out of the water, Lemillion activated Black Whip and used OFA to strengthen the whips. Now trapped, Isamu watched as the blast made its way toward his mother. At the same time, Uraraka was struggling to maintain the barriers around Izuku and Himari. Mom, we need to find some place to rest, Eri said, seeing her mother starting to breathe heavily. And no, I'm fine, let's keep going, she said, her face filled with will. If you keep this up, you are going to run out of ki, Eri said as little Isamu began to cry. I said I'm fine, she said, snapping back at her. Eri flinched, as sorry. Let me know when you want to switch. I may not have a lot of ki, but it should be enough for you to rest a bit. Uraraka smiled. Eri was being so brave. Izuku would be so proud of you. You're being so brave right now. Honestly, I'm really terrified, but I can't show it, not now at least. I have to be strong for Dad and for Isamu, she said, holding little Isamu. Just then little Isamu began to cry in Eri's arms. Hey, what's wrong? It's alright. Everything is going to be alright. Big sister is here and she won't let anything bad happen to you. Uraraka smiled at her two children. By the time Uraraka sensed the blast, it was far too late to do anything. Looking back at the last second she saw the blast. What followed was a massive explosion that knocked everyone out of the sky and into the water below. Uraraka's back was in shreds as she crashed into the sea. Mom! Eri yelled out in the water, desperately trying to keep herself and little Isamu afloat. Lucky for both of them, the blast didn't do much damage to them. Only a couple of bruises on Eri was seen. But that's not the only thing on Eri's mind. Dad, Aunt Amari. Just then Uraraka resurfaced. The salt water burned her now shredded back. There was a ringing in her ears, but she could just hear someone call out to her, Mom, Mom, Mom. It was Eri swimming over to her. Mom, where's Dad and Aunt Amari? Shaking her head, the ringing stopped. Your dad? Uraraka's eyes went wide. Deku, Amari. Pushing past the pain, Uraraka went under to find them. Eri waited for what seemed hours to her, but in reality it was only a few seconds. Finally resurfacing, Uraraka once again created the barriers around them. However, now her time was almost up. She was tired, injured, and running on fumes. Eri, keep your brother safe no matter what, alright? Eri nodded. Yes. Uraraka flew up and began to fly, but her power levels were so low that she couldn't be more than a few feet above the water. Eri followed close behind with little Isamu in her arms. Looking up, she saw how badly damaged Uraraka's back was. Please help us, anyone. Please help us. After flying for a mile or two, they finally came upon a large island. Both Eri and Uraraka could sense energy coming from the island. People. Mom, do you see that? Eri said with a smile. I do. Come on, let's go. Before Uraraka suddenly fell out of the sky. Her power was now completely gone. Eri quickly went over to catch her, but now she had to deal with 3 severely injured people and a baby. Come on, Eri, think. You are the daughter of the strongest hero in history. You can do this. You need to save them, she said to herself. With no other option, she created a large key platform. Placing everyone on it, she began to ride it like a skateboard towards the island. All the while, feeding ki into Himari and Izuku. I won't let you die, not today. On the island, a teenager was walking along the cliffside, his curly light brown hair and brown-colored eyes. He wore a green Ua shirt and a pin in the shape of Izuku's Super Saiyan hair. Man, the news has been crazy today. I can't believe All Might is gone, the young man said, sitting down on the grass. Even Deku, the Golden Warrior, is missing. I hope he's alright. Suddenly a large shadow was cast over him. Looking up, he noticed something was falling right on top of him. OSH*T, he said, scrambling to get to his feet. The young man barely managed to get out of the way, and with a loud boom the object fell onto the cliff. What the hell, what was that? He said, trying to see through the dust. As it settled, he began to walk over towards what had fallen from the sky. As he got closer, his eyes widened. There were Izuku, Himari, and Uraraka all unconscious. Please, help them, Eri said while holding little Isamu. The young man wasted no time and went to check on Izuku. My god, this is Deku, the Golden Warrior, and his wife Uravati. Also Himari too. He then saw their injuries. Oh no, the young man pulled out his cell phone and dialed a number. Hey sis, it's me. Get to the cliffsides by our house. I need your help with something and please hurry, it's urgent, he said as he began to panic. Katsuma, what's going on? A woman's voice said through the phone. Just get here, Mahoro, please. Hurry, Katsuma said, hanging up his phone. I can use my quirk on them, but I don't even know what blood type they are. He weighed his options. No, I have to try at least. Deku and Himari need the most help right now. Placing a hand on each of them, a green glow began to come out of Katsuma's hand. Both Saiyans began to wince in pain, but this was a result of Katsuma's quirk. Their injuries are too severe. I'll run out of steam before I can make any progress. For now, I'll focus on stopping the bleeding. The blood from Izuku's chest wound suddenly stopped, but it did not close. Good, now for Himari. Compared to Izuku, Himari's injuries were not that bad, but even so she was badly injured. As the glow became brighter, his sister Mahoro arrived. Hey Katsuma, I came here as fast as I could. What's wrong? Mahoro wore a long pink dress and sandals. Mahoro's eyes went wide when she saw everyone on the floor. What the? Don't just stand there, help me take them to our house. Katsuma snapped Mahoro out of her little trance. Alright, closing her eyes, Mahoro activated her quirk, hologram. Normally her projections wouldn't have any effect on objects, but she trained her quirk to do just that. She created a horse-drawn wagon. Alright, get them on and let's go. Putting everyone onto the wagon, the siblings began to ride towards their house. Meanwhile, with Isamu and Lemillion, Isamu was enraged at what just happened. Lemillion stopped him from saving his mother from that blast. Why you? While wrapped up in black whip, Isamu let out his aura. Lemillion felt the whips loosening and began to pour more of OFA into them, but even with the extra power boost he was starting to have trouble. His power just keeps getting stronger, it's amazing, Lemillion said, gritting his teeth. Ha! With a powerful yell, Isamu broke out of the whips, completely disintegrating them. Your power is just like your father's. Before Lemillion could say anything else, Isamu appeared in front of him. Seeing this, Lemillion spun around to kick, only to have Isamu disappear. What? Isamu had gotten behind him. His hands began to glow with energy as he brought them up and right down onto Lemillion's back, sending him crashing into the ocean floor. Isamu floated there as his aura burned around him. Now you really made me mad. Just then Lemillion shot out of the ocean and stopping just in front of Isamu, he wiped the blood from his mouth. This power. This aura. Izuku was a Super Saiyan 3 when he fought me years ago, but you're a Super Saiyan 2. That means you're stronger than him, aren't you? Isamu stayed silent. I knew it. Let's see just how strong you are. Lemillion channeled 100% of AFO throughout his body. No holding back this time. A sonic boom was heard as Lemillion threw himself at Isamu, but as he flew towards him, all he felt was a pain coming from his chest. Huh? Lemillion didn't see it coming, but Isamu was now in front of him, grabbing him by one arm. My mother talked about you a few times, so out of respect for her I won't kill you. But get in my way again. Isamu pulled Lemillion close. And I'll kill you where you stand. Lemillion coughed out blood as Isamu let him go to fall into the ocean. Why, you Saiyans sure are strong. Right before he hit the ocean, someone swooped in and caught Lemillion. Mirio. Mirio, hey Mirio, wake up. It was Nijire Hato. And Nijire, Lemillion said, barely conscious. Save your breath, we are getting out of here, and after that I'm coming here to kick his ass, she said, glaring at Isamu. Lemillion grabbed her arm. Don't's too strong. But Nijire wanted to fight Isamu to get revenge, but she knew anyone who could take down Mirio had to be stronger than her. Fine. We are leaving. I trust you won't attack us from behind, she said, looking at Isamu. If you leave right now, then no, Isamu said, letting his aura disappear, but he remained as a Super Saiyan. The two heroes flew away. Isamu watched them as they disappeared into the horizon. Good, now I can go look for father and mother. Just as he was about to leave, a voice called, I'm sorry to say, but I won't let you do that. Looking up, Isamu saw Shigaraki floating above him. How did he sneak up on me? I didn't even sense his ki. Suddenly a red beam of energy shot into his leg, then the other, then both of his arms. Isamu screamed out in pain. Shigaraki then appeared in front of him, and faster than Isamu could react, he punched Isamu in the stomach, knocking him out. His hair reverted back to its natural color as Shigaraki grabbed him. So this is the one who saved Izuku and Himari. Interesting. I'm going to need some information from him. And with that, Shigaraki flew off towards Japan with Isamu dragging behind him. Impulse. Eri could see nothing but darkness, but she could hear someone around her. Do you think they are going to be fine? Mahoro asked. I don't know, my quirk has its limits, plus it's already been hours and they still haven't woken up, Katsuma said, obviously concerned. Suddenly the sound of little Isamu crying was heard in the background. Oh no, looks like he woke up again. I'll go check on him. But before Mahoro could leave to check on him, Eri sat up from the sofa, scaring Mahoro. Isamu, she yelled out. Eri tried to get up but found that her sides were bandaged up, forcing her back down. Hey, easy, don't move. You have some ribs that are bruised. Lay back down and rest. The baby is your little brother, right? Don't worry, he's fine. Want me to bring him over? Mahoro asked. Eri nodded. Mahoro smiled and went into the other room. She then came back with little Isamu in her arms. Here, see, he's fine. I went to the store and bought some baby food and formula, so he already ate, Mahoro said, kneeling down to hand Isamu over to Eri. Once Isamu was in her arms, he stopped crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. If something happened to him, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. I swear, I won't forget this, Eri said, pulling him close. Mahoro smiled. No problem. Glad we can help. What about mom and dad, and Aunt Himari? Eri said, remembering what happened. The smile on Mahoro's face quickly faded away. I think it's better for you to see, she said, standing up. Here, let me help you up. You need to go see them. Eri reached out, and with Mahoro's help she got to her feet. Eri managed to slowly make her way towards a sliding door. Opening it, she found all three of them on the floor, still unconscious. Katsuma was there right next to them, healing them. Hey sis. Oh, you're awake, that's good, he said with a smile. Just then Katsuma began to fall over. Katsuma, Mahoro said, running to his side. I think you should take a break. Your body won't hold out if you keep this up. With a weak smile, Katsuma turned to his sister. I'm fine, really. I can keep going for a while longer. If I stop now, then I'll just be back at square one. Eri saw it in his face. Katsuma was tired and his ki was running dangerously low. Your quirk, what is it? It's called cell activation. I can activate the cells inside anyone I touch. It can even heal them if given enough time. But it uses my stamina and I've been at this for hours, Katsuma said, looking back down at the fallen heroes. How much longer can you hold out? Eri asked. Only a few more minutes, an hour at the most if I push myself. I did manage to fix Himari's arm and all I need is her other injuries. Uravity is almost healed. It's Izuku that has me worried. Even after all this time, the wound on his chest is barely starting to heal. If I stop now, his wound would just reopen, Katsume explained. Eri's face turned to one of worry. Yeah, Dad got pretty beat up. Alright, you've done enough for Mom and Aunt Himari. I sense they will be fine even if you stop now, focus on my dad. Are you sure? If I do that? Mahoro tried to protest but was stopped by Eri. Trust me, they will be fine. You need your rest as well, if anything happens I can use my ki to help him, Eri said with a smile. Katsuma nodded. Alright, but if anything happens I'm jumping back in. I can't have my favorite hero dying in my house now, can I? And with that he removed his hand from Uraraka and Himari to focus solely on Izuku. It wouldn't be until the next morning Uraraka would wake up. Opening her eyes she noticed that she wasn't in any place she recognized. Eri, Isamu, Deku. She yelled. Looking around she didn't find anyone but noticed her entire back was bandaged up. Huh? I was hit by a blast. Yet I'm able to stand, my back should have been shredded. How is this possible? She asked herself. Uraraka made her way into the living room. There she found Eri asleep with little Isamu on top of her. Once she saw them Uraraka began to cry not from sadness but from knowing that her two children were alright. She leaned down to stroke Eri's long white hair. You did an amazing job protecting your little brother, I couldn't be more proud. Suddenly Eri started to wake up. Her vision was blurry but she could tell someone was standing over her. Who? That's when she noticed it was Uraraka. Mom, she yelled out. Her yell also woke up little Isamu. Eri, my baby girl, Uraraka hugged her. I'm sorry you had to go through all of this. Don't be Mom, this has only made me stronger, Eri said with a smile. Uraraka wiped away a tear. That's good, so I have a few questions. Where are we? Where's your father and Himari? That's when Mahoro walked into the living room to find Uraraka had woken up. Oh, thank God you were awake. We started to think you'd never wake up. Also I can answer those for you. You're on Naboo Island. As to where Izuku and Himari are, they're currently being healed by my brother in the other room. Would you like to see them? Please, Uraraka simply answered. Follow me. Uraraka followed Mahoro into the bedroom where she saw Izuku and Himari still being healed by Katsuma. My brother spent the whole night healing him but it seems his injuries are still severe. Himari's injuries were healed just this morning but I think it will still be a while before she wakes up. Katsuma looked up. His eyes were so dry and tired. He looked like Aizawa. Oh, Ravity. You're awake, good. Thank you for healing him. I don't know how to repay the both of you, Uraraka said bowing. Let's worry about that later. Right now I managed to close up the surface wounds but his internal injuries are going to take more time, Katsuma said. I see, you need your rest. I can take over from here. I can't heal him like you do but I can stop him from getting worse, Uraraka said, placing a hand on Izuku. Go get some rest. Just then a key barrier surrounded Izuku. I didn't know you could do this, Katsuma said, surprised. Are you sure you will be fine, your injuries? Uraraka smiled. A hero always has a trick up their sleeve, and yeah, I'll be fine. Come on bro, you need to sleep, Mahoro said. Katsume nodded and went to his room to get some sleep. Himari would be the first one to wake up. 2 days later, she was confused at first and worried about the baby but once Uraraka told her that the baby was alright she began to calm down. Any progress on Izuku? Himari asked. He's getting better but Katsuma's quirk can only do so much. I've been giving him some of my ki to speed up the process and it seems like it's working. However at this rate he won't even wake up after the 3-day deadline, Shigaraki said. Uraraka said sitting beside Izuku. Damn it, even if we fought him the results will be the same. I think this is a fight we can't win. What about Bakugo? Have you heard anything from him? Himari said with her arm in a sling. No, all I know is that he was taken down by Lemillion. He did put up a fight though. But you're right, even if you and Deku fight him again, you'll both end up the same. Wait, what about fusion? Uraraka said, remembering back when Izuku and Bakugo fused against All Might. Fusion. My father spoke of that once but if I remember correctly we had to be at the same power level. And I hate to admit it but Izuku is much stronger than I am. Besides, as we are now our power would only increase slightly. Himari clenched her fists. If only I wasn't so weak, I could have. Himari, stop it, you can't blame yourself. No one knew how strong Shigaraki had gotten over the years. There's no way you could have prepared for this. Right now you have to look after yourself and that child inside you. We'll think of a way to fight Shigaraki. We have to, Uraraka said with a smile. Himari nodded. I know we will but first we need Izuku back. Also, we have to hope Shigaraki doesn't find us here. Little did they know that one of the island's residents was secretly keeping an eye on them. Sir, I have eyes on both of them. Yes, Naboo Island. In the 2 days Izuku and Himari were out of commission, Shigaraki began to assemble his forces. He recruited big and small villains, he even broke some of them out of prison. This included a man named Muscular. The heroes tried to fight back but with Shigaraki backing them up there was little they could do against him. Shigaraki set up a sort of headquarters right on top of the now destroyed Parliament building. Any word on what the governments of the world have to say? Shigaraki said, sitting on a throne. No sir, they all intend to fight you to the very end. It also seems they are waiting for the 3-day deadline to end, said Kurogiri. I see, then what about the Saiyan I defeated, is he awake yet? Asked Shigaraki. Yes, but he is refusing to talk. We even tried torture but nothing seems to work on him. We ran a blood test on him and found out he is actually the son of Izuku and Ochako. However he was actually born not that long ago so him being this old doesn't make sense. Kurogiri explained. That is interesting, time travel. Regardless, any word on where they are now? Asked Shigaraki. We received word that they are on Naboo Island and it appears someone on that island is capable of healing them. Shigaraki got up from his throne and let out his aura. So you're telling me, they will be healed? The aura coming out of Shigaraki was enough to crack the walls of the headquarters. Why yes, but according to the spy, the boy's powers are limited. If you were to go now you could finish them off with ease, Kurogiri said, shaking in fear. Shigaraki let his aura die down. Good, you said Naboo Island right. I think it's time I'd finish them off once and for all. Once those two are disposed of, no one will be able to stop me. A few hours later Katsuma was back to healing Izuku. Uraraka was with little Isamu playing outside. While Himari was using this time to meditate, do you two live alone? Uraraka asked Mahoro. She nodded, yeah, our mother passed away while we were still young and our father died in an accident about a year ago. Ever since then it's just been the two of us on this little island with nowhere to go. I see, I'm sorry for your loss, Uraraka said with a bit of regret. Thanks, things have been tough but lucky for us, some of the islanders helped us along the way. So we owe them so much, Mahoro said with a smile. I see, I'm sure your parents would be so proud of you, both of you, said Uraraka. Yeah, I know they're. Just then Uraraka and Himari both sensed a massive energy heading their way. Uraraka quickly got up and looked to the east, towards the mainland. Hey, what's wrong? Asked Mahoro. He's coming. No, why now? How did he find out we were here? Uraraka said as the energy began to draw closer. Himari then appeared. Uraraka, get Isamu and Izuku out of here. I'll distract him for as long as I can. Himari, you'll die, you're not even at half your power, Uraraka protested. I know that, but do we really have a choice? If Izuku dies then all of this will be worthless. Get him off this island right now, Himari yelled out. Just then Shigaraki came crashing down onto the island. It's a little late for that. A look of terror was seen on Himari's face. *T, it's too late. It's been a while, if I remember the last time we met you were near death, Shigaraki said staring at Himari. While it seems you escaped death's grasp but you still haven't healed fully, Himari was still covered in bandages and her arm was still in a sling. Tisk, want to see what I can do with one arm? Himari said, clenching her fist. Shigaraki smiled, please as you are now, you're not even a challenge, however I am willing to indulge you. Himari gritted her teeth, don't do it Himari. Uraraka said, trying to calm her down. Yeah, please don't do it, we wouldn't want you to end up like last time. So helpless, always relying on everyone, Shigaraki said, taunting her. Suddenly Himari's aura flared out. Enough, maybe we don't need Izuku, I'll kill you myself, she said, rushing at Shigaraki. Come on then, Himari threw a punch, Shigaraki dodged. However with one good arm Himari kept on pushing herself but no matter how hard she tried nothing was hitting. This is even more boring than last time. Switching it up, Himari charged up a blast and fired it. Seeing it coming, Shigaraki jumped up just as it exploded. This is exactly what Himari wanted. Flying up she twisted her body and delivered a hard kick to Shigaraki's ribs. She got him, Mahoro said, that hit must have hurt. No, Uraraka said shielding Mahoro from the backlash of the kick. It didn't even make him flinch. With her foot still at Shigaraki's ribs, Himari looked up to see him sigh. How disappointing. Shigaraki pushed her leg down. I was a fool for thinking you would do any better than last time. Faster than Himari could react, Shigaraki transformed his hands into that of the Nomu. With a powerful strike to her back Shigaraki sent her crashing into the island. Himari laid there in a crater of her own creation, bleeding from her lip. Well, I've had my fun, it's time for you to die once and for all, Shigaraki said pointing his hand at Himari. Suddenly a ball of red and black energy began to appear. Uraraka's eyes widened. Mahoro, we need to leave now. Grabbing her arm Uraraka began to pull Mahoro towards the house. Himari smiled. Well, as a Saiyan I can't think of a better way to die than in battle. That is one way to rationalize your death. Goodbye Saiyan. Shigaraki fired off the blast, but just as it left his hand another blast came in. This blast managed to push away Shigaraki's blast. You? Turning towards the house, Shigaraki saw Izuku standing at the doorway. Izuku's breathing was heavy. I'll leave her alone Shigaraki, he said as Katsuma and Eri appeared behind him. Deku, you're finally awake, Uraraka said almost in tears. Why you shouldn't be up, Katsuma said, holding Izuku up. Don't worry about me kid, do me a favor and get your sister out of here. I don't want you two to get caught up in this fight. That means you too Eri, these two protected us these last couple of days so now it's time to repay some of that hospitality, Izuku said walking towards Uraraka. How are you holding up Izuku? Uraraka asked. Pretty good, but that wound still isn't fully healed, so I'd say I'm at about 25% power. Izuku then grunted in pain. The wound on his chest was starting to reopen. Ochako, once I get Shigaraki away from Himari I want you to grab her and get out of here as well. Get as far away as you can from here. I'll try it in the atmosphere but it may not be far enough. What are you talking about? Uraraka asked not liking where this was going. Izuku smiled. Sorry but it looks like this is going to be a repeat of my fight with E23. Uraraka's eyes went wide. No, don't. We don't have Dragon Balls Deku. If you die that's it. You won't be able to come back. If I can take him down then it will be worth it, Izuku said while walking towards Shigaraki. Uraraka reached out to him but stopped. She knew there was no changing his mind. I swear Deku, if you die I'll kill you myself. That doesn't make any sense but sure, Izuku said trying to transform into a Super Saiyan blue. His hair flickered blue but he didn't have the strength to keep it going. The best he could do now was just a Super Saiyan but even that was difficult to maintain. But Izuku kept walking, the aura around him was weak and flickering. Finally the main attraction is here. Shigaraki let out his aura, his menacing aura eclipsed Izuku's. Let's go, Izuku said, rushing Shigaraki. Crashing into him Izuku pushed him into the sky, but Shigaraki knew what he was doing. Trying to get me away? That won't work again. Shigaraki managed to punch Izuku in the face. The hit was so hard that it managed to break Izuku's nose. Regaining his composure Izuku began to fly towards Shigaraki. This time he had a plan. Izuku created 5 Destructo discs to which he threw at Shigaraki. Watching them get closer Shigaraki managed to slap 4 of them away. The last one he caught with his bare hand. Spinning around he threw it right back at Izuku. With no time to react the disc caught Izuku on the side. Blood poured out of the cut the disc made. Izuku grunted as he pushed past it. Cupping his hand together, "Ha!" he yelled out as a beam of energy shot out of his hands. The blast hit Shigaraki in the chest which caused him to go flying even higher into the atmosphere. Izuku followed him right into the exosphere, the outermost part of Earth's atmosphere. Now that you have me where you wanted me, now what? There's still nothing you can do, Shigaraki said, hovering in midair. Izuku smiled. Oh there's one thing. Bringing his hands to his side Izuku began to charge up. Throwing his hands forward him fired continuous energy blasts at Shigaraki. As the blasts kept coming a fireball began to engulf Shigaraki completely. A desperation move? Good but not good enough. H-A-A-A-A, Shigaraki yelled out and with his voice alone he managed to destroy the remaining blasts. Looking around he noticed he was in a smokescreen. So this was your plan all along, a distraction. Too bad for you it won't work. Swinging his arm Shigaraki cleared the smoke around him. Looking up he noticed Izuku was gone. What, where did he go? Here, a voice said behind Shigaraki. Izuku had used the smoke from the explosions to get behind him. Locking his arms and legs Izuku made sure he couldn't escape. I got you now, he said with a smile. What's your plan? You can't attack me like this, and no matter what you do none of your attacks will work against me, Shigaraki said, trying to shake Izuku off. I have one that just might kill us both, Izuku said as streaks of light began to swirl around them. On the surface Uraraka was carrying Himari to safety when all of a sudden something bright began to shine down on them. Shielding her eyes she looked up. Is that what Izuku did when he fought E23? She asked. To everyone on Earth it looked like a miniature sun had appeared, its energy glowing bright yellow with power. Barely hanging on to consciousness was Himari. Opening her eyes she too saw the ball of energy forming in the sky. Izuku. Back in space, it was taking everything Izuku had to hold Shigaraki in place. Let me go god damn it, he said squirming around. No, I won't let you hurt my friends ever again. Just then sparkles began to appear from Izuku's body. Time to die. At the last second Izuku put up a barrier around himself and Shigaraki to contain the explosion and maximize its destructiveness. Suddenly the area around the both of them turned into a blinding white light. The explosion rattled the earth to its core. If the explosion was just a few miles closer to the surface it would have destabilized the core. The fireball was so powerful that Izuku's barrier shattered. Uraraka and Eri stopped to look up. The explosion they saw surpassed the one Bakugo fired against his fight with Lemillion. To put it into perspective, if the blast was on land it would have completely disintegrated the entire island of Japan, twice over. Deku, Uraraka yelled out. On the western coast of the United States, a young boy with black hair was playing on the beach when he saw something just above the horizon. Mama, look, he said pointing to the fireball. Before his mother could say anything, they were both knocked down by a powerful gust of wind. As a result of the explosion Izuku's body was flung towards the ground. For 5 long minutes Izuku fell towards the earth. He finally crashed into Mount Kita completely flattening it. Laying in a crater Izuku survived his attack. However, he didn't have any more energy left and to make things worse the blast burned his body. Coughing out blood Izuku couldn't even sit up. Man. I managed to survive that somehow. It looks like my body has become a lot tougher since I last used that attack. He said grunting in pain. Still, my energy is all gone now. Out in space the smoke began at the epicenter of the explosion. Shigaraki appeared. Half of his body was nothing but muscle and bone. Izuku's blast had burned his skin right off. Bastard. He actually managed to damage me, he said as blood poured down his whole right side. Lifting his partially bone hand, he clenched his fist and smiled. I hope he didn't die from his own attack. 'Cause I want that pleasure. Suddenly his whole right side was completely healed. It was as if nothing had ever happened. Ah, much better. Good thing I stole the guy's quirk. A one-time super regeneration quirk. It sure came in handy. This time I'll make sure I'll kill him. Shigaraki yelled out as his aura began to form around him. Looking down he noticed Izuku's trail and shot down towards the area. Izuku was still laying on the ground when he sensed Shigaraki's energy, *T. He's still alive. That blast should have been enough to at least hurt him. Just then Shigaraki landed in the crater with Izuku, his aura flaring out. Oh, trust me, it hurt me. However, unlucky for you, I had a quirk that healed me up completely. Shigaraki then raised his hand towards Izuku. You fought well, Izuku, but it's time for you to die, he said as a ball of destruction energy appeared. Oh wait, I almost forgot. The audience doesn't have a good look. Waving his hand, Shigaraki repositioned the satellite to face him. Izuku gritted his teeth. No, a voice yelled out. Shigaraki turned to find Uraraka flying towards them. Oh, Ochako. No, stay away, Izuku said, but she couldn't hear him. Shigaraki smiled. Well, it looks like she's here to send you off. I'll see you in hell. He then fired the Hakai at Izuku. Uraraka watched as Izuku began to disappear right before her eyes. Izuku smiled as his body began to disappear. I love you, he said before completely disappearing in a sparkle of purple energy. Everyone on Earth watched as Izuku was reduced to nothing. After his classmates were defeated, they were transported over to a holding cell that included Bakugo. Quirk-suppressing cuffs were placed on them to prevent them from leaving. However, they could see everything that was going on thanks to a giant monitor on the wall. They all gasped in shock as they saw Izuku getting erased. Bakugo couldn't believe it. His friend since they were children was gone. For good this time. Izuku, no. Uraraka landed on the edge of the crater, and no, please no, she fell to her knees. Izuku, she cried out, slamming her fists into the ground. Just then Shigaraki appeared behind her. I know your pain, hero. I too have lost people I cared about. Uraraka looked up at Shigaraki with tears in her eyes. You would never understand. Shigaraki walked up to Uraraka. Trust me, I know this pain more than most. With her rage burning, Uraraka swung at Shigaraki. She completely missed. Not bad, but if it took Izuku almost killing himself to hurt me, what makes you think you can do it? Uraraka knew she couldn't touch him, but she had to try. For Izuku's sake she had to try. She threw punch after punch, but Shigaraki simply moved to the side, dodging all of her attacks. Enough of this, he said, frustrated. With a quick strike he slapped her across the face. Uraraka was sent flying a few meters away. Holding her cheek she glared at Shigaraki. That's it, hate me. You can both hate me in the afterlife, he said, creating another ball of destruction. Just as he was about to erase her, the ground beneath them began to shake. What is this shaking? An earthquake? Lord Beerus's planet Beerus was enjoying some lunch. Hey Whis, where's the rest of it? I'm starving over here, he said, sitting down at a massive table. Coming right up, my lord, Whis said, preparing the food. After adding some seasoning, the food was done. Here we are, my lord, just like the food on Earth. Placing the plate down, Beerus's eyes widened as he saw a bowl of ramen. Thanks for the food, he then began to devour it all down. Take your time, my lord, you are going to choke. Whis tried to explain but stopped when the ground began to shake. Oh my, is this what I think it is? Beerus put down his bowl. Whis, do you sense that? Whis nodded. I do. It seems Goku wasn't the only mortal capable of achieving it. Beerus smiled. These Saiyans never cease to amaze me. If only we had Izuku in the Tournament of Power, things wouldn't have been so close. Not to mention he's achieved it at such a young age. Does he not have any limitations? Just then the shaking stopped. Well, it seems it's time for the grand finale, Whis said, smiling. Back on Earth the rumbling stopped and the air was still. What was that? Shigaraki asked, looking around. Uraraka smiled. Typical of you Saiyans, always wanting to make a grand entrance. Isn't that right, Izuku? Just then the air around the crater began to swirl towards the center. Uraraka watched as a giant pillar of white energy shot into the sky. The ground around the crater began to break apart from the sheer power. From the pillar of white a figure began to rise from the ground. Fighting against the energy, the figure stood up and opened their eyes. Shigaraki stepped away from Uraraka. It can't be. I destroyed him. There is no way he could have survived, he said, pointing his palm towards the figure. He then fired off multiple Hakais, but as soon as they made contact with the pillar of energy they were absorbed. Impossible. Just then the pillar began to disappear from the inside out, and there in the center of it all was Izuku. His hair wasn't a different color, but rather it was his normal base form color. The only difference was that it was slightly more spiked up. Staring at Shigaraki was a pair of bright silver-colored eyes, and the aura around Izuku also changed. It was now a silver, purple and blue color consisting of rippling, fire-like energy, complete with sparkling particles that traveled upwards much like Super Saiyan God. Izuku looked down at his hands, amazed at what he had become. He then looked up to see Uraraka with an injury to her face. Seeing this, his eye twitched, and next thing everyone knew, he was now in front of Shigaraki with his arm pulled back. Taken by surprise and with little time to react, Shigaraki put his arms out in front of him. Even though he blocked it, Shigaraki was still sent flying into a mountain. Without saying a word he looked down at Uraraka. Izuku? She said, looking up at him. Due to the explosion he only had half of his shirt on. Reaching down, Izuku touched Uraraka's injured cheek. As he did, Uraraka could feel a warm sensation radiating off of him. What is this heat? And this aura? It's frightening calm. From the next mountain over a yell was heard. Ha! Just then the entire mountain was blown off by a powerful aura. With arms extended out, Shigaraki appeared, his aura flaring out. "Why you? I'm going to make you regret that," he said, flying back to Izuku. "Time to die," he yelled as he spun around to deliver a kick at Izuku's head. "Deku! Look out!" Uraraka yelled out, but she had nothing to fear. Just as the kick was about to land, Izuku jumped into the air. "What?" Shigaraki said as he saw Izuku disappear. The kick was so strong that it cut some of the mountains in front of them in half. Uraraka was blown away literally as the kick missed, crashing into a mountain. She looked up to see Izuku above Shigaraki. How did he do that? Izuku wasn't a match for him just a minute ago. What happened? Clenching his fist, Izuku punched Shigaraki, sending him into the ground. Breaking the earth around him, Izuku landed on a nearby destroyed boulder. Suddenly there was a rumble from underground. After a few seconds, Shigaraki appeared holding his shoulder. "Why you? What have you done? How did you get this strong?" Izuku stayed silent. "Not going to talk? Fine, I'll just kill you," he said as hundreds of black spikes began to fly towards Izuku. Taking a deep breath, Izuku closed his eyes and ran towards the spikes. It looked as if Izuku was gliding through the air. Shigaraki couldn't believe it. He's dodging them all. Izuku was dodging every single one of the spikes with small but precise movements. When it seemed as if he was about to get hit, Izuku jumped into the air and continued to dodge while in the air. Landing, Izuku slid right in front of Shigaraki, spinning around as he stood up. Izuku placed his index and middle finger an inch away from Shigaraki's chest. Creating a fist, Izuku delivered a hard punch to Shigaraki's chest that blasted him into the crater. Izuku just pulled off Bruce Lee's one-inch punch. Uraraka couldn't believe what she was seeing. What is this? It's as if Izuku became another person. "This is it," a voice said behind Uraraka. Turning around, she found Himari and Eri. "Izuku is going to take down Shigaraki once and for all," Himari said, landing beside Uraraka. "Dad has to win. I don't think he'll get another chance," Eri said, looking at her father. Uraraka looked at Izuku. "Come on, Deku, you need to take down Shigaraki." Within the crater, Shigaraki pushed himself up, all the while clenching his chest. Just then the silver aura of Izuku was seen getting closer to the top of the crater. "Well, this just become more interesting, hasn't it, Izuku?" Walking to the edge of the crater, Izuku looked down at Shigaraki. Izuku's eyes were stern and sharp. The silver glow of his eyes was seen. This was it. One final chance to take Shigaraki down. Serious. Shigaraki stared at Izuku. "You Saiyans really are special, aren't you? Just when I have you in a perfect position to finish you off, you pull this off. This heat, this glow, this power, it's nothing but show. It won't mean anything against me." At lightning speed, Shigaraki appeared in front of Izuku. "Take this," he said, throwing a flurry of punches at Izuku. Jumping back, Izuku dodged and would counter, but his hits would be blocked. The two went back and forth, each hitting each other with everything they had. The force coming from their kicks and punches was enough to send lightning strikes hurtling towards the ground. The sound of their fists colliding created shockwaves that were felt around the world. Each strike getting sharper, stronger, and faster than the last. Himari couldn't believe what she was seeing. What are these moves? They are nothing like Izuku's normal ones. He's not just fast, when he attacks I can't even sense him move. I know, it's the same when he dodges. What happened to you, Deku? Uraraka asked as explosions filled the sky overhead. Both fighters continued their onslaught. Izuku continued to dodge and block but couldn't find the chance he needed to land a clean hit on Shigaraki. The silver aura around Izuku shined as they fought in the air. "You think this power-up is enough to defeat me?" Shigaraki yelled out mid-fight. Izuku said nothing as he continued to block and dodge his attacks. "Nothing to say? Fine, I'll just go ahead and kill you," he said, increasing the intensity of his attacks. Sensing the fight was turning in another direction, Izuku began to focus more and more on Shigaraki. The fight went on with neither side truly having an advantage over the other. Shigaraki fired off a blast at Izuku, to which Izuku easily slapped away. The two fighters looked at each other suspended in the air. Just then Shigaraki began to laugh. "Well, this really is a surprise. I didn't think you would be able to close the gap on me so soon. Doesn't matter when I can just steal your energy," Shigaraki said, pointing his hands at Izuku. The silver glow around Izuku began to get pulled towards Shigaraki. "Yes, without your energy you are useless." "No," Uraraka yelled out. "If he takes his energy then it will be all over." She tried to fly towards Shigaraki only to be stopped by Himari. "Let me go, Himari. I know you're worried but just watch. Izuku is not just standing there for no reason," Himari said, pulling Uraraka back down. But Uraraka then looked back up. "Fine, I'll watch." The silver aura began to latch itself on Shigaraki. "Now your energy is mine." However, as soon as it did the aura began to flare out. What is this?" Shigaraki yelled out. Izuku smirked as he raised his hand calling back the aura. "Ichi couldn't steal his energy?" asked Uraraka. "I knew it, that key is different from the energy of destruction within Shigaraki. Izuku shouldn't have to worry about getting his energy stolen," Himari said with a smile. Shigaraki grabbed his head. "What did you do to me?" he said as his body felt the effects of having the key extracted from him. "Fine, keep your secrets. If I can't steal your energy, then I'll just beat you to a pulp." The two fighters went back to punching each other. Izuku dodged and dodged. The two clashed in the air. Their hands were moving so fast it was as if they were still by their sides. Lightning strikes began to rain down upon the earth with each strike. Shockwaves filled the skies as they flew across it. However, things are not meant to last forever. As they went back and forth, Izuku's silver eyes flashed back to its natural color. Uraraka noticed it. Himari. I know, I saw it too. Izuku has to finish this fight now, Himari said. Those two could feel Izuku's newfound power fading. Ga! With a devilish roar, Izuku managed to hit Shigaraki with a hard uppercut, which sent him flying into the air. Composing himself, Shigaraki stopped himself and looked down to see Izuku cupping his hands together. Kamihami. This is it, do it Deku, Uraraka yelled out. Ha! A beam of blue and white energy rocketed out of Izuku's hands. A massive explosion lit up the sky as the beam hit Shigaraki dead on. The resulting shockwave was enough to send debris from the broken mountain across the ocean. Uraraka, Eri, and Himari watched as the explosion engulfed Izuku. Did he get him? Asked Eri, shielding her eyes. The explosion dissipated, as the girls below saw Izuku breathing hard while floating in the air. The silver aura around him began to disappear. It's over, Izuku did it, Eri celebrated. Izuku looked down and gave them a thumbs up. From the smoke, Himari saw something move. Izuku, move. She tried to warn him, she really did, but by the time Izuku turned to look, Shigaraki appeared flying towards him. It seems that form couldn't last that long. You fought well, Saiyan, but your time is up, he said, delivering a hard hit to Izuku's head. The hit was so hard that it sent him crashing down to the earth. Breaking the earth around him, Izuku laid in a crater. Deku, Uraraka yelled out as she saw her husband hit the floor. Shigaraki then landed next to him. This time you won't be coming back, he said, raising his hand, creating a ball of destruction energy. Izuku looked up as blood dripped from his mouth. Just as Shigaraki was about to fire, someone came flying in. Get away from my father, the voice yelled, slicing down. At the last second, Shigaraki jumped back. As he did, the ball of destruction disappeared from his hand. How did you get out? Shigaraki asked. There in front stood Isamu, barely managing to hold his sword. That mist guy dropped his guard and in that moment we escaped, he said with a smile. We? Shigaraki asked, puzzled. A voice said behind Shigaraki. Turning around, a very pissed off Bakugo appeared with his hands pointed directly at Shigaraki. Himari's eyes began to water. Bakugo, she yelled out as he fired off a blast in Shigaraki's face. Taken by surprise, Shigaraki's body went flying. Don't forget about me, Bakugo, another voice said. Suddenly the ground began to sprout ice pillars. Let's not forget the flames. Raising their arm, fire began to burn. Todoroki had joined the battle. His fire and ice began to surround Shigaraki's body. Thanks to the rapid cooling and the rapid heating, a massive explosion occurred. You guys, Uraraka said, looking at the two, you're alright. They aren't the only ones, said Mina, appearing behind Uraraka. However, she wasn't alone. Everyone from Class 1A appeared in support of Izuku. Everyone, thank you for coming, Uraraka said, wiping a tear away. Aunt Sue, did you bring the thing? Eri asked, running up to Sue. Yeah, I got it. I had to go through your stuff though. I didn't think you still had something like this. I thought Izuku destroyed the last ones. Ribbit, Sue said, handing over Eri a small box. He did, but I secretly had Melissa develop this one with a sample of my blood, Eri said, grabbing the box. Eri, what is that? Uraraka asked. Eri held up the box. Our way of winning. She opened, revealing a quirk erasing dart. Uraraka's eyes went wide. A quirk erasing dart? Eri, how did you? It's a long story. All you need to know is that this dart is like the bullets back then, but I infused it with my ki so its effects work faster and can erase more than one quirk. The only downside is that every last drop has to be injected. If we don't inject it all, then some of his quirks may still be active, Eri said, pulling out the bullet. I see, if we can get close enough to inject Shigaraki, then his other quirks will stop working. That could give Izuku the edge he needs, Himari said. Eri nodded. Exactly, but that's just the problem. We need to get close. The way Dad is now, he won't be able to even touch Shigaraki, much less stick a dart into him. Just then Kirishima brought Izuku over. He was badly injured but awake and alert. Guys, I have him, he said, putting him down on the ground. Uraraka rushed over to him. Deku. Izuku grunted in pain. Hey Ochako. Aw man, my ribs are killing me. Momo. On it, Momo quickly created bandages and pain meds for Izuku. Uraraka quickly bandaged him up and gave him the pain meds. We need to find a way to hit Shigaraki with that dart, said Uraraka. Izuku forced himself to his feet. Thanks guys, I owe you for this. Now I need to get back out there. Like hell you are. The only reason you lasted this long against Shigaraki was because of that power-up. Speaking of which, what the heck was that? Himari said, scolding Izuku. I honestly have no idea, but before Izuku could finish explaining, something came crashing beside them. As the dust settled, they noticed it was Bakugo, Kachan. Bakugo spit out blood. Damn it, he's too strong. We need to get out of here. You bunch aren't going anywhere, Shigaraki said, landing hard a few feet away. Everyone's eyes went wide when they saw Todoroki being dragged by his neck. Shoto, Momo yelled out. Shigaraki, let him go, Izuku yelled out, clutching his ribs. Shigaraki picked Todoroki off the ground. You want him? Come and get him? Izuku gritted his teeth. You bastard. Just then he felt a surge of power flowing into him. Huh? Looking back, Izuku saw his friends channeling their ki into him. You guys? Since when? Bakugo smiled as he raised his hand towards Izuku. Did you really think they were so weak? Just shut up and take the energy before we take it back. His friend's energy coerced into him. Izuku smiled. Thanks guys. I won't let this energy go to waste. Transforming straight to blue, Izuku was ready once again. Finally, Shigaraki said, tossing Todoroki aside. Eri, Izuku yelled out. Eri knew what he wanted, take it and kick his ass dad. He won't do it alone, Isamu said, standing proud beside his father. Since you went blue, I think it's time for me to transform as well. A golden light began to surround him. As the golden light disappeared, Isamu stood with long golden hair. Super Saiyan 3? I'd expect nothing less from my son. Come then, let's hit this guy once and for all, said Izuku as they both rocketed towards Shigaraki. Their auras crashed into each other as they went in, hitting Shigaraki back. Don't let up, Izuku said, kneeing Shigaraki in the stomach, causing him to hunch forward. Isamu came in, slamming Shigaraki with both fists to his back. This sent Shigaraki crashing into the ground. I'll hold him, Isamu yelled out, his hand glowing yellow with power. He pointed them towards Shigaraki, increasing the gravity around him. Falling to his knees, Shigaraki struggled to lift his head. You bastard. Father now, Isamu yelled out. Rocketing towards Shigaraki was Izuku wielding Isamu's sword. You're mine now, Shigaraki. Izuku swung the sword at Shigaraki, only to have him transform his arm in that of a Nomu. As soon as the sword hit his arm, the sword shattered. Too easy. Reaching out, Shigaraki grabbed Izuku by the neck and slammed him to the ground, making the aura around him disappear. I am going to enjoy killing you, Shigaraki said with a smile. Izuku felt his chest being caved in from the immense pressure of the Nomu arm. Father, Isamu yelled out, rushing to his aid. Stay out of this, Shigaraki said, lifting his other arm, blasting Isamu away. Gah! Isamu yelled out in pain as the blast sent him crashing into a mountain. Isamu! Izuku yelled out, trying to push the giant hand off of him. Don't worry, you'll see him once you are all dead, Shigaraki said as a light began to shine from his palms. Just as he was about to fire, Shigaraki was kicked in the head. Sorry, but I need him alive. He's a good sparring partner. Landing beside Izuku was Himari in her Super Saiyan form. Himari? No time, he's coming back, Himari said, putting up her guard. Izuku, Himari and Isamu all let out their aura. Shigaraki appeared floating in the air. Ah, now the woman is here. Perfect, now I can just eliminate the three of you in one fell swoop. Bringing his hands together, Shigaraki began to create a ball of destruction energy. Is he trying to destroy the earth? Himari said as they watched the destruction energy grow. We can't let that hit the earth, Izuku said, cupping his hands together. However, just before he did, Izuku threw the dart back to Uraraka, who caught it. Isamu nodded. Then let's give him hell then, he said, copying his father. All three began to charge up their attacks. Planetary, Kamihami. Shigaraki smirked. You'll never be able to stop me. Hakai. The giant ball of destruction fell towards the earth. Throwing their hands forward, father and son fired. Ha! Lightning crackled around Himari as she fired. Devastation. The three beams of energy shot into the sky, spiraling around each other before joining into one gigantic beam. The Hakai and the three Saiyan blast met in the middle and deadlocked. Each pushed and pulled against each other. Neither side seemed like they were giving up ground. However, only one side had a disadvantage. Due to their injuries, Izuku and Himari's energy was quickly fading, and Shigaraki could tell. You forget that I still have all of my quirks at my disposal. Shigaraki yelled out as black spikes began to rain down towards the three Saiyans. The Saiyans gritted their teeth as each spike grazed the skin, opening small but painful cuts. Hold on, we can't let that hit the ground. Izuku yelled out as blood ran down his cheek. You think we don't know that? Just focus on giving it more power, Himari said as spikes cut her legs in various places. I won't let another timeline fall to ruin, Isamu said as spikes stabbed into his arms. Uraraka and the gang watched as the two blasts entered into a tug of war. They won't be able to keep that up for long, said Bakugo. We need to get rid of his quirks now, Uraraka said, looking down at the dart. Give it to me, said Bakugo, holding out his hand. Be Bakugo, are you sure? When Shigaraki notices you, Uraraka tried to explain the dangers, but Bakugo stopped her. I know, just give me that damn dart. Uraraka reluctantly handed over the dart. Bakugo took the dart and looked at Shigaraki. Bakugo, remember you have to inject it all or it won't work, said Eri. Alright, let's do this. Bakugo nodded and took off into the skies, fighting against the wind, and not a moment too soon. The Saiyans were starting to lose ground. They were being pushed back, their feet sliding back as the Hakai blast got closer to the ground. FCK. We have to do something about these spikes. Himari yelled out as the spikes continued to hit them. We can't. If either one of us breaks off, then the Hakai will destroy everything, said Izuku. That's when Isamu noticed something. Wait, is that? It's Bakugo. Himari looked up to see Bakugo flying right at Shigaraki, and no, don't do it. In the air Bakugo flew down towards Shigaraki, I'll only get one shot at this. As he approached Shigaraki noticed him, oh what's this? Someone new has entered the fray. Ah and it's Bakugo, what a surprise but you are not welcomed here so begone. The spikes then changed direction. Bakugo put the dart behind his back so that it wouldn't break, he tried to shield himself with one arm but the spikes pierced his skin. And not yet, I can't go down just yet. Bakugo then pointed his palm towards Shigaraki and the flying spikes. Howitzer impact. He yelled out as a massive explosion left his hands. Shigaraki's eyes went wide as the blast destroyed his spikes and swallowed him completely. Now's my chance. With the smoke covering him, Bakugo flew right at Shigaraki with the dart in hand. As he went into the smoke Bakugo could feel his ki getting closer, come on, come on. There. Bringing down his arm Bakugo stabbed into the smoke, only to be grabbed by the neck by Shigaraki. What was the plan here? Kick up some smoke to try to distract me. Too bad it didn't work. Oh what is this? He said, reaching out and grabbing the dart from Bakugo's hand. A dart? Did you really do all this for a dart? What's so special about this dart? Shigaraki asked, holding it close to his face. Bakugo smiled. It can do this, he said, placing his palm in front of Shigaraki's face and firing a blast right into his eyes. Shigaraki let go of Bakugo and the dart as he reeled back in pain, FCK. Taking this chance Bakugo grabbed the dart in mid-air and jammed it into Shigaraki's neck. Screaming out in pain Shigaraki pulled the dart out of his neck, turning to Bakugo he delivered a hard punch to his stomach, shattering his ribs. Looking at the dart he noticed there was fluid inside and it was 3/4 gone. What did he inject me with? Bakugo coughed out blood as he fell to the earth but as he did a smile formed on his face. Do it guys, he said falling unconscious. Looking down Shigaraki saw the Hawkeye get closer, and no, he tried to activate the spikes once again but felt nothing. Quote. What? My quirk is, gone. The three Saiyans all smiled, thanks Kachan, together now. Izuku yelled out. Ha! With a powerful yell all three Saiyans increased their power even higher than before. Shigaraki struggled to hold the Hawkeye back. You will not beat me. Shigaraki said as his arms were shaking. You will not beat me. Just then the Saiyan's blasts pierced the Hawkeye, shattering it, purple sparks fell in every direction. Shigaraki's eyes went wide as the blast was now heading his way. Shigaraki closed his eyes, impossible, to think they pushed me this far, it's actually kind of impressive. I can't feel most of my quirks but it seems I can still use one of them. The blast was just meters away and Shigaraki didn't move, taking a deep breath he opened his eyes revealing his purple eyes but this time they had a black iris going down the middle almost like a cat. The blast completely engulfed Shigaraki, the blinding light left the Earth's atmosphere and into the void of space. We did it, Himari said out of breath as she reverted to her base form. Izuku no longer had the energy to sustain blue and fell to his knees, why yeah we did, oh no. Bakugo. He said, looking up Izuku saw Bakugo falling from the sky. Himari tried to pick herself up but no longer had the strength to move, just then Isamu jumped into the air and caught Bakugo, I got him guys, he said with a smile. Landing beside them Isamu put down Bakugo, good job Bakugo, whatever you did it gave us the edge we needed, said Izuku. Bakugo struggled to get his words out, wasn't fully injected, he still has what? What does Shigaraki still have? Himari asked, holding her husband. Just then a massive beam of black energy appeared, sending the group flying just by the sheer wind pressure. The mountain range around them was completely flattened, only flat, broken land surrounded them. What he's trying to say is that, whatever that was, it didn't work, a voice said from within the pillar of energy. And no, it couldn't be, Izuku said, pushing himself up. Uraraka's eyes went wide, his energy, it's growing even bigger than before. She then turned to her friends. Everyone get out of here, now. She yelled out. They turned to leave but as they did the sky turned a black color, day turned to night in an instant. All around the world the sun was blocked out by the energy. Red lightning strikes struck the ground, destroying buildings, cars, and killing people across the world. What you all failed to understand was that all this time, I was holding back my true power. Why you may ask, well it's simple. I just wanted to have some fun, test my powers against the likes of you but no more. No more will I repress my powers, this time, I will use everything I have to kill you and every single being on this planet. And it will all start, with you four, Shigaraki said walking out of the pillar. His muscle mass increased, his shirt was gone as a result of this. His hair was still pure white but it had purple streaks running on the sides. His hands had razor-sharp claws just like the Nomu's and his teeth were also razor-sharp. He looked like a more humanoid-looking Nomu, the same Nomu from the USJ. He made himself into a Nomu. Those eyes. I'll never forget those eyes, they are the same as the USJ Nomu all those years ago. His energy is in another league than it was before this transformation, Izuku said, shocked at what just happened. Guys get ready. However before Izuku could finish the sentence Shigaraki appeared in front of Isamu, let's get rid of the annoying one first. Isamu looked down slowly as the giant fist of Shigaraki slammed into his stomach. Isamu coughed out blood as his whole intestinal tract was destroyed. However, Shigaraki wasn't finished. Pulling his bloody hand free, he then pointed it right at Isamu. So long, kid. Shigaraki fired a blast that pierced Isamu's body. Isamu. Izuku yelled out as Isamu fell to his knees and then face down on the floor. Blood began to pour out from the sides and stain the ground with it. Before Izuku could even move, Shigaraki disappeared and reappeared beside Himari. Now for the woman. Jumping up, Shigaraki delivered a spinning kick to Himari's ribs, shattering all of them on one side. With a trail of blood following, Himare's body was sent flying. Himari. Izuku watched helplessly as his son and friend were brutally beaten right before his eyes. And take your worthless husband with you too. Shigaraki said, picking Bakugo up by a leg and throwing him towards Himari. Shigaraki then turned towards Izuku and smiled as he saw the terror in his eyes. Don't think I've forgotten about you, Izuku. After years of getting in my way, I finally have the chance to get some revenge. Izuku charged at Shigaraki in a feat of rage. He threw a punch only to have Shigaraki sidestep out of the way. Too easy, he said, raising his elbow and bringing it down right on Izuku's back. Hitting the floor, Izuku coughed out blood. He tried to pick himself up, but as he did, Shigaraki stepped on his back, pushing him back down to the ground. Izuku yelled out in pain. His mind was quickly fading thanks to the pain. Just then Shigaraki grabbed him by the face, forcing his eyes open. Don't go to sleep on me now. Tell me, what do you see? Izuku's vision was blurred, but he could just make out the silhouette of Uraraka and Eri, and no. Yes, that's right, your precious family. I want you to watch as I turn them to nothingness right before your very eyes, Shigaraki said, raising his hand towards them. Please, just let them go, Izuku pleaded as blood ran down his lip. A purple ball of destruction then appeared in the palm of Shigaraki's hand. Once I'm done with them, I'll go and find your young son. But don't worry, I won't kill him. He will live, but he will also be my subordinate. I'll train him to follow orders, to fight, to kill. Once he's ready, I will unleash him upon the earth and have him eradicate all of humanity. One by one, but first I will eliminate all of his family, starting with those two. Hakai. Izuku watched as the ball of destruction left Shigaraki's hands and head straight to Uraraka and Eri. With his eyes forced open, Izuku watched helplessly as the Hakai drew closer. No, Shigaraki, that future that you envision will never happen. I can guarantee that, he said as his eyes flashed silver. Uraraka found where Himari and Bakugo had landed. They were in bad shape. The two found them and were getting them out of the battlefield when Shigaraki fired the Hakai. Sensing danger, Uraraka turned around and saw the moment he fired. Her eyes widened. There's nothing I can do. I can't stop or deflect it. Deku. Closing her eyes, Uraraka braced herself. However, just as the Hakai was about to hit her, someone jumped in front and slapped it away. This caused it to explode in the air behind them. Uraraka hesitantly opened her eyes to see Izuku in front of her. Izuku stood there with his eyes closed. What? When did he? Shigaraki said. Shocked, he looked down to the hand he had around Izuku's head. Deku. Uraraka watched as the silver glow of his aura began to reappear around him. Opening his eyes, Shigaraki saw the silver color. The aura around him has gotten brighter and hotter. This form has to be some incomplete state. If Deku can master this, it should give him the edge over Shigaraki. Dad. Eri yelled out. Her father once again saved them from being killed. It's time we end this, Shigaraki, once and for all, Izuku said, powering up. His aura cut through the darkened skies, revealing the blue skies once again. Shigaraki smirked. You tapped into that unknown power once again, huh, Izuku? Very well, let's see if that power can last against me. Uraraka. Eri. Isamu is in bad shape, get to him quickly. Find Katsuma and have them heal them, Izuku said with a stone-cold look on his face. Uraraka nodded. Take care of them for now, Eri, I'll go get Isamu. The two fighters floated up into the sky, their auras crashing into each other as they readied themselves for the fight at hand. Beerus's planet. Whis and Beerus watched as Izuku once again tapped into the power of Ultra Instinct, and just like Goku, he's once again shattered his limits, Whis said, impressed. But his power, isn't it a bit much? Not even Goku was able to reach this level at his age, Beerus said, taking a bite out of his food. Whis nodded. Yes, I do find that curious. As he is now, I dare say he is stronger than any destroyer in any universe. He then looked over at Beerus. Do you have anything to say about this, Lord Beerus? Beerus turned around. Not particularly, but his power might attract the attention of the others. That is true, but how Izuku is now, no one in this universe could touch him. Well, almost no one, but once he masters this power he will truly be untouchable, Whis said with a smile. Battlefield. It's you and me, Shigaraki, Izuku said, his silver eyes cut deep into Shigaraki. Shigaraki raised his razor-sharp claws. No, it's only me, Izuku. At the end of this day, one of us shall stand, one shall fall. The aura around Izuku began to pulse out. Then let's give the world a fight they won't ever forget, said Shigaraki. The two fighters began to rise. Izuku's silver aura cut through the air. The heat it was generating was enough to evaporate the humidity in the air. Without saying a word, the two threw a punch at each other. Their fists meeting in the middle created a shockwave. Can Dad do it this time? Eri asked as she carried both Bakugo and Himari away from the battlefield. Even though they were now far away, they could still feel the wind pressure coming from their fight. Blue lightning struck around them, causing massive explosions as they hit the ground. Uraraka was carrying Isamu. Thanks to the wind, she was barely managing to fly straight. It will all depend if Deku can maintain that power up. However, one thing's for certain, the next time the silver in his eyes disappears, it will be all over. As they flew away, loud booms were heard. Looking back, Uraraka saw two dots of light crashing into each other. Come on Deku, you have to win. Just then a voice called out to Uraraka, Uravity. Looking up, they saw Katsuma and Mahoro riding on top of a giant eagle that Mahoro created. You two, what are you doing here? This is no place for the two of you, you need to leave, Uraraka said, landing atop the giant bird. Wait, where is Isamu? The two siblings looked at each other and smiled. Don't worry, he's fine, we went to Ua and found one of the teachers there. I think his name was Aizawa. Or something like that, he said he would take care of Isamu. Thank goodness, yeah, I trust Aizawa, so he is in good hands. Now you two have to leave, take these three and get out of here, Uraraka said, putting down Isamu. Eri followed suit and put down Himari and Bakugo. Katsuma quickly went to work and began to heal all three of them. They are in really bad shape, normally I wouldn't be able to heal this much. Lucky for us, Deku gave me some of his energy when we were back at our house. To the surprise of Uraraka, Katsuma's hands began to glow yellow. This energy, it really is Deku's. I'll ask questions later, now I'll say this again. You need to leave, Uraraka said, this time her voice was stern. Sorry Uravity, but we ain't leaving, Mahoro said, standing proud atop of her eagle. We came here to see the number one hero Deku fight, and that's what we intend to do. Uraraka looked over at Katsuma, who nodded. You guys are crazy, you know that right? Oh yeah, we know, but our dad always said if we don't chase the moment it will fly right by us, Katsuma said with a smile. You might want to give it up, Mom. The look in their eyes says it all. They will go no matter what you say, said Eri. Uraraka sighed. Alright, fine, heal them up and then we can go. Standing atop of the eagle, Uraraka turned towards the fight as lightning began to rain around them. With his new power-up, Shigaraki's speed and strength were greatly increased. However, now that Izuku's body had a taste of Ultra Instinct, he too had increased his own power. The fight wasn't going anywhere, even with their power-ups neither could land a hit on the other. Izuku dodged everything that was thrown his way and Shigaraki blocked everything Izuku threw his way. Ha! Izuku yelled out as he threw a punch, only to have Shigaraki dodge. The force behind his punch was enough to break the ground, causing a massive canyon. Seeing that his melee attacks were not working, Izuku began to switch it up. Izuku gritted his teeth, cupping his hands together he rocketed towards Shigaraki, Ka. Shigaraki saw what he was doing. Oh no you don't, he said, firing off blasts towards Izuku. Izuku twisted his body and dodged out of the way. Me. Take this, Shigaraki yelled out, creating multiple Hakkais. Izuku needed to swat those away. Focusing, he kept the Kamehameha going with one arm. With his free hand he smacked the Hakkais away. Ha! Damn it! Opening his palms, Shigaraki began to fire multiple small energy blasts towards Izuku. Izuku began to twist his body, narrowly dodging the blasts. Me. The ball of blue energy began to grow in his hands. Shigaraki's eyes went wide as Izuku was now a few meters away. Pointing his finger at him, Shigaraki fired a death beam at Izuku. Only to have Izuku disappear. What? Ha! Izuku yelled out as he reappeared underneath Shigaraki. Shigaraki looked down to find Izuku throwing his hands forward. His eyes widened as the sky was drowned in the Kamehameha's blue light. The blast engulfed Shigaraki completely. Uraraka and the rest were flying atop of the eagle when they saw the blue light. Eri's eyes went wide. Mom. That's Deku's Kamehameha. Please Deku, don't die, Uraraka said, closing her eyes. Izuku was sure that he got Shigaraki with his blast, however to his horror the Kamehameha began to turn purple before breaking apart into sparks. You are definitely stronger than the last time we fought, however. You are still nowhere near strong enough to take me down. From within the blast, Shigaraki managed to manifest a Hakkai, causing Izuku's Kamehameha to disintegrate. Holding the Hakkai in his hand, Shigaraki let the Hakkai fly towards Izuku. With no other choice, Izuku pushed his blast even further. Ha! However, every time he put more power, Shigaraki's Hakkai erased it. Just as the Hakkai was about to hit, Izuku managed to push himself to the max. And it worked. The Hakkai exploded, but it came at a cost. The explosion was massive, so much so that it appeared as a spark of light even as far away as Pluto. Uraraka watched in horror as the blind light took over them. She thought the Hakkai had hit the earth, so she wrapped Eri and waited for death's embrace. However, it never came. The reason why was because of Izuku. At the very last second, Izuku managed to put up a shield that redirected the blast up and away from the earth. Izuku began to fall towards the earth completely exhausted. Even the silver aura around his body began to fade. That's when Shigaraki reappeared. You put up a good fight, Saiyan, but your time is up. Clenching his fist, a purple glow began to cover Shigaraki's fist. Throwing his fist forward, Shigaraki was ready to end Izuku once and for all. Izuku saw Shigaraki's fist. Time slowed as the fist drew closer. Even with his new power he couldn't dodge, not at this distance at least. Just as all hope seemed to be lost, Izuku heard a voice, Deku. He instantly recognized the voice, Ochako. Deku. Fight back. You have to win this, not only to save us but to save the entire planet. We all have faith that you can beat him. Uraraka yelled out from atop the eagle. Izuku. What are you doing? Hamari yelled out. Thanks to Katsuma she was able to recover enough to stand with some help from Bakugo. Where is your Saiyan pride? We Saiyans live from the thrill of the fight, yet you are going to lose. You can't let Shigaraki beat you. For you have the power of a god. Use that power and show this bastard why we are the universe's greatest fighters. All around the world the people looked at a screen that showed Izuku's fight. Come on Deku. You can do it. Kick his ass. Don't let him win. That's when Izuku could hear everyone's voices. He smiled, flipping himself upright. He let out a powerful roar. Ha! The silver aura exploded, sending Shigaraki flying back. Izuku took a deep breath and exhaled. Everyone, thank you. He then opened his eyes and stared at Shigaraki. Well, it seems you have composed yourself. Very well, let's continue. Shigaraki said as his aura exploded out as well. The two flew at each other. They were moving so fast that after images were seen throughout the sky, only to be followed by a massive explosion where they once were. Uraraka was having a hard time tracking them. Do you see them, Hamari? She asked. Barely, they are moving so fast even I'm having trouble tracking them. Hamari said, looking at the chain of explosions that filled the skies. As the two battled, Shigaraki noticed Izuku's movements had gotten faster, sharper, even so much so than last time. Shigaraki pulled back his massive and with great force he threw a punch towards Izuku. With little time to spare, Izuku crossed his arms in front of him blocking the attack. The punch had enough kick to it that it sent him flying back, regaining his composure. Izuku stopped in mid-air. Shigaraki rushed him but Izuku had something up his sleeve. He began to vibrate his hand at an incredible speed. Ha! He yelled out as he threw a punch. From his fist a massive shockwave traveled through the air. The shockwave hit Shigaraki square in the chest. The attack sent Shigaraki crashing into and through several mountains before finally stopping on the side of one. Izuku looked down at his fist and noticed it was pulsating. Uraraka noticed, he has speed but when he switches to attack his body can't keep up with him. Just then Shigaraki exploded out from the mountain side. Flying towards Izuku he stopped and faced him. Looking down he noticed a small bruise where Izuku's attack hit. Shigaraki then began to laugh. I may not be able to touch you but with those pathetic attacks you'll never be able to defeat me. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Shut up and fight. Yeah, we could do that but I have a better idea. Why don't we see how long that power of yours can last? Shigaraki said with a smile on his face. What are you up to? Asked Izuku. Shigaraki took off higher into the sky. Let's see who will run out of energy first, you or me, he said, creating a ball of destruction, then another. Soon the entire sky was filled with hundreds of Hakkais. Izuku's eyes went wide. You wouldn't dare, if even one of those hits the earth it will blow up. Not even you can survive the vacuum of space, so I call your bluff. I may die but at least you will die alongside me and that's all that really matters. Shigaraki said, sending several Hakkais hurtling towards the earth. Izuku concentrated his ki to his arms and legs. One by one he would smack them outside of Earth's orbit where they would explode. However, every time he did Izuku was being pushed back. There's too many of them, said Bakugo, watching the storm of Hakkais falling from the sky. If Deku doesn't do something soon, we will all be dead. He panicked as Izuku landed on the ground. That's when Uraraka felt it. She smiled. It's fine Bakugo. Don't you feel it? Bakugo looked at her confused. What are you? That's when he too felt it. Silver streaks of light began to appear all around them. Tracing its origin, Bakugo saw that the light was coming from Izuku. What is this heat, this energy? What is going on? As he was blocking the attacks, Izuku began to slowly close his eyes. Right now Deku is focused on Shigaraki. No, rather he's focused on the battle itself, said Uraraka as they saw his silver aura growing. Any hesitation, fear, and panic are now all gone from his mind. Burned away by this intense energy that we feel now, he's acting on pure instinct now. Hamari said as in her eyes the reflection of Izuku's silver aura was seen. It's only a matter of time before he breaks through his current limits and shows us something truly amazing, Uraraka said, watching her husband with pride. You can't block these forever, Izuku. Shigaraki yelled out, as he continued to rain down the Hakkais. As much as he hated to admit it, Shigaraki was right. If this went on any longer, one was bound to hit the earth. That's when Izuku had an idea. Instead of slapping them away, he began to punch them. The Hakkais gradually began to get ever so closer to Shigaraki, and he noticed. You guys see that? Hamari asked as she too saw what was happening. He's finally going on the attack. Uraraka was excited by this revelation. Shigaraki began to fire the Hakkais with even greater speed, but at this point it didn't even matter. Izuku was managing to punch them back with little effort. Opening his eyes, Izuku saw a chance, a split second in between each blast. For everyone it seemed as if Izuku glided on the ground, then 4 loud booms were heard. Izuku had punched 4 Hakkais so hard they rocketed back towards Shigaraki. Not expecting this, Shigaraki shielded himself as the blasts hit him, causing 4 massive explosions. You punk! Shigaraki yelled out through the smoke. He was about to fire the rest of the Hawkeyes when a stream of blue energy shot across the sky, destroying the rest. What? Looking down, Shigaraki saw Izuku with his hand extended out. He did it. It was so fast I couldn't even see what happened. Bakugo said as the sky erupted in a massive fireball. Before Shigaraki could do anything else, Izuku appeared in front of him and delivered a powerful knee to his stomach. The impact was so hard that it created a shock wave that was felt for hundreds of miles. Shigaraki spit out blood as he hunched over in pain. You bastard! He yelled out, throwing a punch. The two clashed once again. Explosions rocked the air as they continued their fight. As they fought, Izuku once again closed his eyes. As he did, it only pissed off Shigaraki. Open your eyes, goddamn it! He said, firing off a blast. Izuku didn't encountered with his own blast. Flying through the explosion, Shigaraki appeared going in for a kick. Only to have Izuku block it with his own leg. The field was now level and each fighter knew it. As this was going on, Uraraka and the group could see Izuku's silver aura grow even more. Even Whis and Beerus could feel his energy. They were also watching the fight through Whis' staff. How much longer is he going to drag this on? Beerus asked. It shouldn't be much longer. But something has me concerned. Goku was a pure-blooded Saiyan and his body barely managed to hold up. I wonder what will happen to our little half-Saiyan. Whis said, expressing his concern. You're right, the power-breaking limit of the gods does take a toll on the body. And with Izuku's human side, it could complicate things. Beerus then yawned. Whis, what do you say? Shall we go and see this with our own eyes? Beerus asked with a grin. Whis nodded. I am curious about the outcome. If we leave now, we can get there in 15 minutes. Beerus stood up. Perfect, let's go. Suddenly a ball of white light surrounded the both of them. At lightning speeds, the two took off into space, destination Earth. Back on Earth, Izuku continued to dodge an attack. Bending back, he dodged a high kick from Shigaraki, and to his surprise, Izuku countered with a drop kick that sent Shigaraki back to Earth. Shigaraki landed on top of a pillar holding his ribs. Well, this is certainly a surprise. I didn't think you would close the gap between us so fast. Well done. Izuku landed on another pillar across Shigaraki. You can't beat me, Shigaraki. Just give it up. Shigaraki scoffed. Give up? Why would I give up, when I am so close to victory? That's when he finally noticed the energy surrounding him. What is this energy? Izuku smiled. Your doom. Ha! With a roar that could only come from the raging Uzaru inside him, Izuku's aura shot out towards the sky in a majestic spiral of silver and light blue energy. The skies all around the Earth turned silver and had blue sparks all around it. From space it looked as if the whole galaxy now surrounded the Earth. Uraraka looked up to see hundreds if not thousands of stars. It's so pretty, she thought, reaching out. All this is Deku's energy. Hamari asked. This heat, this pressure, there is no mistake in it. This is Dad's pure energy, and by the looks of it the time for him to break through his limits is here, Eri said with a smile. In deep space Beerus was silently traveling when he felt it. Whis. Yes my lord, he's done it, said Whis. Amazing. Truly amazing. Yet another mortal has reached the realm of the gods, and to think they both came from Earth. Whis, pick up the pace, we need to get there faster. Beerus said as his eyes grew wide. Shigaraki shielded himself from the immense wind pressure coming from Izuku. Yes. That's it. Get stronger. Fight me with every last bit of your soul. He said, raising his hands towards the sky. And in turn, I will give you everything I have. Just then Shigaraki began to create the largest Hawkeye he could, which was about the size of the moon. Throwing his hands down, the Hawkeye began to fall to earth. Izuku took a deep breath. As he did, the silver aura began to get pulled towards him. Shifting his foot, he applied pressure and completely pulverized the pillar he was standing on. Suddenly the pillar of silver energy disappeared, as did the Hawkeye. Looking up, Shigaraki couldn't believe it was gone. However, that was not the case. Turning around, Shigaraki saw Izuku. When did you? That's when he noticed something in his hands. Focusing, he noticed it was his Hawkeye blast. That shouldn't be possible. Izuku's body glowed a blinding silver white. You couldn't see anything except the outline of his body. Izuku had shrunken and compressed the Hawkeye all in the matter of 1 nanosecond. Closing his hand, he crushed the Hawkeye with his hands. As he opened up his hand, purple sparks were seen escaping. You bastard! Shigaraki yelled out, flying towards him with his razor-sharp claws at the ready. Shigaraki didn't even see it. As he was mid-air, his claws shattered into pieces before he could even touch Izuku. As he crashed into the earth, he turned to find Izuku on the pillar he once stood at. Raising his hand, Shigaraki was about to fire off a blast when Izuku once again disappeared. This time he landed behind Shigaraki. As he turned his head, Shigaraki was hit several times, with the final hit sending him crashing into the ground. Hamari's jaw hit the ground. That's impossible. His attacks, they were so fast I couldn't track him. This is nothing like how he was before. Did he do it? Uraraka nodded. Yes, he did it, she said as the blinding light around Izuku began to crack and flake off of him like a shell of a hard-boiled egg. There in all his glory stood Izuku, his hair now completely silver. He also sported pure silver-colored irises with visible pupils. And his aura, it was now a complex silver and blue aura consisting of rippling, fire-like energy, complete with sparkling particles of a magenta color. Picking himself off the ground, Shigaraki looked at Izuku. So this is it. All that energy you were building up, and what do you have to show for it? Another change in hair color. Please, this is nothing but a cosmetic change, my power still far surpasses yours. Izuku smirked as he motioned Shigaraki to come at him, then by all means come at me with your full power. You will quickly learn that my power is far greater than yours. Shigaraki clenched his fists as he rocketed towards Izuku. Die! He yelled out, throwing a punch. Only to have it stopped by Izuku with one hand. Shigaraki tried with his other hand, but it too failed. He then tried to pull his hands free but noticed that he couldn't. Is that the best you got for me, Shigaraki? Asked Izuku with a smile on his face. He then began to twist his arms back. As he did, Shigaraki went on one knee. Well, it's not enough, Izuku said, kneeing him underneath the chin. Locked in place, Shigaraki's head whipped back. Blood was now dripping from his mouth. Why you? I'll kill you, he said, spitting out blood. However, Izuku didn't care for his empty threats anymore. Picking him up, Izuku tossed him into the air before reappearing above him and double fist slamming him back towards the ground. Breaking the ground around him, Shigaraki laid face down in the dirt. After a few seconds, he began to laugh. Picking himself up, he dusted the dirt off of him. Man, this really is a surprise. I now know if I want any hope in beating you, then I am going to have to actually try. Shigaraki said, staring at Izuku. Just then the air around them began to shift and a cold chill ran down his spine. Izuku quickly put up his guard. As he did, Shigaraki's aura exploded. It's as if a black flame suddenly appeared out of thin air. The ground beneath him began to break apart from the sheer pressure. Clenching his fist, Shigaraki smiled. Ha! He yelled out. His voice alone created shockwaves. The ground around them began to cave in and turn into a giant lava pool. His black aura was sent flying in every direction. Izuku instinctively jumped in the air. Uraraka and the others shielded themselves as the pressure from his aura began to break Mahoro's eagle. Shigaraki still had this much power. Hamari said, holding Bakugo so he wouldn't get thrown off. Uraraka being the mother that she was shielded Mahoro, Katsuma, and Eri. This is bad. Izuku seemed to have the advantage just a minute ago, but now I'm not so sure. All of Japan was covered in Shigaraki's aura, and by the end of it the ground would turn into a hellish mess of broken buildings and black flames. From the molten rock, Shigaraki began to walk out of the fire crater of his own creation. Now, the real show can begin, he said as lava dripped from his shoulder. Without warning, Shigaraki rocketed towards Izuku and swung his fist with even greater speed than last time. Izuku was shocked. With little time to react, he managed to bring up his forearm and block the attack. Gritting his teeth, Izuku could feel the weight behind that punch. Seeing a chance, Izuku jumped and tried a spin kick. Only to have it blocked by Shigaraki. It won't be as easy now, he said, creating a black ball of energy and firing it at Izuku. Izuku's body reacted. Bending his body back, he dodged at the last second. The blast flew into the sky where it blew up, causing a suction. Izuku looked back at the massive fireball. If that hit me, it would have done some serious damage. Where are you looking? Your fight is with me, Shigaraki said, getting in close and delivering a hard punch to Izuku's gut. Spitting out blood, Izuku was sent flying into the sky. Shigaraki followed. Shigaraki prepared another blast. Izuku quickly composed himself and began to vibrate his fist. Throwing it forward, he fired a shockwave that hit Shigaraki multiple times in the chest. The hits were seen caving in some of his body. Bastard. The two fighters flew at each and meeting in the middle, they caused a massive explosion. From the explosion, the two were seen going back and forth. Uraraka and Hamari watched as Izuku continued his fight. Just then a ball of white light landed on the eagle. Wow, the destruction to the earth sure has been devastating, hasn't it? Whis said, stepping out of the light. I'm surprised the planet is still standing, Beerus commentated as he looked around. Wait, is that you, Lord Beerus? Uraraka asked, surprised. Beerus turned to Uraraka. Oh, you know of me? Uraraka nodded. Yes sir, duh. I mean, Izuku has spoken about you. I see, well then that's good. We just came by to see how our friend has been doing, and judging by the looks of things. Beerus narrowed his eyes, he then yawned. Quote. Looks like we came all the way over here for nothing. This fight will end soon. What? Then who's going to win? Izuku or Shigaraki? Asked Hamari. Whis smiled. That only time will tell, for now all we can do is watch. And we in the end game now, just 2 chapters to go. The winner of this fight will be decided in the next chapter. Mastered Ultra Instinct is now in play, however a full-powered Shigaraki is nothing to laugh at. Surely I would have Izuku win, there's no way in hell I would let Shigaraki win, right? Stick around and you might know. Well, I'll see you all in the next chapter, later.